just a bloke in a bar.
Buckle up!
That'll wake me up. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. That wake you up, boys?
That's good gear.
That'll wake you up?
You have rocked up with an unbelievable amount of kick in your step, mate.
That's the methamphetamine kicking in. No, I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to see the boys. Far out. Sorry, I fucking like yous. Apologies. Crucify me. If liking your mates is a crime, I'll be locked up tomorrow. Jeez Louise. Holy, come in, feeling happy to see you. Nearly as happy to see my son. Haven't even seen my son yet. Came straight to you fucking losers. That's right, straight off the plane from Vegas, straight to the studio, get to talk about a bit of rugby league. Life doesn't get much better. It doesn't get much better. How was your weekend, Guru?
It's good, mate. I wasn't in Vegas, but Easter weekend, long weekend. It's good.
What about you, Timmy?
I was good, mate. I was camping down the coast all weekend, had the TV set up for every game of the round.
Would you say the first 20 minutes of your weekend was good?
First 20 of my weekend.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I thought it was very good.
Yeah, I see what you've done there. Raiders shit the bed.
Must be something about the first name. Tim Zoo. Joke went over the head.
It's Timmy. Timmy's turkey slapping people.
Yeah.
Too busy.
tough
Hammy,
start.
how you going, brother?
No, very well. Had a great long weekend. Matty and myself celebrated Mad Bunday yesterday. Second week in a row for me.
And me too.
Did you consider getting an earlier flight to cash in on Mad Bunday?
I actually did.
Yeah?
I actually did, but unfortunately, all booked out.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of other Australians trying to get back
There was
to
a rush.
Bunday. Yeah,
I'm not surprised. Yeah. Well, but great weekend though. Amazing game yesterday. So very excited. How was Vegas?
Vegas was fantastic. Unbelievable. What a weekend. First of all, I just want to give a massive thank you to KO. When I was over there, I'm going, I cannot believe I'm getting flown over to do this. Like, this is a joke. And also, what's crazy, so like I was in Vegas and, you know, maybe if I was a younger lad, going out and partying would be the most exciting thing. But genuinely, the best part of my week was working. Like, the best part was sitting down with the fighters. You go in the media room and there's like world famous boxers just cruising around, or like world famous analysis, just like, it's so casual to them. Then you go to the fight, you can see like Danny Garcia, you know, Caleb Plant, like all these guys that are just world famous. It's an incredible experience. A massive thank you to KO, and everything was so smooth. Like, just the professionalism in which they run, how easy they make it to make content. So a massive thank you to KO, because seriously, that fight, even though it didn't go the way we hoped, I tell you, that also is a very strange feeling. Is like, even though I wasn't in Tim Zoo's like team, you do feel like, because No Limit and KO are partnered, and then Timmy was obviously with No Limit, you do kind of feel like you're all one big team over there. And so that was a really strange feeling of when he lost, like the whole kind of camp could feel it. It was, I've never felt that before, like, you know, obviously other than when you're in an actual team. But aside from the fact that, you know, he didn't get the win, watching it in real life, like, it was almost this, like, people were almost like looking around each other going, is this actually happening right now? This is insane. Yeah. Especially coming off the co-main event, which was also insane. It was an incredible week. And also, highlight of the week, so, you know, I'm just cruising around doing my thing. Well, two highlights of the week, actually. The first highlight, cruising around doing my thing, and a retired boxer comes up to me in the media room. He's like, "Oh, are you Tim Zoo's trainer?" I was like, well, sorry, I was giving off that vibe, but no, I'm just here for media, baby. But so, was I giving Tim Zoo's trainer vibes? Maybe that was the Queensland spirit you saw in the fight. Maybe I instilled that in him because I was his trainer for at least an hour or so. And then the second time was, so Fundora, when I interviewed him, he was like, what is this bloke? Like, what does it mean? Because he thought it was like an insult, you know, like an idiot or whatever. I was like, explain to him, no, it's just like, mate, it's a good thing, all that kind of stuff. But then you go check No Limit's video, and at the end of the video, after the Fundora comes in after the fight to speak to Timmy, at the end of the video, Fundora's dad walks in. He's like, what is this bloke? I see it everywhere. And it's because I was obviously wearing bloke stuff all week. And so they had to explain on camera what bloke was. So that was really cool. Shows you the branding is strong, baby.
Yeah,
the branding is strong. And the beak represented strongly.
Yeah.
It was an incredible week. Such a good week.
I had a rumour you ran into Mike Tyson at the MGM Grand. He came up to you and asked for an autograph.
Hey, look, I can't confirm or deny. I can't. Look, first, Tim Zoo's trainer, Mike Tyson may or may not have come up to me and asked. He also asked me for some pointers for his new fight against Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Who were the biggest names you saw around the fight?
To be probably Andre Ward, who's a big boxer. Obviously, Sean Porter was there. Caleb Plant, he's quite big. Danny Garcia is quite big. For there's a guy called Leonard Ellaby, I think, and he's Floyd Mayweather's manager. So he was there. Just crazy. And even when you go down on the floor of the boxing, everyone that's sitting there, is pretty much like either, not everyone, but when they go in, like the closer you get to the ring, you've just got celebrities in that. It's just crazy. It's such a good experience. In regards to Timmy Zoo, before we get into the footy, what an incredible performance. Like, there's a lot of people that talk about being a warrior, but then when pressures of financial stuff or losing, so for example, Thurman pulls out, Tim Zoo could have easily said, mate, I'm not taking this unique body shape on 12 days notice. Like, why would I ruin or risk ruining my 0 losses? He does that. Then what happens in the fight happens in the second round. Fights through 10 rounds literally can't see. Like, even like, I'm not sure if you saw on TV, but the amount of times he was like this in the ring was crazy. Just amazing stuff. And
I struggled to get through that just watching at home on the couch.
Mate.
I had to have 2 or 3 big spells where I had to go outside, get a bit of fresh air, let alone boxing. You go while you're doing all that.
I'm surprised he wasn't getting dizzy. He lost so much blood.
Yeah.
So much blood. The good news is that Fendora's manager has just come out and said that they will honour the rematch clause, which is really, really good news for Timmy. But I tell you what, as I said, a lot of people talk about the warrior spirit. Then there's only a very, very select few. Like, even the cream of the crop boxers, there's only a very select few that would have done what Timmy did. Like, I'm talking a handful of fighters on that stage. Like, because he could have easily said to the doctor, I can't see. As soon as he says that, fight's called off. Yeah. So imagine you've got that get out clause in your head in a boxing room. A dude's trying to knock you out, and you don't say those words.
He's obviously lost the fight, but the entire evening was such a testament and a win for his character.
Oh my God!
From the way that played out, even after the fight, he had every opportunity to throw excuses and blame the gash on the head and the blood and vision and all that. No, he was so humble about it. Said, "No, beaten by a better fighter tonight. I'll be back." So good stuff.
I always judge, professional athletes. How do they act when they've lost? Very easy to be, humble and respectful when you get the win and you get up there, you've got what you wanted. How do you act when you lose? Volkanovski's the same. Timmy Zoo, how he handled himself was incredible. The rematch, I cannot wait for it. It was an absolute, I cannot believe I was so lucky. And thank you to the community, because without you guys supporting Bloke, there's no way KO would have wanted me to go over there. So massive thank you. I was sitting there, I cannot believe I'm here right now experiencing this. I'll never forget this moment. If it was a normal fight, that's good enough. You're in Vegas. But a fight like that, I got to witness in person. Amazing stuff. So massive thank you to KO. Massive thank you to the Bloke community, guys. I'm so appreciative. But let's get into it, hey? We've got some rugby league to talk about. It's time. Oh, also, before I forget, when's the drop before Magic Round? Is it the 6th?
It's about 10 days before Magic Round, so about the 6th or 7th.
So
whatever that Monday is.
Okay, so get your little shekels, put them in your little piggy bank. We're doing a big drop about 10, 11 days before Magic Round. It is one of our biggest drops we've ever done. Trust me, you just want to put your shekels aside. Just, maybe that little coffee there each week, you just go, you know what, I'm just going to put that little $5 note in my little piggy bank and say, don't touch me piggy bank. Say that to the rest of the house.
May 6th confirmed.
May 6th confirmed. Confirmed from Matty. Because something big's coming. Anyway, boys, time to face the music, brought to you by Sportsbet. Oh, no. Oh, God.
You mentioned before it's all about how people conduct themselves when they lose. Well, we're about to see how that goes down today. Round 4 results.
Just wait. Actually, no, we'll wait till I get to it. Sorry.
Okay.
Apologies.
Excuses coming already. All right, so good Thursday footy. Chook 16, defeated by Panthers 22. Everyone had Penrith head-to-head and Penrith to cover the 5.5 point line, except myself. I had the Chooks covering. I got robbed, but more on that later when we get to that game. 2 points.
Talk about excuses. Holy.
1 point for me. Good Friday. Matty, congratulations. First win for the Bunnies. 20 points to defeat the Bulldogs. 16. A late try there had the plus 6.5 punters cheering. Denon had the Dogs, and I had the Dogs 13 plus. So we got that very wrong,
Did I have
Denon.
the Dogs 13 plus?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Jesus, I didn't
Seems like
remember
something
that.
you'd do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rue had Souths, but he had the Dogs with the start, so he gets 1 point there. And then Matty had Souths 1 to 12, nice and specific. He gets 3 points there.
What was the start at the time? Must have been bloody.
6.5. Yep. Now this next game, everyone backed the Cowboys. No
Sorry,
points.
didn't I win
Yeah,
there?
didn't he get it?
If I took the Bulldogs with the start, they lost
what?
by 4.
Yeah, so he got 1 point. But he
Didn't I
had
take
Souths-
Rabbitohs and Dogs with the start or not?
my apologies, Guru.
Jeez.
My apologies. Good pick up there.
What's
Roo.
going on over here?
No, good pick up, Roo. 2 points for you.
Good scorer beats a good tip.
But then
all the
minus
time.
1 point for being a stickler.
Yeah, so back to 1. No, I'll give you the 2. I'll give you the 2. My apologies. Because I couldn't concentrate properly because nobody in this next game picked the Broncos. Everyone went the Cowboys.
I'd like to.
Can be.
Hey, hang on a sec. First of all, that selection was made when Reynolds wasn't in. Second of all, I have video evidence of later in the week me picking the Broncos. Roasty filmed it. It happened. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah, but you didn't put it in on Monday when we did the show.
Yeah.
So-
But Reynolds wasn't in. I'm not. It's not an excuse. It's just a fact that happened. I'm not. You can take that and use it with what you will. If you want to be a benevolent leader, you can. Or if you want to be a fucking dictator, you can also do that.
Yeah. No faith in your team. Not even at the line earlier in the week. Not even at the line.
Oh god.
Very disappointing. But anyway, no.
I did
points.
also say my heart says the Broncos. So like your heart's always with the
You did say that, but you didn't put it in. So no points. On to Super Saturday. Dragons 20 defeat Manly 12. I don't think anyone saw this. Everyone went Manly 13 plus. Rue though, he had Manly head to head. Dragons with that plus 8.5 points. So 1 point for you
Thanks
there.
for coming.
Rue. Titans 14 defeated by Dolphins 30. Everyone had Dolphins and Dolphins to cover. Which was 2.5 points. So 2 points everyone there. I had the Dolphins 13 plus though. So 3 points for me. Fins up over here.
Okay, fins up.
Very exciting. Sunday, Warriors 20 defeat Knights 12. Everyone except Denon had Warriors to cover the 6.5 points. So they got 2 points. Denon took the Knights to cover. So
What?
you only get 1 point. You took the Warriors head to head, but you had the Knights covering.
Oh, so I took the Warriors to the
Yeah. So
Fuck,
1 point.
That sounded like a
Don't
fucking-
panic.
Oh,
Don't panic.
stay patient.
Then the Sharkies 36 defeat the Raiders 22. Everyone took the Raiders here. No points again.
Ouch.
That's the first time we've had two donuts across the round. So should try and find a donut sponsor maybe. Eels 16 defeated by Tigers 17. Game of the round. This one never in doubt. This one for the Tigers. Matty and myself head screwed on properly from us.
Yeah.
We went to Tigers. They were the underdogs, so we get 2 points. Rue and Denon had the Eels head to head, but the Tigers to cover the 12.5 point line.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well done. So you got a point there. So our results. Matty, second week in a row, very strong performance from Matty. 11 points. He is our winner this week. Rue, I've just had a look here. I did calculate your points correctly, mate. Don't panic. 10 points for you. Nice consolation after your beloved Chooks were robbed, of course, on Thursday. More on that later. Myself, bit of heart in mouth stuff for me leading into yesterday's game. 8 points for me. He was wine, dine, and 69 by KO, but a bit of a reality check for him this morning on home soil. 6 points, and last this week is Denon. But you just come
Timmy,
off the...
what'd you get?
I was off, mate.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm glad you brought this up because you just come off the plane, Denon, so I'm not going to make you dance, obviously.
Okay. Appreciate that.
You came last week, Timmy, and you weren't here, and you didn't submit any points this week as well. So you'll be dancing for 5 to 10 seconds in honour of the milk going down to My Milkshake by Khalees. So pick a camera and
I have nothing prepared, mate.
Just bob the head, seriously.
Yeah.
Just bob, just something, anything.
give us something.
Just give us a bit of energy.
Yeah.
Unlike
All right.
your boys.
Ready? I think it's all good. Yep, Matty's giving me the all clear. Yep. All right. Touch, pause, engage.
Boo-ant. Oh, got a bit salacious there for a second.
Let's put some Sportsbet logos over those.
Oh,
for the,
geez
the cut
Louise.
down. But there you go. That's Face the Music this week.
There you go.
Round
Face
5
the-
tips coming up later.
Round 5 tips. Basic music brought to you by Sportsbet. Also, don't forget, brand new feature. It's called Feed, and you can follow yours truly, The Beak. Type in Denon or Bloke in a Bar. Give us a follow, and you can basically see what I'm punting on, and you can copy my bets. And then you can abuse me, and they don't go well.
Most followed on the feed?
by quite a margin.
Now, there's a bit of a rivalry kind of popping up here. Dan Gorringe. Actually,
Is it a rivalry when they're like nowhere near you?
well, potentially not, but he called you out through the week.
Oh, did he?
He goes,
No one heard it.
He goes, he said, he referred to the show as.
Does he have a podcast, does he?
He referred to the show as Joking a Bar. Shots fired.
Yeah, so basically, Dan Gorringe is an AFL podcaster. Little baby new into the podcast scene. Just finding his ways like, Mama, Daddy, Daddy Denon, can you help me? And so, look, follow me to crush him because he's not my real son. I don't want him. But he wants me to be his dad, which I currently am.
Something to think about there. Go and follow Denon on the feed.
But it really is NRL versus AFL. He's
It
an
is.
AFL podcaster. I'm NRL. So, guys, we need to crush this bloke. We already are. We're already crushing him, but let's crush him further.
Yep.
Give us a follow on the feed. Even just takes 2 seconds right now. Get into your app. Boom. Hit follow. And let's dominate this dog.
Joking a
rugby-
bar's not bad.
Was that too rugby league of me?
No, I thought it was good.
Let's get into it. All jokes aside, Dan, he's doing good things over in AFL, and he's a legend of a bloke. Team of the week. Let's go, boys. Team of the week. We're going at fullback. The Schnack, RTS. That run where he went shake and bake off the left, shake and bake off the left again, and then to not just like a back. He fucking bumped Adam Elliott, a big, a forward that's a relatively big guy. That run was unbelievable, and I cannot believe how much, look, I'm not going to say, is he a better player than when he left, but is he already as good as when he left?
It feels like he hasn't missed a beat.
Not a single bit. Not a single bit.
He looks every bit as good.
100%. And even if, let's say he continued to play in the NRL and his standard dropped a little bit because he's getting older, you'd be like, oh, that's understandable. He's a few years in. But he's been away playing union, which, although similar-ish games, there are quite a bit of differences. To come back the way he has been incredible. This Team of the Week brought to you by Bloke Beer, by the way, guys. Get into your local, grab a case of Bloke Beer. At 2, Mulatalo. At 3, Jackie Whiten. At 4, Olam. Hasn't Whiten and Olam been, when you come to signings of players, sometimes they might take 10 weeks, maybe even more than that, to do what it says on the box. You sign them, you buy this product or whatever, and it says on the box, runs really fucking hard, gets meters. Jackie Whiten and Olam have done exactly what you signed them for. They've been both incredible. Taruva, a lot of news around Taruva and re-signing with the Panthers. He sent a massive, signal to the rest of the NRL. I'm a free agent on the weekend. At 6, Lockie Galvin, second week in a row. Who would have thought? Against his old team, Para, that didn't want him. Wow.
I called it. So, yeah.
You called it?
Yeah. Check the tapes.
Check the tapes. Maybe, you know what? Benji's been watching this because he doesn't coach most of the time. He's at home.
Yeah.
He's at home watching Bloke in a Bar.
Got that coach life balance. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, first pastime coach to go back to back. At 7, Adam Reynolds. Holy shit! If you ever needed an example of how important a kicking game is, my God, it was like night and day. Seriously, night and day. At number 8, Jack Williams. Hasn't he been a revelation off the bench for the Sharkies?
The best Williams out of Kuma.
Ooh.
Top 5 at best.
At 9, Coruscant. Holy shit, he's playing good footy.
No gastro, no worries. Back in there.
At 10, Terrell May. At 11, Kolomatangi. At 12, Sewer. At 13, Patrick Get On Me Hair Carrigan. At 14, Dylan Edwards. At 15, Egan. 16, McGuinness. At 17, Olakawatu. Very, very hard week to pick, guys. So I'm sure there are some guys you should have been in there. Let us know in the comments section who you thought should have been in Team of the Week. But this week, Hungriest Player brought to you by Menulog. And this code, this code's going to be a short code because if it was a long code, a bit too much. But this code is going to get you $7 off pizza.
Mamma mia.
Oh my God, off pizza? $7 off pizza? You're kidding. That's unbelievable. Some of the pizzas you get on Menulog are only they're less than $7. Do you get paid if it's a $5 pizza, do you get $2 back? I don't think you do. Check the conditions. But $7 off pizza this week. Use code RTS. That's right, Roger Tuivasa Schnack. Ironic that the Schnack is going to get you a Schnack for a discounted price. He was incredible, guys. As we were just talking about, I cannot believe that he has come back and just hit the ground running the way he has. Let's just get it out of the way, the fullback chat. Let's get the fullback chat out of the way now. A lot of yarn about, should he play fullback now? I think that I'm surprised at is how this yarn has just flared up immediately after him playing the full game when it's like, we all knew RTS could do this at fullback. Like, is almost people like surprised, like, oh shit, how good is RTS at fullback? He should be there. I just think that would be such a reactionary decision. And also, Webster has come out and said, guys, I cannot make it any clearer. Charles Nicoll-Klokstad is our fullback. And people will say, well, RTS is a better fullback than CNK. Yes, he's a better fullback. But is it better for the team that RTS is? Okay, let's say RTS could win a Dally M at fullback, because we know he can, because he has. He could win a Dally M playing his style of rugby league. But what have we seen lately with teams? They need fullbacks out the back that can nail those 3-on-2s. And RTS can to a degree, but his real strength is his ball running. Whereas CNK, we know he can do that. And also, if you put RTS at fullback, is CNK going to be as good as RTS was at centre? So you may lose a bit by putting him at centre. You may lose how good RTS is at centre, and also you may lose CNK's really, really good out the back play. So I think that if Chance comes back and he let's say he plays 5-6 games and it's just not clicking, then fair enough. You would consider it. But I think at the moment, guys, they made a prelim last year. They made a prelim with CNK at fullback. What do you reckon, Guru?
Yeah, I think it's a really valid point. We didn't learn on Saturday that RTS can play footy at fullback. He won a Dally M medal there at the Warriors. I think that Webby will 100% stick with Chance though, and I think part of it, mate, is just sending a message about who the Warriors are.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, if you're gonna play like Chance and train like Chance and show up week in, week out and do your job every single week for this club, it's your jersey to lose.
Yeah, I think as well, it sends a really strong message and good team culture.
Yep.
Of even if we have superstars playing really well, I'm going to back you in. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, it's funny because you sort of knew this was going to come out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because you knew RTS was going to come out, run for big metres, kill it. He ran for 283 metres, which is phenomenal, but you expected nothing less from Roger at fullback. He had 28 runs or something. Chance is so clearly at fullback is the best option for the Warriors at the moment. People have very short memories of how good Chance was last year. And, they went on the big winning streak back end of the year, made a run through the finals. I even think the Warriors this year, they've clearly lacked the polish on the end of their back line. And look, I've gone pretty hard on someone like Joey Manu at fullback in the past because he doesn't have the ball playing ability. And it's cool. He'll go out there and he'll have the most metres of any fullback every round, just about. But Roger at centre, Chance at fullback, much better this side. Even on the weekend, Roger, incredible. There was no try assist. Try is not as much an issue, but no line break assist, no try contributions. You need the polish on the end of the back line. Roger is an unbelievable ball runner, possibly the best in the game, but he doesn't have the ball playing to, as you said, Campy, to finish off those 3-on-2s, which is so imperative in the game these days. So it'd take 10 bad weeks in a row of Chance for me to even consider switching him back there. And I can't wait to see Chance back in this team because I think they're scratching the surface of the Warriors of what they're going to do this year. Yeah,
Matty, could you get up Chance's average metres last year? Because we've seen Chance run 200 plus metres, have 5-6 tackle breaks. Again, is it at the quality of RTS? Obviously not. But you can get that running game from RTS, from centre, whilst getting CNK's ball playing out the back. I just think in today's game, if you're a fullback that can't ball play, RTS can ball play, but if you've got the choice between a really, really good ball playing fullback and a really, really good ball running fullback, usually you'll lean towards the ball playing.
188.
So you average 188.
And as you said, a good example is this exact team with Tane Torpiki, who you go, Torpiki's a great footballer. He's younger, so his ball playing isn't there at the moment. Over time, he'll develop it, and he has a big career and a big future in the NRL to come. But, he'll run for big metres, and he'll bust tackles, and he'll do all that. He was picked as a fullback ahead of RTS in round one. They need a ball-playing fullback, the Warriors, and the fact that they've currently got RTS as their third-choice fullback
crazy
is such a testament to how good this squad is shaping up.
And where Chance makes such a big difference is when they have that sweep to the right side. And, for me, all you have to do is look at Dallin Martinez-Lesniak this year. He's four games in. He's only scored 2 tries, which sounds really good. But mate, he played 20 games last year, had 20 odd tries. He played 20 games last year and had 25 line breaks, just because that right edge was unstoppable.
That whole edge route, spot on. It's been a shadow of itself compared to last year. What's missing? Chance Nickel-Krukstad.
Yeah. And so if C&K comes back and struggles, obviously you put RTS there. But it's all about, we speak about it so much over the last few years, combinations, gelling, spines, gelling. So you can have a guy that is, Teddy's a really good example of it. Like, Teddy played some really good footy last year, but what was the argument against him? It's like, just that ball playing needs to get sorted. Now he's actually come back and he's doing really well this year. What do you reckon, Hammy?
Yeah, I just think they look a little bit more well-rounded when you've got Roger in the centres there and then Chance at the back. So, look, as you say, when they're a little bit short and he can go back there, what a luxury to have him to be able to throw him back there. And we've got a couple of great highlights. You mentioned that, tried a little shimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Geez, it looked good from front on too.
Man.
Good angle. It'd be good to get Chance back in as well because that'll bring their kind of acronyms back up as well. They have been lacking a little bit in that department without him. So
I think as well, Webby has seen this before at the Penrith Panthers. Remember a couple of years ago, everyone's play Stephen Crichton at fullback, not Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards does the job week in, week out, plays the perfect role for that side. Chance is exactly the same.
Yeah. Alrighty. That is Hungriest Player. It is RTS. So use code RTS to get $7 off your pizza on Menulog. All right, let's get straight into it, shall we? Let's get straight into it. Panthers defeat the Roosters 22-16. Again, I feel like I've been saying this for 3 years. Like, you can talk about the Panthers and give them all these compliments, and it feels like you just get in the next week and you're just saying the same thing again. You said, like, next man up mentality. Their systems are incredible. Their ability to just lock in, and whenever they lose key players, whoever comes in, it's not like they set the world alight, but they just nail their role. Like, they play super smart footy. To go and beat the Roosters the way they did, again, this team is looking better at this time of the year than they did last year. Their outside back is getting so stacked at the moment that they may lose to Ruva, who was outstanding on the weekend. And look, yes, the Roosters had some tough calls against them, but in my opinion, I felt like the Panthers controlled most of the game.
Yeah, I thought the Penrith Panthers had full control of this game the entire time. And you have a look at that Roosters side; they're missing Lindsay Collins. Outside of that, I believe it's pretty much full strength for the Roosters. Penrith are missing the best player in the world, in my opinion, the best front row forward in the world, Scotty Sorensen, who's been Mr. Underrated there for so long. They lost Liam Martin during the game. I mean, like, how much more could have gone against this side? Like, you might not like them, and that's fine. People don't like teams that are hyper successful, but fuck, like, how can you not appreciate what they are doing week in, week out? It's unbelievable.
It's genuinely, and also their game plan is so obvious. Like, it's open for everyone to see. The outside backs, they get in, they run for a bunch of meters, get through their work. Like, this is their outside backs. Dylan Edwards, 246, 75 post contact. Taruva, 140, 38 post contact. Tungle, 109. May, 84. To'o, 155. To'o had a quiet game. He ran for 155 metres. He still had 5 tackle breaks. Like, their ability to just create momentum with their outside backs and then just continue to drop under to fatigue the other forward pack. It's seriously like, what it becomes almost like, why aren't other teams trying this? But then you go, well, I just think that the Penrith Panthers are the fittest, fastest and strongest side pretty much across the board. I think that's their key is that they have so much trust in their fitness that they just outwork every team. And so you can go with all the flashy stuff and the crazy stuff that they do, but at the end of the day, they're just the fittest team in the comp. It seems like it anyway.
Well, mate, you have a look at on the weekend, I just mentioned all those guys they had out. Liam Martin, he didn't come back in the second half. Mate, Dane Laurie didn't need a shower after the game. They didn't even put him on the field.
Craziness.
He did it with 16.
Isaiah Yeo, 184 metres, 75 post contact for Isaiah Yeo.
He is putting together an incredible season right now, but unfortunately he sets such a high standard for himself that the reality is no one seems to give a fuck.
Well, there's an argument who said this is his best year so far.
If you think back to this time last year, he actually was leading the Dally M medal after the first 5 or 6 weeks. He's doing the exact same thing this year. He's been incredible.
And no one's even talking about him.
No one cares.
Because he's just set the standard so high. Absolutely amazing. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, I went to throw the tips in last Thursday afternoon, and without really looking into it, I was thinking, I'll go to the Roosters, Cleary out, Fisher Harris out, Sorensen out. Roosters looking pretty good, pretty dominant middles at the moment. Look, I'll do a bit more of a dive into this, and the Panthers without Cleary. And it was like, Luai had won 8 straight without Nathan Cleary for the Panthers. I went further into those games. There was games around Origin where they were missing like Isaiah Yeo and some other key players in that side, and they won them all. And I'm like, they're missing Cleary, Fish Harris, Shaw. They've got blokes that are coming, like Liam Henry stepping up, Lindsay Smith, awesome.
And Luai has been doing it with different half pairings every year.
And he's done it, at different stages in Origin. He's had some big performances. He's led Samoa at different, like at the World Cup. And I just went, why are we backing against this Penrith side who week in, week out, they prove us wrong? And as you already touched on it pretty comprehensively, Kempy, but the next man up, they're never stars. It's never anything flashy, but it's these same systems. They're dropping it under and just punching through the middle, getting blokes coming back on the inside, tires them out. They complete well. There's not a lot changed in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And they all know that.
Yeah.
And, we're guilty of it sometimes as well. Like, you're so focused on attack. The best defensive team wins time and time and time again.
It's, as I said, it's almost surprising that I feel like for many years it was, let's play like the Storm. But I haven't really seen that same, I guess, cultural push for teams to go, we need to play like the Penrith Panthers. Maybe it will happen soon, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing other teams playing similar style of rugby league to the Penrith Panthers. And the only thing I can think of is it's hard to. You've got to be super, super fit to play that way. You've got to have 5 outside backs that on any given day can go for 200, 220 metres.
I think the one team somewhat sort of replicating at the moment with a lot of success is the Warriors. With a pretty big back three. Chance isn't massive, but he gets through huge metres. They do a lot of work coming out of their own end. They don't play a flamboyant, expansive style of footy. Like, a lot of their tries come down that right edge of Estary, Chance, Dallin. And it's pretty similar shape most of the time, but they know that if they get it perfect, they can go short to the lead runner. They can go at the back to Chance. SJ can go long to Dallin. They know that teams can't stop them because they do it so well. And I think you're right that teams aren't necessarily replicating them, and it's a lot easier said than done, but I think the Warriors are doing it a little bit.
And the teams that are replicating them are their New South Wales Cup, their Jersey flag, all the way down. They all play the same brand of footy. You can go there and watch it. It's the exact. They're all turning each other under, and they're playing the exact same style.
It's what makes like the Broncos Panthers. I mean, you couldn't call it a rivalry yet because obviously the Panthers have been on top for a while, but it's what makes that matchup so intriguing because they couldn't be more different. Like, they couldn't be. Yes, they both have explosive fullbacks, all kind of stuff, but the Broncos are almost just like expansive footy constantly, just attack from wherever. Mate, this again. You love them, you hate them. I mean, I appreciate them. I think they're so good for the game. But we're witnessing the greatest team ever. Me personally, it's the greatest team ever for me. I understand it's hard for me to compare to teams that were around 60 years ago or whatever. But the team that I've ever, personally that I've ever seen, it's the greatest team ever.
Yeah, when you talk about these teams from 50, 60 years ago, everyone goes to the Dragons of the 60s, had 3 immortals, weren't playing under a salary cap, had unlimited tackles.
5 meters.
It's a different game.
Totally different game. And also the pool of people playing the game was way smaller than the pool of people playing the game now.
It's funny, you look at compared to other dominant teams of yesteryear, and the Melbourne Storm being one who have done it over such a long period. Bellyache had to change their style at different stages over the years, where they might have a year where not making grand finals losing a grand final was not to their standard. It was win the comp or bust for them. And he'd change their gameplay up with different sort of things. With Penrith, I need to go back and watch, 2020 obviously got done in the grand final, but a very dominant year nonetheless. Nothing seems to have really changed, aside from little bits and pieces here, because they've been on top and the best for so long. They don't need to change anything at the moment, do they?
I think the only thing that changed for them after they lost to the Storm was they used to have this kind of mentality of we have to win the first 20 minutes. And then the next year they came out and said, no, we have to be the best defence in the comp. bar none. Which is, I think they were already the best comp anyway. But I think that's the only thing that's changed since then.
I love little things like even in the back end of last year, and we've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, but I think maybe the last couple of rounds of the season, then into the finals, we saw Cleary starting to play both sides, which he was pretty right side dominant for the majority of his career. And, you know, I assume Ivan had that up his sleeve where he goes, all right, we'll now send our best player playing both sides, and went on a tear and did damage in the grand final with it as well. But
and that's why I think it's worth noting, like you have a look through the history of the Melbourne Storm, and they've been the team to beat for the last 15, 20 years. They've been the consistent side. Personally, there isn't a 5-year period you can find of the Melbourne Storm's history where they've been as good as this Penrith side's been for the last 5 years.
The argument that I would have is if you took that 2017 Storm side in a one-off game against the Panthers, that's where I'd be unsure who wins that game. And that's a testament to how good this Penrith side is, because you go look at that fucking Storm roster and it's like a joke. Yeah. But that's what we're witnessing. Like, we're going to look back at this Panthers side because we're in it right now. It's not until like 10 years later you look back, oh, he's a goat. You know, it takes, always look back on it and go, oh, he was, like, for example, Munster was really good back then, but he hadn't done all the things he's done since then, especially in Origin, obviously. So
you even look at this game and people might be sitting there going, oh, you know, big raps for a team that won by 6 points sort of thing. They had the Satilli try 39th minute off a kick. Not a lot you can do about that if done well. Great put down. And then Cheese in the 74th minute, Daniel Tupou 79th minute, conceded too late. It's like the scoreline was not reflective of the dominance of this game.
We'll just talk about it quickly before getting on the Roosters. Taruva, looking like they'll struggle to keep him. Because he's got no contract next year. This guy is literally off contract next year, so he can go wherever. Where do you think he may land, or do you think that they'll re-sign him?
Well, I guess my question would be, would you be willing to sign him as a fullback? Because I think there'll be clubs out there that will be.
If I'm the Raiders, I am.
Felt personal?
No, I'm not being a dick. I'm saying, like, he gets through a bunch of work. He suits Ricky Stewart's. He's a Raiders type of player, super tough. I mean, yeah, I'd be going after him on the Raiders.
Yeah, we just spoke about it, but has he got any ball playing in him? I don't think I've ever seen him pass a footy. Not saying he can't because he's on the wing. But
surely you could learn it. Surely.
Again, I think easier said than done. Like, if you're an out-and-out winger, True's obviously played plenty fullback. And you know, I
think he came through the grades playing fullback.
And that's it. And there might be it in him. I just haven't seen it yet. So if he's shown enough glimpses...
I'd go back and watch the tape.
Through lower grade to say, no, he's got a decent passing game in him, or we can work with it. Yeah, I'd look to sign him on as a fullback and give him a bit extra, but to my eye, I haven't seen it yet.
I tell you what, though, if you were just to drop him into that, like the Raiders side right now, even if his ball playing was just okay, geez, that changes up that back line, like with Taruva.
Oh, enormously. I think Chevy Stewart, who we haven't spoken about in sort of a few weeks after missing the round one team, but ticking every box required of him, gone back to New South Wales Cup, playing really well, whether he plays this year or whether he's given 12 months in New South Wales Cup. You know, he does have ball playing, got a lot of X factor. So I'm hoping round one next year he's still the man for us.
Yeah. But the thing with the Panthers is they just have a nursery out there of like so many young guns, especially outside backs coming through that. Unfortunately, if you're Taruva, it's the hard truth is, mate, they've decided to go with May and Tungor because they've been there for a bit longer and they just have decided to go that direction. Unfortunately, they're just not going to be willing to pay your market worth because the reality is there's a guy most likely next up that may not be as good as you, but he's going to do a job probably, at the least do a job.
It is pretty crazy when you consider, and you said it before, Kim, you said, like we don't realise whilst we're in it just how good they are. And, like if they win a comp this year or even just make it to the grand final, that's half a decade straight they've made it to the grand final. It's bizarre. And, I was just thinking then as you were talking about that, like, across that 5-year period, at no point have they gone out and brought an outside back. It has literally just been next man up, next junior up. And all these guys have gone SG Ball, Jersey Flag, New South Wales Cup, come win a comp.
Like
on whichever edge we tell you
they
to
won every
on.
grade.
Yep.
Like they won every grade. Like it's actually insane. So yeah, incredible stuff from the Panthers. Look, being nitpicky, and we've got to, we're going to try this year, guys, to critique the Panthers just because, as I said last couple of weeks, otherwise it just gets fucking... We just sit here complimenting the whole time.
They're making it tough, Kempy.
They're making it real tough. I guess the critique is they are a ruthless side and that last 10 minutes is not up to their standard. And I actually think Ivan Cleary will be really disappointed with that last 10 minutes because they had an opportunity to really send like an absolute hammer blow of a message. And then that last 10 minutes when you look at the score and, you know, how it all panned out, and then you look at some of the disallowed tries to the Roosters, you know, it muddies the waters of how great that victory was. And so with the incredibly high standards that we know Ivan Cleary has, I've got no doubt that he was super disappointed. I mean, there's been, I've heard stories of Storm. I think they belted the Titans. I think it was Bo Champion that told this story. Anyway, they belted the Titans like I don't know, let's just say 24-6 or 10 or something. And they get into the changing room and Bellyache lost his fucking shit because he was like, because we're ahead by X amount of points doesn't mean we drop our standards. And I think Ivan Cleary is obviously not the same. He's not going to lose his, you know, doesn't have the bellyache spray, but he definitely has the bellyache standards. He definitely has that. So I do think that that's something they're probably going to look at and go, guys, we cannot afford to do that.
They won 40-12.
40-12, yeah, in that game. Yeah, and he gave him a massive spray.
I was talking to someone in Penrith the other day, and they've got I think so. This is round 5 coming. Round 6, they've got the bye. And apparently, they are just stinging for that bye because, as you can imagine, like everyone's playing injured,
hanging on by a thread.
But this Panthers side, like you think they've been to 4 grand finals in a row. The amount of rep football all these guys play, like it's incredible they're not having more injuries. Than
I'll be honest. There's like this voice inside me that is like, because I'm so used to the standards that have been set for the last 20 years, it says there is no way this team can be this high up at the start of the year and finish the year. But they are the ones that continually break convention. That's what the Penrith Panthers have done for the last 4 years, is they've shown us that, hey, that old model of thinking of like, I mean, imagine a few years ago, the yarn every time was you cannot get back, like before the Roosters did it, you cannot go back to back because you just can't get up for it. We're in the 4th year of that, and they're like...
Could have been a 5th as well.
Could have been a 5th.
Essentially 5th.
Essentially a 5th.
But no minor premiers in 2020, yeah?
And also, they'd
won like 16 in a row going in the grand final.
And took literally the greatest player of all time, well, essentially, like one of, whatever you want to say, to do it. But what's crazy is they are head and shoulders like them, space, then the next best team. Like there's no team right now that I'm looking at going, ooh, they're on Panthers' heels right now. There's really no team.
And that's the other thing as well. Like you watch this Panthers side, and I'm happy to be proven wrong, but there is nothing that they can do in the next 20 weeks that is going to convince me that they haven't got another gear come September.
It's crazy. It's craziness. All right, let's get to Roosters now. We'll talk about the obstruction. Oh my God. Hey?
I've got a theory. You
got a theory?
Yeah.
You want to open with a theory?
No, go, and then I'll
okay, you bring it in.
You've been chomping at the bit for 5 days to get this theory out.
Stay patient,
I'm very
theory
excited.
fans. It's coming.
You've stayed patient.
Yeah.
And we love that. We love that. Man, okay. Okay. It just blows the mind. It just boggles the mind. I am all for a black and white rule, but does it have to be literally like so black and white we're being stupid? Like, okay, for example, the Jake Trbojevic one, I can understand that going, it's a black and white rule because there are many players that wouldn't have been, that could have been in that position that could have got Jake Trbojevic. Like there are many players that wouldn't have gotten lazy, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Plus also it's a play where Jake Trbojevic has a responsibility to get through the line, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. So I understand that that's a black and white call. There is no human on earth, unless it's Usain Bolt, that was going to get to the corner there. Dylan was being taken out.
This is a beautiful transition into my theory.
Okay.
Is it time in these obstruction calls, is it time to dust off the red world record line that we see during the coverage of major athletics or swimming championships to see if it was humanly possible for anyone to get across to the player? Is it time? Because I'm sick of it ruining games.
That ghost, you can have that ghost, like Usain Bolt. This is where Usain Bolt would have been.
Exactly.
And this is where the NRL
This is where Dylan Edwards is right now. Is he going to get there? No, he's not. Is it time to do that?
Hammy, worth the wait.
You're welcome.
That is a great theory.
Yeah. NRL, if you want to use that, just take it and just fix the game.
Yeah. Fix the game. That's a free.
That's a freebie.
No royalties or anything.
That's a freebie. I will take a couple of tickets to next Tigers game though.
Mate, like, just when they're making that decision, I understand they've got the rule book there. But I don't understand anyone that's watched rugby league for any amount of time. First of all, Jared Hargreaves did his job. He did what you asked him to do, is get through the line. It just happened to be that... Also, Dylan Edwards, sure, he could have stepped him. We're talking about Dylan Edwards here. He breaks 1,000 tackles a game. He breaks 1,000 tackles a game. He runs for 1,000 metres a game, but he couldn't get around a slowly moving Hargreaves. Anyway... It just blows my mind because now what happens is that this muddies the water and people conflate, well, we can't be black and white anymore. We can't be. We've got to take the one last week wasn't right. When it's like, no, we can be black and white, but let's just not be crazy. Let's be reasonable black and white. What do you think, Roo?
I thought it was a try for all money, but I thought Matty Johns made a really good point the other night when he spoke about it. He said, fuck, I feel sorry for these guys in the bunker because they get told to go black and white. Yeah. They go black and white. No one's happy about it. And the NRL comes in and goes, oh, we actually made a mistake there. And it's like, well, no. They're doing exactly what the NRL has told them to do, though, to go black and white.
But I have seen, what's the word, discretion used, though. Yeah, we have seen discretion used. So I agree with you. I do feel sorry for them because when discretion is used, they're probably going against what the NRL is telling them to do. Like the NRL is probably telling them black and white, and then the guy in the bunker is going, "Well, I've got a feel for this game. I'm not going to do it." But I agree with you. I do feel sorry for them.
It's a tough one, and I think it's all good and well to say, use discretion here, use it there, but we're just always going to have dramas around this.
But that.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I do feel a little bit sorry for them that they get put in this very tough position where they're forced to make these black and white decisions, and then most of the time the NRL doesn't even fucking back them up.
Yeah, I mean,
they jump the fence
crazy.
straight away and go, oh yeah, bad call by that guy. Well, no, he's doing what he's fucking told.
Has Annesley spoken on it yet?
Oh, I'm not sure.
It's normally Monday morning when they do it, but obviously Easter.
But it's happened numerous times. This happens all the fucking time.
Well, what happened last week where they came out and said we got that wrong? And it's like, bro, you don't even Anyway, no, I agree with you. The direction from the NRL, it's probably okay. Now we go even further because Andrew Webster was saying, ironically, it was the coaches a few years ago that pushed for the black and white. So they're the ones that said to the NRL said, "What do you want to do?" And they said, "We want it black and white."
If I was a coach, I'd want it black and white too, because at least then you've got total control of it. You know what the rules are, and the flip. Man, if I'm Dylan, you just said Dylan Edwards can break 1,000 tackles. If I'm Ivan Cleary, I'm telling Dylan, you run into that motherfucker as hard as you can. You hit the deck.
Oh, absolutely.
It's as good as a try-saving tackle.
Timmy, what do you reckon, mate?
You get a penalty.
I can't even try and sugarcoat it. I thought it was a shocker. And I feel so sorry for Warrior Hargreaves because...
He did his job.
It's so tough, that line running, because even when they essentially get it right, where they go to the... inside shoulder and allow them the chance to slide, and you see good back row or whoever the line runner is, lead runner, they do it and they step out of the way to get away from it and get on the inside shoulder, but then the gap's small and it closes up and the other bloke, it becomes the other player's inside shoulder and they get done for it. It's like Warrior Hargreaves did it so well, got through the line. You talk black, white, discretion, this, that. If that's not an opportunity to use discretion, I don't think there ever is going to be. I thought it was a joke.
It's just bizarre, so bizarre. But anyway, look, the better team won. Lucky didn't decide the game. I know Roosters fans are going to sit there and go, hang on a sec, maybe that would have changed the game. Yeah, maybe. But I do think Penrith... Look, at the end of the year, the better team, the best team usually wins. Like that, I know it hurts, sting, and that's coming from a Broncos fan. We got a ton in the final, so... But it is the truth.
There was a few this weekend that, the Stili Tupanua try, I thought that was a knock-on for all money. I love Kale Itero, but fucking miss me with that. That was a knock-on.
Yeah. Look, Anyway.
I don't want to get into it either, but...
It sucks. We just got to do our best to... Because every week we'd be going through, tough ones. And it's, it's not easy. If the harder we are on refs, or the less of a good environment we create for refs, the less refs we're going to have. Yeah. But in saying that, if we're going to analyse footy, we've got to be honest, and that's Barry Crocker kind of stuff. Okay, now on to the performance. Look, I've got to say, I am getting close to a Sand and Smith, Sam Walker combination in the halves of the Roosters. I'm getting real close to it.
It's the play. Luke Keary's a champion of our game, but...
Legend of a bloke, had an incredible career and still has plenty to offer that young halves pairing.
Yeah.
but I do think they should consider. I know it was only one game, but this has been a few years now that it just looks a bit clunky.
Yeah. It was one game on the weekend, but, mate, I've said it a number of times. I think that Luke Keary's escaped a lot of criticism over the last few years that's been pointed at other guys consistently. I'm very high on Sandon Smith, and when he is fit and available, I would have him with Walker.
Yeah, agreed. I would do it as well. Keary, I still think there's plenty of legs left in the old boy as an NRL player, and I know he's just re-signed or extended, whatever it was, with the Roosters, so I find that one odd, but Sandon, I'm so annoyed.
I think he is good. I don't reckon he'd be on that much money, to be honest. As in, I don't think he'd be a big wicket that last year. And I think he definitely, because the thing is this, Sandon and Smith and Walker, they might play 4 good games, but then they might drop off a bit. And that's when it's really good to bring Keary back in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And kind of,
and the other thing is, like, you look at Sandon, who, we love him on this podcast. So impressed with what he did back end of last year, and between Keary and Walker, who are such small halves, defensive liabilities, Sandon Smith isn't huge, but he's also spent, the last 12 or so months playing in the middle as a number 9. Defensively, I think he can do a really good job there and just really strengthen the edge defence. So it's a shame, because I think he's gone 4 to 6 weeks or something. But when he's back, obviously give him a run in New South Wales Cup, whatever, but I like the Walker and Sandon combination.
And that's when, you have a look at last year, the Roosters are going like an absolute busted, and, the guy that turns them around, wasn't Keary, and originally it wasn't Walker, it was fucking Drew Hutchinson that came in and killed it.
Yeah.
He then got dropped, Walker came in, and he took total control during those finals as well. I love Luke Keary. He's a champion of our game, and he's achieved more than most guys in our game. Was he 3-time premiership winner? But Smith would be the play for me.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Kempy, briefly there, but the combination, we always say and emphasise how long it takes for new combinations to hit the ground running and for them to hit where they need to. It's been a long time. We're still not seeing great signs.
Yeah, it just hasn't seemed to click. And so whether it's Keary, Sandon Smith, or Sandon Smith Walker, I just don't know whether Keary Walker. It just hasn't seemed to work yet.
It wasn't that long ago. If you think back to 2020, 2021, around that period, I remember at the start of every preseason, everyone would put in their Dally M medal tip, and Luke Keary was getting a stack of tips and votes from people.
He's a gun.
He's a weapon.
It just hasn't worked.
Yeah, and you know what? I also feel really sorry for Luke Keary, because I think these HIAs have really knocked him around, as they fucking should. It's scary shit.
And also, in Keary's defence, maybe he is not paired with the right person.
I was going to say, mate, you mentioned it. It could easily be a Keary and Sandon Smith combination, and that could work just as well. Walker and Keary are just way too similar for me, and they're the future of the club. But the way the Roosters look like they're going about it is Sam Walker, and rightly so. He's so talented. So if they're going down that avenue, it has to be Keary to make way.
Yeah, and I've said it before. Has there ever been a bigger pivot going from Cooper Cronk to Sam Walker as far as halves? They are complete opposites.
I do think Sam Walker would be a hard person to combine with, because he's
so
off the cuff, eyes up footy, all that kind of stuff. So there is a world where, actually, it should be Keary Smith, or I guess the point is just Walker, Keary. It just has not seemed to work, and it's not either guy's fault. I never watch a game and go, geez, Keary's not having a dig, or geez, Walker's not having a dig, but it just never looks smooth. It just hasn't clicked the way I think they hoped it would. But early in the season, we could be sitting here in a month's time going, you know what, we were totally wrong.
I hope we are.
I hope we are.
Yeah.
I hope we are. Because I do think the perfect timing for a Sandon Smith Walker is probably midway through next year, almost midway through next year. It's Keary's last year. He passes the baton, and then they move forward like that. I do think that, is it too early to go Walker, Sandon Smith this year? Because when they get to finals footy, will they be ready together? I'm not sure. Maybe they will, maybe they won't.
They're just buying time until they sign Galvin anyway, right?
Uncalled for. Low blow. Probably the third person who's made a similar gag to me in the past 24 hours. Just let me enjoy my win. And my
you know what the worst thing with the Tigers at the moment is? This gun, 18-year-old 6, just friggin' pops out of nowhere. He's on a minimum contract, and you just went out and signed Blue Eye on this fucking huge deal.
I think Galvin and Luai can work.
Who you got at 7?
Don't know yet. One of them. Please. The other one is Buller. People are like, yeah, when the Chooks come and pinch Galvin and Buller in 2 years. I was like...
in regards to their playing, I will say, and I spoke about this, and we'll move off this quite quickly, guys, because we've been going for 26 minutes or so. Their forward pack. I do think it is not... Put it this way, heading into even last year, I would have had it as probably the best forward pack in the competition. At the moment, I'm struggling to see it even as a top 5 forward pack, if I'm being honest. I just don't think they have the same oomph that they've had in past years. I don't think they dominate other forward packs like they used to. It's still a top tier forward, like a top, okay, 4, I have them like 4 to 7. Like it's still, so it's a top 8 forward pack for sure. But like you look at these meters, like all run meters, 1,355 for the Roosters, 1,702 for the Panthers, and the possession was essentially 50-50, give or take 1%.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I agree with you, and there are a few question marks on why, because individually, player by player, you go, there's so much talent in this pack, but they're not quite getting results. I'm happy to put a line through this one because Penrith have done it to every forward pack.
But I'd ask you this then. When was the last time you saw them absolutely bash a forward pack?
Yeah, I don't know. They did, they put, 48 on the Bunnies last week, though?
I just mean, I don't mean like a result. I more mean bash a top tier forward pack. Because Bunnies are bottom tier side at the moment.
Yeah, especially their pack at the moment.
And so what I mean is Roosters... a couple of years ago for me were just they would bash anyone. And I just think they've lost a little bit of that edge. Now, maybe that's because, they were getting too many suspensions and that. So I'm more talking about it from a physicality kind of perspective. And maybe they'll build it into it. Look, they're still a top, as I said, 4 to 7 kind of forward pack. But I would probably I'd have Broncos above them, obviously Penrith above them. I'd have Raiders above them. Who else I'd have Warriors above them right now.
Parramatta on their day.
But you know what I mean? Whereas I think back in the day, it was they were 1 or 2. So hopefully they can build into that into the year.
Be interesting. Terrell May obviously had another big game in this one.
Still hasn't signed yet for next year as well.
I reckon that was an audition.
You reckon?
Yeah. I reckon they're going to move heaven and earth, the Panthers, to try and get him in there.
No, Roo, don't say that. Your team, the good Roosters, they're going to be filthy at you.
They don't even need him. When you look at the guys they've got coming off the bench for Penrith, they do not need him. But
so you reckon Taylor May re-signing is a sign that maybe that could be?
He sat there with you and said we want to play together.
Yeah,
he hasn't stopped saying it since.
Could you imagine?
If you were Terrell May and you could go and come off the bench for the Panthers, would you?
Penrith who just destroy teams through the middle, as we know. You go through the missed tackles of the Roosters. Cheese 4, Butcher 3, Tupanua 4, Radley 6, Watson 3, Egan Butcher off the bench 2, Terrell May 38 without a miss against Penrith.
Mate, he's so good. He's so good. All right, we better move on because we've been 30 minutes. Fuck. Sorry, rest of the teams. Okay, let's get into it. But before we do, the Panthers this week are our early season edge team, beating the Eels, Broncos, and now the Roosters. They sit second on the ladder with all the injuries they've had, everything like that. Musashi are the #1 trusted sports nutrition brand and are experts in sports nutrition. Use code BLOKE35 to get 35% off your Musashi products, excluding bundles. And guys, even if you're not going to the gym all the time or whatever, they're really good for meal replacement, really good protein bars. Instead of, grabbing a chocolate or ordering ice cream or whatever, you have a protein bar. You get that, sweet. I mean, this is what I do anyway. After dinner, I'll have a protein bar instead of having a bunch of chocolates. So you get that sweet kind of tooth out of your system, but you're not eating too unhealthy. So go to Musashi's website, use code BLOKE35 for 35% off your order, excluding bundles. And also you can join Musashi United to gain access to Musashi Performance Lab, access to free nutrition, training plans for your sport, exclusive content, and a lifetime discount on products. The link to this will be in the show notes. Let's get into it. Rabbitohs defeat the Bulldogs. Look, this is definitely one of those games where you go, a win's a win. That's all they needed. They were desperate for it, but they are nowhere near the team I thought they would be this time of the year. Even the standard of footy they played against the Doggies, it was quite a ways away from where I thought they would be. And at the moment, I don't have them as a premiership threat at the moment after the first 4 rounds.
Sometimes when you're in a spot like this, you just need to get a win, find a way to win, and it can turn things around. I don't think this has done anything to turn it around. I really don't. Like, they are an absolute shell of where they should be, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, based on the squad and the players they've got. Good to get a win, but I almost came away with this with almost more questions once again.
Yeah.
If I was a Canterbury fan, I'd take more out of this than what South did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair comment. Yeah, so because I want to say that first, so that like that's where I see them at the broad scale of things. But then also, you got to look at a positive where you can. When your club's in the dramas the Rabbitohs are in, with everything going on, you've got to, as a fan, even as analysing the game, you just got to look at the positives. So I've said that piece, but now I'm going to speak about the positives. So, but Timmy, first, your thoughts.
Yeah, as I said, they got the win. They'll take it. They can move on to next week, and they're off the mark for the season, but very unconvincing. You look at against a Doggies side who coming into the season, the Bunnies 0-3, day game, Easter Friday, good record against the Doggies. They should have been winning this game and potentially winning it well. You add in things like Jacob Preston getting injured for the Doggies. You add in Curtis Moran getting sin-binned. The Bunnies who...
Josh Adokar injured too.
Josh Adokar. The Bunnies who, we think of, they should be one of the best attacking sides in the competition.
He played though, Adokar?
Yeah,
played a half.
Yeah, half, yeah.
The Bunnies completed at 94%. It was 3 tries apiece in this one. The Bunnies had 2 penalties. That was the difference in the game. The Doggies didn't concede a try from the 44th minute onwards. That was including defending with 12 men when Moran went off. This is the lethal Bunnies attacking outfit that couldn't get over the line from the 44th minute.
Just quickly on that percentage, like, as I said, I'm trying to look for some positives. 94% completion rate. I'm like, at least there's been a response.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to look for positives, the squad has responded by doing the stuff they can control. Maybe their attack is nowhere near what we thought it would be at the moment, but at least, like, you've got to be happy with that.
Exceptional.
Yeah, exceptional percentage. I mean, you could look at a glass half empty and say, why didn't they win by 40?
Imagine what we would have predicted the score to be if we had, in hindsight, led into this game. 94% completion, sin-bin, injuries to the Dogs mid-game, Bunnies fully fit, not fully fit, but you'd be saying Bunnies by 30.
And that's what, is disappointing. And maybe I am glass half full and I'm happy to wear that, but mate, you give Cody Walker and Latrell Mitchell 94% possession. It should be a landslide of points. The ability that they've got in that side. And you have a look from Canterbury's point of view as well. Like, they lost Josh Adokar at half-time, which also had a domino effect. Like, they moved Connor Tracy to the other side of the fucking field just to try and sort it all out and cover it.
Yeah, look, I'm going to try and be positive. I'm going to try to be positive because I feel for Rabbitohs fans because it's in the dark places at the moment. Let's talk about Jackie Whiten. He's been great. He's been ripping and tearing. And maybe his attitude and his want to win and aggression, maybe they can get on the back of that.
Oh, mate, what a shining light for him. Jackie boy. Yeah, and you sit there and you go, easy. Feel bad because they won the game, but easy to critique the Bunnies in this one. Jack White, one of the great shining lights. And we sort of said leading into the season, he's got a pretty simple job landing on what has in the past seasons been one of the most lethal attacking edges in the competition, running off Cody Walker, running off Latrell Mitchell. You give him some early ball. When he doesn't have to think about organising or the next play and all he has to do is run, he's going to do some damage, and we saw it on the weekend. What was it? 2 really good tries. His ball playing for Alex Johnston was good. Yeah, he looked terrific.
He was great, Jack White. He's just got that mongrel about him, which is what they need at the moment. They're lucky to have a guy like Jack.
At least, like, he's come to the club and he was signed to do specifically what we spoke about earlier, to do a job, and he's doing that. He's doing exactly that. And so maybe that is just the boost in the arm that they need. What were your thoughts on Tom Burgess starting this game?
Mate, we spoke about it last week. I think JD had to do something, and his options were very, very limited at the end of the day. I think I saw a stat the other day. The Cast Patrol boys put it up. They predicted him to score the first try because he's got a good record against Canterbury, scoring the first try. Nabbed it at like 40-1. Or it probably would have been even more. It's incredible. That blew me away. But yeah, and you know what? To be honest, even watching Tom Burgess over the last few weeks, him coming off the bench, he looked a yard slower to me than what he has in previous years. So even when I saw the team list go up, I went, okay, Sure. I don't know if that's going to be the thing to change it, but scored the first try. Got the job done. I don't know against how many other teams South Sydney win.
Do we think... Are they too... I don't know how they stack up weight-wise and all that to other pass, but are they too big? Do they need a bit more mobility through there? Like Totola, big boy. Burgess, big boy. Kalamatangi, big boy. Obviously hosting for Arrow, but Arrow's like a middle that they were playing on the edge. Big boy. Cam Murray, he's got the... He is one of the more mobile players in the pack and very valuable to him. But then even off the bench, Moali, Shaq Mitchell, Talis Duncan, Cheekham, all right, a bit more mobile, but they've also had like a Villi on there and had far bigger benches. Do they need to look for a bit more?
See, that's what's surprising though, because I look at their pack and I don't think dominant big pack. Yeah. And you would think with a big pack like that, they'd at least be running for more metres than the doggies, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't run for more metres. It's just surprising because like heading into the year, I thought their pack was fine. I thought Kepi was a great, I knew that he had errors in him, but I thought he'd be a great addition to the squad. I thought that Demetrio would bring the best out in him. What are our thoughts on Burgess starting, Cook back to starting, Havili not even in the side, Kepi obviously dropped. It's like, what do you reckon's going on there?
It's just, honestly, it's a coach under pressure is what I see there. To make the decision, and I said it last week, I really like it, to play Damien Cook coming off the bench so that he only plays the back end 60 minutes. I really like the play, but to in a 10-day span turn around and go, okay, Havili's gone from our starting hooker to not in the team at all. Like the same thing happened 2 weeks ago with Shaq Mitchell. He went from our starting lock forward to not in the team.
And he's back in.
Now he's back in. I just don't.
Are we being too harsh, Matty? As a Rabbitohs fan, how does the Rabbitohs fans feel at the moment?
Not great. The doggies came in at the start of the year and they weren't rated as one of the more dominant forward packs, and it just looked like South had no go forward through the middle again. If there was no Cam Murray, I'd be horrified to see how slow the play. It's just, it wasn't a dominant win at all. I feel like they would have lost against most teams on Friday. I hate to sound harsh, but that's just the reality at the moment. And as for Jason Demetrio, they got pumped by the Roosters the week before. Of course he's going to make some changes. I agreed with pretty much everything that he did. But unfortunately, I just don't think there's enough go forward in that middle at the moment.
Well, positive. I'm trying to get positive. I'm trying to stay positive. Keon's been really good these last 2 games. Would you consider? I mean, they're so short on the edges. Would you consider moving him into the middle?
Sure. Who goes on there? This is the problem.
I know.
They don't have the squad.
That's what I mean.
You don't have the guys to pick from.
So at the moment, they had host. You'd probably put Talis Duncan on the edge, but they don't seem to be backing Talis Duncan in.
Shout out to Talis Duncan's dad, who was wearing his CBA shirt out at the footy on the
weekend. How good's
that? Love to see that. But, I mean, he seemingly doesn't trust Talis Duncan.
Which is weird. So Talis Duncan, 31 minutes, 100 metres of 11 runs, 45 post-contact, 16 tackles, 0 misses. Mate, get him on the field.
Just talk about mobility in the pack and being a bit too big.
But I thought he'd be a shoo-in. As soon as they were thinking about putting Cam Murray there, I know he was injured, come back from injury or whatever, but I reckon you trust him.
Yeah, I can't make sense. And, I've been told for weeks that he's coming back from an injury in the preseason. They're not even upping his minutes. It seems to me like he's not even building.
Well, so he actually... He averaged the most metres per run of any forward, I'm pretty sure.
11 runs for 101 metres in his 31 minutes.
Yeah. And 16 tackles, 0 misses.
Yeah. I like the... I like what they did with Havili last week, starting the first 20 minutes.
I didn't want it too.
And you want leg speed, you want something nippy around the ruck. You've got one of the best dummy half runners
to learn that role too, surely.
I thought Havili had been good for it. Maybe I missed a few defensive things or something the last couple of weeks, but
surely you give him longer.
I thought he'd had some really good moments in the bus, and I like the starting with him for 15, 20 minutes of the game, get through the hard stuff, you get a tiring opposition pack, and then I'd just be saying to Cookie, mate, just run.
Yeah.
He wasn't great against the Roosters, but he was good against the Broncos.
That's what I mean.
It was a 20-minute period.
He wasn't great against the Roosters, but surely you give him longer than a week to learn that role of that first 20 minutes.
I also find it interesting that if you make the decision that you want 2 hookers there, you got Peter Mamazelis, who they've re-signed on a 3-year deal, and he doesn't even get a look in.
Yeah, I mean, I said that at the start of the year. I thought that he'd be.
I assumed he'd be the 14 this year.
Yeah, I did too. I thought Cookie was pretty good.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I thought Cookie was pretty good. I think I was actually surprised that people were saying that he had a really poor start to the year. And I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I thought he's been okay.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. I think he's been great.
Yeah, but I've seen people saying that he's had a bad start to the year. I'm shocked by that.
Matty be more positioned to speak, but you look at even from the back end of or midway through last year when the Rabbitohs went downhill, I feel like the consistence week in, week out. Obviously Cam Murray, who I don't think's ever played a bad game. Cookie doesn't have many in me either. Like he gives 110% every game, looks dangerous running. 7
runs, 90 metres, 4 tackle breaks, a line break, 2 offloads, 48 tackles, only 2 misses, no errors.
Yeah.
Like, fucking gun.
Defensively, unreal every week. Line speed's great.
I'm just not understanding the thought process because, like, only last week he was not an 80-minute hooker. Now he's back to being an 80-minute hooker. And also, if you carry Havili as the 14, then you can give Cam a break for 20 minutes and pump Havili through the middle and just go, mate, you and Cookie just almost like a Cheese and Harry Grant combination. I know they're different players, but have that same effect with each other.
Yeah, start Havili, 15, 20 minutes, bring Cookie on for 60, 65 straight, take Havili off, and then get Havili to come back on at 13 and give Murray a spell at some stage.
Yeah. Or even you look at the game and you go, all right, we want to pick the tempo up. We keep Murray on, we take off a front rower, and we just go quick. Yeah. Would love to know. Would love to know what his thoughts are. Look, the thing is, they're at this point of the year though. Obviously, Jackie Whiten, he's ripping and a tearing, but I do think the only bloke that has enough superstar in him, the levels that only he can get to, is Latrell. He is the one that needs to turn this season around for the Rabbitohs. If he doesn't, it's just not going to turn around.
97 metres.
Yeah. I don't know. I know we've spoken about quite a bit. He is a different fullback, and we've been on that train of thought for a very long time. But I think now's the time where he just needs to go, you know what? My team needs me to be something different to what I normally am. Like, yep, I'm the incredible try assist, beautiful hands, all that kind of stuff. But now my team needs me to do 15 tough carries a game.
We're not asking for 200 metres.
No.
97's like...
Just 15 tough carries, or not like 12 really just hard and straight. Because the thing is right now, that's I think what the team needs. Whereas the other stuff, we all know that he can be the best fullback in the competition with the ball playing everything. But just the tough carries in the middle there, I know, he'd probably be sitting there going, well, that's not my job. It's a front rower's job. But was it Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. Is that Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Said that?
Yep.
But it's the truth. He is, in my opinion, one of the greatest outside backs of all time. And so with that mantle of greatness comes a big responsibility. And I think that if they're going to turn it around, it's going to be Trell doing it.
Yeah, and for sure you said there, mate, like he's got the ball playing all those nice things, but like you only get to see that if you're not winning the middle, you're competing through the middle, and they're not. So, I think he needs to take a leaf out of, Dylan Edwards' book. Whenever he gets a sense that his team's not winning the middle, Dylan just goes, sweet, I'm getting on my fucking bike and I'm going at it and I'll win the middle for us. And mate, imagine if Latrell Mitchell came this weekend with that attitude. Like I don't know who they're playing, but it'd be a nightmare. Who? Oh fuck, he needs to. For them to compete against that forward pack, Latrell he has to go into the 150, 200 sort of range. He needs to just take them on.
Yeah, because when they were playing such good footy and had all those try assists, last year, at the start of the year and the year before that, his forwards, they weren't getting dominated. They were actually dominating other forward packs. And when you look at this side, he really is the only one in the side right now with enough, incredible ability that can do something as big as it needs to be done. The ship that needs to be turned, he's the only one that has the skill set to do it, I think, at the moment.
Is that game here or over there, Matty? Thank God.
But a win's a win. Hopefully that's, they just needed that W. They get confidence and they can just move. What do you reckon?
One more positive for them, for the Bunnies. I thought they defended their own line pretty well in the second half. They only conceded 1 try in the 79th minute. There's a little stat that flashed up on the screen. Tackles in opposition 20 with 10 to go. The Dogs had 15. Bunnies had none. Obviously the Dogs are a bit clunky as well, but at least they kind of ripped in and didn't give up on their own line.
That last 15 minutes was top shelf defense. It was really, really good.
I guess, again, you could look at it 2 ways. You could go, was the Bulldogs' tack just really poor?
Yes, it was.
I think it was.
But yeah.
Or was it? But
takes 2 to tango, eh?
It does take 2 to tango.
Yeah. You can only defend what's thrown at you.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I guess I just have to readjust where I think they're at right now. I keep watching them like a premiership threat, and I think I need to readjust and go. They may turn into that towards the end of the year, but right now, unfortunately they're a bottom 8 side.
Yeah.
Like they're playing like a bottom 8 side. They can hopefully they can actually flip their years. So last year they started really well and then ended poorly. Hopefully they start poorly. If they can end the way they started last year,
I still think they can come good and go on a run and really, once they get their tails up the bunnies, we know they can go on runs and be really hard to stop. So I still think they can push for top 8, but you're right, Kempy, we haven't seen anything near it yet, and we had them as premiership threats a month ago. Geez, that's fast fading.
Yeah, like at the moment, I don't have them as a premiership threat. Do you?
No, I don't, and I think what it makes it even harder for me to believe that they could do that is that we saw them get in a rut last year. They just weren't able to dig themselves out.
I feel bad because he's won. sorry, Rabbitohs fans, but we're just going to say it like it is.
You take your Mad Bundays when you can get them, don't you?
You do, absolutely. That's the one positive. You sign up to Grilled. If you're Rabbitohs, you could have got a free.
And I did last night.
You did get one?
I got Simon Says.
Put it on
Simon Says?
Put it on the gram.
Put
on the gram and everything.
Yeah.
I tell you what, people are getting around the Mad Monday. Tell you what.
It's in the zeitgeist now.
It is in the zeitgeist. Yeah. So guys, it'll be in the show notes. Sign up to their Relish Club, and when your team wins, you get a free 2-for-1 burger. You're kidding me? Unbelievable. Okay, now on to the doggies. Look, ironically, you already said it, Guru. I actually take more out of the doggies than I do the Rabbitohs. Unfortunately, their halves just aren't gelling, because if their halves did gel, they win this game.
Yeah,
they win this game, I think. Seriously.
I think the biggest positive you take if you're a Canterbury fan, you're starting to see some Canterbury DNA on this side. They're fucking tough. You can't they're playing with
Jacob Preston played a game with a fucking broken jaw.
Yeah.
And did you the replay of that hit? My ancestors would have got knocked out, and they're dead.
And he got hip dropped a few minutes before that as well.
He's just running around like, fuck, what's happening? Got no knees, got no jaw. Jacob Preston, and what you were just alluding to, or what you actually said, is that's the Dogs of War DNA right there, Jacob Preston.
I think it'll be an exciting week this week, boys. People listening might have Teamless Tuesday by the time it comes out, but I don't think they can afford to play Curran on the edge. I think he has to play in the middle. I think we'll see the debut of Katoga that we saw in the preseason.
Oh, I liked him. He was good. Yeah, I can't wait for that. Also, very random, but Sexton got booed again. Don't know why.
Uncalled for. Well, he could be the answer to their problems maybe in the halves. You shouldn't be booing that guy.
Mate, it's like he didn't even play for the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, very harsh.
Very harsh on Sexton.
Bit of character building for Sexton so far this year, but he'll be better for it.
The only 18th man to just get booed around the ground for no reason. Okay, in regards to the game, obviously Jacob Preston, we've just spoken about him. Taff has warmed to the season. I think Taff has warmed to the season. You know, is he? Am I convinced that Critter shouldn't be at the fullback? No, I'm not convinced yet. But he has been a bit better these last 2 games. What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah, he still wouldn't be my fullback, but he has played well the last few weeks. There's no denying that. And you know, I don't see the Monday to Friday at Canterbury. There's obviously something that they're seeing in Taff that I'm not. But based on his performances the last few weeks, you have got to give him credit. He's gone good.
But then you go, okay, we got Connor Tracy there. You go, Connie Tracy can do what he's doing on the wing.
Yeah, and like I'll be honest with you, Blake Taff came up with an incredible play in this game where he kicked for the winger. I thought it was the wrong play for the moment, personally. He had a player shoot up there. It was third tackle. Not the play that I would have wanted to see my fullback go for. It worked out for Blake Taff on that play. What do you think?
Yeah, no knock on it. Like, it was about a 1% chance of coming off, and it was like a deft touch sent down from the gods. It was unbelievable, that kick. Not necessarily the right play, but hey, he backed himself and pulled it off.
Yeah,
I think he did it again later on and might have got a repeat set off the back of it, so fair play.
Drew Hutchinson. Before we get to that, actually, Matty Burton. What I like, 12 runs, 112 metres. I know they were clunky, but he ran for over 100 metres. I'm liking that we're seeing a bit more ball running the last few weeks.
If Birdo's Keenan involved, sweet.
Yeah, because everything else will come off the back of that.
Yeah.
Everything else will come off the back of that. But we have to talk about Drew Hutchinson. Is he the man going forward at the moment?
I still think he will be moving forward. Whether he should be or not, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'd give him a bit longer, Hutcho.
Yep.
it's a very weird halves dynamic, isn't it? Because he's got like the big money, the star halves partner who's really sitting on the left edge and almost playing as like just a hard ball running centre, which, as you said, great to see from Birdo, and he's had some really good impact lately, but it's almost playing like a centre. So there's a lot of responsibility on Hutchison at the moment in a side that has struggled for a number of years, who's lacking middles. Like we say so often, you know, your halves and your backs, they're only as good as how the middles are going and what that go forward is like through the middle of the park. And the Dogs notoriously, we know they're lacking middle forwards. So I think Hutcho's actually gone all right. I think he's earned at least another few weeks. Unless Sexton's really knocking the door down to take that spot, I'd be sticking with him for a bit longer.
Yeah,
It's needed a bit more when they had all that position in that on their line for so long. I don't know whether maybe even getting you wouldn't do this the whole time, but getting Crichton's hands on the ball a bit more.
Oh, man, he needs to touch the ball more.
Just throw him in at first receiver or second receiver in that when they had all that position down in the red zone. He could have got something going. I just thought with Hutchins,
he did get something going.
Yeah.
He ended up scoring that try late in the match.
Yeah, right at the end.
Critter, yeah.
Yeah, but there was too much time there for the rest of that second half where Hutcho was just, he got caught with the footy 2 or 3 times, just almost like he was just hitting it up.
Well, that's where it's like, I wasn't going to touch on it because I've said it about 3 times already this season, but, you know, Birdo's your man. He's your ball runner.
Yep.
Not necessarily your creator because the best of his work's been doing with ball in hand running it, but they need to get Birdo more involved and get him as a swinging 5'8", going both sides. Hutcho, who's in there as an organising number 7, he has a big bloody job in this side for the Doggies.
Yeah.
And I just think they need to get Birdo into the attack more, playing both sides of the field, swinging off the back of whether it's running off Taff, whether it's running off Hutcho, because...
So that's where Critter could come in, though. If Critter's playing fullback, he'd be telling...
Yeah.
He'd be telling Birdo, here, or Hutcho, here. I don't know.
And I'm all for Critter at fullback, and I'd love to see the Doggies have a crack at that. They've got so many options in the back line. Like even Blake Wilson was dropped last week, who'd been quite good this year, I think. If Fox misses this week, which I believe he will, Wilson comes back in. I said the signs are good for Birdo and starting to run the ball more. It's really odd halves dynamic.
It is.
And I think Hutcho's getting a lot of blame for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to know what what is he telling Hutcho and Burden? You know, is he telling Birdo stay on that edge, or is he saying swing? Because it's just surprising that Birdo isn't going both sides.
He'd be telling Hutcho, mate, this is your team, you're the organiser, you're getting us around the park. You can see it with how many touches he's getting. No idea what the instructions are to Birdo.
Yeah. Hopefully they can work it out.
The left edge, to be fair, 12 months ago when Kickow signed and there was some promise there and some excitement, we're starting to see a bit of fruit come to fruition a little bit. Like Kickow, that sweet play they scored a try off. Kickow's looking really dangerous. He's the go-to guy in attack.
Defence, though.
In attack.
Fuck, defence, just like, what?
Like, the left edge had some really good moments on the weekend, and Critter didn't even have a big hand in a lot of those. So, good signs there, if nothing else.
What do you think of the Doggies, Matty?
I don't think Hutchison's the answer. I think I'm saying the eye test throughout the whole game, I was like, I'd feel more threatened if Sexton was the halfback here. That was my thoughts the whole game, and I probably won't veer away from that now. Just on Critter as well, he passed the ball 14 times, and he had 3 line break assists. Whenever he touches the ball, he's he's ridiculous. But I would be inclined to throw Toby Sexton as the halfback.
And that's why, like with Critter, 3 line break assists, it's like, mate, I would love you to be just around the ruck or just near the ball more. Because if that's what you can do with the touches you're getting, it's not minimal, but it's not like you're not watching a Bulldogs game going far out. Critter's getting the ball all the time. Like,
you can only do so much from centre.
It's only so much from centre. Positive though, again, I thought, Reid Marnie, again, I don't like him playing 80, but he did play 80, and the good thing is he made 57 tackles, only 2 misses. That's so good to see with Marnie because he does have we always talk about he goes way too hard. He has like 60 tackles or 55 tackles and he's like 10 misses or 7 misses or 6 misses. That's bloody good, a bloody good knock. 57 tackles, only 2 misses. That's really, really good signs for the Doggies.
And he copped one of the worst penalties of all time on Latrell, which actually led to a South try. So hard done by there.
Just having a look at New South Wales Cup and sort of been talking to people at Canterbury over the last few weeks. Bronson Xerri seems to be going really well down there.
Yeah.
Do you bring him in and move Stephen Crichton to fullback?
Or even, I mean, I'd even consider Tracy. If you're fully against Critter,
Tracy's
been killing it.
Same thing. Yeah, same play. Because I get where you're coming from with Drew Hutchison, but I quite often feel like he's creating space for people. They're just not doing anything with it.
Yeah,
Or they look like they're out of shape when they are.
You think that Drew Hutchinson has been good or been solid?
I think people around him have let him down because he's not the fastest halfback in the world. Optically, people go, "Oh shit, he shouldn't be doing it." Like, you don't have to be a fast halfback. Like, look at Jackson Hastings last year. He was a halfback for KP, he won a Dally M medal, playing a handful of games of football, just because he puts superstars in the right spot. And that's where I think they need a superstar sweeping out there. Whether it's Critter, whether it's Burton just playing out the back of him, I think they can be successful with him, because I personally think with all the shape they're running and whatnot, I'm not really sure how much of a difference Toby Sexton's going to make there.
I'm with you, Root.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll soon see. I'm unsure. I don't know what the answer is, because I was actually for Drew Mitchell at the start of the year.
Drew Mitchell making the crossroads switch.
Drew Hutchison. Drew Hutchison at the start of the year. But I just do think that there are periods where they have good field position and there just doesn't seem to be much going on.
Bulldogs won New South Wales Cup on the weekend, 22 points to 20, reasonably close game. Bronson Xerri, 16 runs, 202 metres, one line break assist, 2 try assists, 4 tackle breaks.
Ooh, nice.
Surely.
Something.
Quick shout out, Curtis Moran. I thought he was great off the bench. He was. About to spend some time on the sidelines, I think, for a dangerous throw or whatever it was. But he came on, he had 63 metres, he only played 23 minutes. He added so much off the bench for him. Nearly scored a try, had a line assist, I think it might have been. He looked good to be fair.
Got that dog in him. Last couple of weeks when he's come on, the stuff's just happened when he's been near it. So
Would you boys consider, with the injury to Preston, I would actually probably consider moving Salmon to the edge and put Curran at 13.
I don't know how good Katoga. I think I had a look. I don't think Katoga played in New South Wales Cup the last few weeks. Yeah, because initially I wanted to go and see how he was going. He hadn't played at least the last few weeks, so I don't know. Put it this way: on the weekend, they moved Salmon to the edge, not Curran. Yeah. So does that reflect that maybe they're going to do that again this week? We'll see. Because
the problem is when they moved Salmon to the edge, between them, Kikau had 7 missed tackles and Salmon had 6.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that happened in the middle of the edge. Like, I'm sure it'd be 3 or 3 or something like that. But
the other thing to consider, though, can they afford not to play Curran through the middle? Like, you have a look at Liam Knight started. He played 14 minutes. Sam Hughes played 12 minutes off the bench. Like, they don't seem to trust anyone else through the middle.
Yeah. But, like, you know, it was kind of sounding quite negative. I actually think the Bulldogs have been really, really good.
This is, I agree with all the negatives we're talking about, but at the end of the day, they hung in this game of football and they're gritty as fuck.
They're super, super gritty. So everything else will come. It will come, but they have been. There hasn't been a game where I've watched the Dogs this year where I haven't gone, they haven't ripped and teared. They really have ripped every single game. They're giving it their all.
Signs are good, and because they have 1,000 utility players in this squad, if fullback's struggling or a 5'8 struggling or a half or a winger, they have so many options to replace them. Through the middle, okay, not as much, but just about every other position, they've got options.
I'll tell you what I thought Matt had a huge impact in this game. Kurt Mann, when he came on the field, just his speed around the ruck. Well, it was worrying you, wasn't it?
The Moran Mann combo, it's actually quite good off the bench.
Unfortunately, Moran, he's going to miss a few weeks now, isn't he?
Yeah, it looks that way.
So there's another middle that they were happy to rely on last week. It's not going to be there. Tough.
Yeah, fuck, that is. They're just the middles at the moment for them. Those young fellas coming through can't get there soon enough, really, just for giving them a bit of depth.
And they've got a bit of experience in reserve grade that I've spoken about the last few weeks in Zane Tedavano. I look at his stats on the weekend. He came off the bench and played 18 minutes. Yeah. So he mustn't be lighting it up either.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, as I said, it sounds like we're being quite negative on the doggies. I think there's a lot to be happy with there. I really do. They're showing the DNA of the Dogs of War. Okay, yes, maybe their roster is a little bit away from where you would hope, but that you cannot knock their effort. You really can't. Whereas there are some teams in the moment, in the comp where you can go, geez, like, are they really all committed at the moment? I think the Dogs boys, they seem like they're all on the same page. Alrighty, before we get into Broncos v the Cowboys, it's time for Grilled. That's right. Every time your team wins, you get a free grilled burger the Monday after the game. So head to the link in the show notes, follow the prompts, which include picking your footy team and signing up to Grilled's loyalty program called Relish. Then when your team wins, you get a 2-for-1 burger voucher to use on the following Monday. And as I said, This has really taken off, guys. The response has been incredible. So make sure to sign up. Get amongst the Mad Monday. The last thing you want is for your team to win and go, oh, damn, I could have got a free burger if I had just signed up. Literally takes 2 seconds. So head to the link in the show notes. Sign up for when your team wins. And if your team's winning a lot, geez, you could smack some buns over the year. So
Like my team at the moment.
Back-to-back buns. Back-to-back buns. You'll walk in each Monday now. They go, oh, just the usual?
Yeah, pretty much.
Imagine Penrith Panthers fans. They'll be smacking them every week.
I wouldn't be hungry.
Okay, let's get straight into it. And a massive thank you to Grilled for partnering with the show. Broncos defeat the Cowboys 38-12. What a great performance by the Broncos. Now, I understand the Cowboys were quite poor. I understand that. But even with Reynolds back, for them to go out and dominate the Cowboys like that after the Cowboys had started flying high, I think it's a real confidence-boosting win for the Broncos. Like, are they at the pinnacle of where they can be? No, I don't think so. Not yet. But it's just a reminder of, they had some players still missing, but they still managed to put on a big score against arguably the most informed team in the competition. Now, look, I understand Cowboys didn't play as well as they would have hoped, but I think it's a reminder mainly to the Broncos themselves. No, we are a top-tier side and we can do this. What do you think, Guru?
I was very impressed with Brisbane. I was pretty confident in tipping the North Queensland Cowboys. They got played off the park. You had a look at... I remember when I turned on the TV, you saw the scenes of the heavens just opening up and the rain coming in. And, I straight away thought, okay, without Payne Haas, maybe this might actually help the North Queensland Cowboys. Obviously, I underestimated the immortal light kicking game of Adam Reynolds. That was just off its head.
It's one of the best I've seen in a long time, to be honest.
As far as individual performances and picking out, he just made Drinkwater look silly or not. It was, yeah. And how about that last, the one that I loved, and it's full credit to Adam Reynolds, the one that Ezra Mam kicked for himself.
Oh.
And you watch Drinky and he's just going, where the fuck is Reynolds?
Yes.
What's he going to do to me this time?
Yeah.
And Ezra Mam just goes, yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, and I love that from Ezra, where Ezra's just got to get himself involved in the game and things will happen. There might be an error here or there, but the amount of individual kind of moments that Ezra has in such a short period, it's pretty special. But back to Adam Reynolds, but it was the mixture. It was his short kicking game. It was the long kicking game. It was just, he looked incredible. What do you think, Timmy, the Broncos?
Yeah, Broncos, really sort of low-key big win for them because they did it with, they've got stars across the field, but they did it without Reece Walsh and without Payne Haas. So a massive confidence booster after a mixed start to the season and a really difficult draw. Serious reality check for the Cowboys because they're really disappointing. I think while they've had some great moments to start this season, they've probably been flattered a bit by results. Like we look at the weekend, in wet conditions against the Broncos without those two men, with others, Pete Kura, a couple others there, conceded 38 points in wet conditions. Week before, beat the Dragons, but conceded 24 points. They were very ordinary against the Knights, got away with a golden point win. Conceded 18 against the Dolphins. Again, not terrible, but they've got the second worst defence in the NRL. So the fact that they're 3 from 4, despite having the second worst defence, it's a great sign. They're winning games. I mentioned they weren't the best against the Knights. They still got over the line. That's the sign of a good side, as we know. But yeah, a little bit of a wake-up call for the Cowboys. We'll probably get more into detail about them shortly. But the Broncos, they'll be chuffed with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the Cowboys, it's a wake-up call in the sense that against the bottom-ish sides, or let's just say the bottom 8, you can afford to just, sounds stupid, but outscore the opposition. I know that sounds stupid because that's how you win a game.
Our attack's better than yours. You will not score more points than us.
And if we can give you 20-minute periods where you score a bunch of tries, but we'll just go and score more tries. But when you go up against the Broncos, they're supposed to be a top-tier side. There's an argument you say, well, if you want to play that game, we can play it even better. But not only did they do that, the Broncos actually last year, in some stats, had the best defence in the competition. And it's a part of the Broncos game that doesn't get spoken about enough. I know it's been a little bit of a rocky start to the season for the Broncos. Obviously, Penrith put a bit of score on them. But their defence there's an argument to be made, it's one of the most underrated things in the game because everyone talks about incredible attack and they'll attack from anywhere. But they definitely had the second best defence in the competition last year. There are some stats, if you look at it, they had the best defence in the competition. And when the Cowboys ran into that, again, the Cowboys weren't great, but those little half chances that the Cowboys used in previous games to get themselves back into the game, they just weren't there. They just weren't there.
I won't steal your thunder, mate, but I thought Paddy Carrigan was just tremendous. I'll let you talk about him, but he is... I reckon he's going to finish his career as one of the best forwards we've seen. I genuinely do. He is just an absolute fucking freak. I did a thing on my podcast the other day, Can be going through a Jenga player from each team, the player that you could take out and the team would really struggle. I think the automatic answer is Reynolds, Walsh, Haas. Mate, I'd be very interested to see Brisbane without Paddy Carrigan, because I've seen them when they move into the edge and they look like a shell of themselves in attack. I reckon he is just so important and so valuable to this Broncos side.
Look what happened when he hip dropped Hastings a few years ago.
Yep.
And he was out for 5 weeks.
Yeah,
Can I just get you on a technicality there? I thought you weren't going to steal my thunder.
Thunder stolen.
Thunder has been stolen. Thunder has been stolen. So, Timmy, what do you think about Paddy? Who gives a fuck what I think?
Well, Guru's just recapped his whole career after not stealing your thunder. So.
Oh, mate, no.
I'm not sorry either.
Hey, that hair can make you do some crazy things. Mate, I agree with you. Like Paddy Carrigan, I as a Queenslander, I know New South Welshmen hate to say this, but geez, doesn't he just represent what Queensland is all about? Like, if you could mould a Queenslander that suits the jersey, suits the Broncos, is a pin-up boy at the Broncos, also a pin-up boy of origin, like Paddy Carrigan is that guy. His ability to just churn through, he's the kind of guy that you might watch the first 40 minutes and be like, oh, Paddy Carrigan's been okay. And then you go, hang on, you go look at his stats, and he's run for like 110 metres. A lot of his runs, they're not necessarily runs where you go, he's bumped 3 people and they're kind of flashy, but he always bends the line. It's just these runs that bend the line each time.
Momentum, Kempy. He's one of the best go forward props in the game. Not a stat sheet filler where there's a bunch of tackle busts, offloads, any sort of major attacking stats off the back of it. But as you said, every single time he runs the ball, there's a quick play of the ball, he bends the line. I think I mentioned before, someone like Hutchison at the Bulldogs, he doesn't really have a pack to play behind and they don't have that momentum through the middle.
Yeah.
Pat Carrigan is the guy to get you on the front foot, to get a quick play of the ball. The dummy half can race off the back of that. Everything comes off the back of it. Paddy Carrigan, arguably the number one go forward middle in the game.
Him
or his teammate.
Yeah, him or Haas, because then people go, well, what about Leota and Fisher-Harris? Don't get me wrong, Leota and Fisher-Harris, they are the dominant forwards, but I think that where you would just have the edge with Haas and Paddy in attack, I think that Fisher-Harris and Leota make up for in their defence. I think their defence is super aggressive, line speed.
And on top of that, this is not to get into the Broncos props versus Penrith props argument in terms of who's better, who has more influence, all that, but Carrigan's doing it in 71 minutes per game. The Leota, Fisher-Harris, they play 40 to 45. Doing it nearly double the time.
It's crazy. And so with Paddy,
74 minutes on the weekend.
74 minutes. Last week he played 80 in the middle, and they got completely dominated. He still had big stats. But also, it might sound silly, but a lot of the way he plays is super unselfish. And what I mean by that is obviously he plays unselfishly, he's tough. But when we talk about, do you think Paddy couldn't break tackles? Of course he could. Yeah. So when you go into contact, you've got a couple of options. You can go into contact and essentially, move your body so that you're trying to throw people off you. You can go into contact trying to hit the ground. You can go into contact trying to push through it. The amount of times Paddy Carrigan takes the unselfish option, like a non-stat patter, as you said before, where he goes, no, my job is purely momentum. It's not about my personal stats of bumping and wrestling people off me and getting tackle breaks and getting the ball at the back. He does have that in him, but every time he runs the ball, all he's thinking about is the perfect contact, then the perfect amount of post-contact meters, and then the right time to find your front. Because a lot of the time, it almost sounds counterintuitive, but if you're a halfback, sometimes you don't want your forwards fighting every tackle because that slows momentum down. Everything stops as they're fighting in the tackle. Whereas if you've got forwards, ironically, the Tigers did this 2005. They did it so well. They just went bomb, hit straight to the ground. All they were thinking about was momentum, and Paddy does that nearly every run where he'll pick his times well with the offload because he does have that in it, but usually he's just going the perfect contact, the perfect amount of post contact, and then the perfect time to get on the ground to play the ball and keep going. It's just, It's so impressive. So impressive.
And he does it for Brisbane week in, week out. And then, he goes to rep level and he just does the exact same thing. Nothing changes. Like, I look at a guy like Isaiah Yeo, and I know they're in very different teams when it comes to State of Origin, but, there's been a number of times over the last years where you've walked away from Origin going, geez, is Isaiah Yeo the right fit at 13? Is he, blah, blah. Does he fit that team structure and the way they want to play? Pat Carrigan, he just fits into every single team he's in.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. He just plays the perfect role every time.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, and just he's such a credit to the club. Like, I remember a few years ago when they were going through their darkest period, and they made him captain, and I felt like it was too early in his career. I think he was like 21, and they made him captain. There might have been an injury or something like that, and I was like, far out. Like, let this kid, give him an opportunity to develop before putting those pressure on his shoulders. And now we're seeing, and then obviously the captaincy went to Renault. And so he's been given the room to grow as a player. Because if you go back and watch his initial first couple of years at playing in first grade, you could see a great player there. But he would almost try too hard. And there'd be, he'd get through all this work and then there'd be a couple errors. And then because Reynolds come in, he was given that room to grow as a player and basically become the player he is today, where all of his work, it's 8 or 9 out of 10. Like, very rarely do you get a lazy play from Paddy Carrigan? Very, very rarely. So, it's an absolute credit to have him at the club. He is unbelievable. Another guy I want to give a shout out to. This is another thing that I'm really liking in the Broncos this year. We've talked about all the players that they've lost, and they've, their forwards. We need young forwards to step up. What I've really liked about some of these guys that are forwards that are on the bench is when they have a bad game, the next game they respond really well and rip and tear. I thought Fletcher Baker was outstanding. I really did. And then go back to 2 weeks ago, Kobe Hetherington had a bit of a poor game, came against Penrith, played really well. And that shows you, like, what that shows you is a standard and it shows you a squad that isn't okay with playing poor games. Like, if they'll play a poor game and they respond to it. Whereas there are some teams where a forward will come out and play a poor game, have 2 or 3 errors, and the next game, he doesn't. There's no real energy. He's not really, ripping and tearing. So I'm really liking that the Broncos at the moment.
Fletcher's best game for the club, and I think just the best game I've seen him play in general. He was very, very good. Mate, one of our CBAs for this year, Dean Mariner, the footwork is off the charts. It might not always lead to, results and whatnot, but just he must be an absolute nightmare to mark.
Oh, mate. I'd love to, sounds very specific, I'd love to know what his squat would be. He's so explosive. Like, his leg strength, unbelievably. Like, just at first 10 metres, but also his ability to change direction just on the dime.
Like
on
he's
a
floating.
Dime. It's fucking
it's
unbelievable
insane.
to watch. Really interesting. So Jaden Hunt, I thought, was really good, just got through his work, which is all we need from a guy coming in to play that edge back row spot, which actually, ironically, it forced the Broncos' hand. Because we had Piakora drop out, it forced them to put Oates. Because I don't think they put Oates on the bench if Piakora's playing. I think Hunt probably goes on the bench, you'd assume?
Yeah, I said it last week. I think it's worth considering with the modern game.
Well, what I'm saying is that it forced. I feel like it did force a hand, but then we saw him come on. He did okay, so he might get. It may be the right call.
He might be a sniff. Yeah,
100%.
Mate, what about the noise when he came on the field?
Mate, they love him. They love him.
Love him.
I think the beauty of it is, we saw Hunt play 66 minutes, so he spent a bit of time on the edge, but we saw when Piakura got injured round 1, I think it happened again a couple of weeks ago, and they didn't have outside back coverage, so they'd have forwards go to the back line, and they were just so short on. I think
Paddy had to go to the edge.
Yeah, Paddy got to the edge, so it's like, if Oates can spend time in the back row, doesn't even have to kill it, hold his own, do a job, run a decent line, but be that back line coverage as well, the balance of the team is much better.
If you can just say to Oates, mate, we need 20 minutes maximum in the back row from you a game. Like, I understand that if injuries happen earlier, but basically, like, worst case scenario, if no outside backs go down, we need you to play 20 good minutes on an edge.
But when they have like Piakura there, if he can stay on the field and stays fit and healthy, and Ricky, they're 80-minute edge back rows. If they do carry Oates there might be weeks there when Pat Carrigan and Haas are there, who are massive minute middle forwards. They might not need to put him on if they don't need to.
Yeah. It's look, I think the fact that Piakora got injured forced their hand. Like, I think that if Piakora doesn't get injured, Hunt probably starts on the weekend. You reckon?
Probably, yeah.
But it may have worked out perfectly, and maybe exactly what you were talking about last week, where maybe he does have 20 minutes in there. I personally, I don't see him as an 80-minute back rower. Like, I don't think it suits his style of play, but watching him on the weekend, you go, could he get 20, 30 minutes out if they have to? He probably could. He probably could. Now, it's one game, we get all that. But surely, if you're not asking him to play 80 on the edge, surely he'll be able to just bang a 20 out if he needs to.
It's also like, it's not like it's his first ever time playing there. Like he's tried to do this on a few occasions.
Yeah, it did not go that well.
Yeah.
But he's older. He's, if he wants to be in the 17, this is the way he's going to find his at the moment, because like Jesse Arthurs and Dean Mariner are unbelievable. But yeah, great. It's, put it this way. At the start of the season, what was my biggest concern was our edge back row depth. Hunt came on, did a job. Corey Oates was okay. That's great signs. It's
good not by Jaden Hunt too, because I spoke about him when he left the Dragons. I think he's a really good middle. I've actually been surprised how well he's gone out on the edge. That's full credit to him.
Now, there's been a bit of discussion of Tristan Sailor Oates on the bench. At the moment, I would have Oates over Tristan.
Yep.
Because you've just got more chances to play him. I just don't know where you bring Tristan on.
Especially when you're running with 2 9s.
Yeah.
2-9-2, you don't really want them spending time as a 13.
No.
Like, if they can cover and spend time in the middle there, like, even like Mitch Kenny can do at Penrith, it's fine. But if you carry Sailor with 2 out-and-out 9s...
No.
Yeah,
especially when you're also running with Kobe Hetherington, who I love Hetherington, but he's not the biggest body in the world.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, now on to the Cowboys. We'll just talk about it off the bat. Tom Dearden. Those hips do not lie. They don't quit. They're so strong and pure and true.
Shakira Dearden.
Oh, man. He must listen to Shakira, literally just Shakira before the games. On repeat. Again, I know New South Welshmen hate to hear this, but like seeing that as a Queenslander, you're just like, mate, that is what it's all about.
That's the spirit in a bottle, isn't it? You're down by, 20 already, and then to just chase?
Just chase
Doesn't
to get
give
the job
up.
done.
I always forget he's a fucking Queenslander.
I'm like,
Shits me to know
what's
him.
that, 3 Queensland mentions in the last 15 minutes or something?
Well, it is a Queensland derby.
You guys don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it. Quick question. I've been mulling on this for a while.
Great, here we go.
Is Aussie Spirit just borrowed Queensland Spirit? This will rile them up.
You're lucky this pump bottle is made of glass, mate.
Hey, it's just a question. I'm just asking the question. I didn't say it was true. Just asking the question. Can I get an answer?
Do you want to deck him or me?
Let us know in the comment section. Is Aussie Spirit just Queensland Spirit borrowed? I'm just asking the question.
I've got Kempy's home address and I will post it in the comments.
Oh, that'll rile a lot of people up. Obviously, it's a joke, guys. Jeez Louise. All right.
I don't think he's joking.
Oh,
I think you should hire him in the
spiteful.
I don't think he is
you
either.
should really come for him.
Oh, here we go. I tell you what, it'll pump Origin up. Gets people. Could you imagine if a Queenslander got like on 9 or Fox and was like, "I just got a question for you guys." Anyway.
I mean, they do try and sing the team song when the Kangaroos win, so they think that it is correct. But that just shows what kind of blokes they
Still, that was like 20 years ago. Still thinking about it.
are. I don't forget anything.
Okay. Quick question though about Origin.
Queensland.
Queensland. Munster's still unsure about when he's going to come back. There were some people. I mean, I think on 9 they were tossing up Ezra, but you'd have to say Dearden's got that 6 jersey wrapped up at the moment.
Dearden and be in my side.
Sure.
Straight away.
Straight, yeah.
Didn't
Okay,
been great.
yeah. He just summed it up. That was Queensland spirit on display.
Yeah. And he killed it in Origin already. And I think Ezra is a year or 2 away from Origin.
Yeah. I think it'll even be interesting, if this was, and I don't know if it will be or not, but if this was to be Benny Hunt's last series, I know we're all talking the loser out of KP and Reece Walsh for 14. I'd be happy to have Dearden there.
Oh, Dearden's would be a great 14. You know he's going to come on through the middle and just torture you. Anyway, now to the Cowboys.
It does seem, and Teamless Shoes are going to be out, but it does seem like Munster's going to be named today.
Oh, well, there you go. Man, what a headache to have. You already kind of alluded to it, but definitely a big wake-up call for the Cowboys that, okay, you've got great attack, you can put points on, but at the end of the day, it's obviously defence that wins premierships. Just a really sloppy performance, and I guess a concern for them because they came out in the first 3 rounds, so they've played Dragons, Knights, and sorry, who was round 1 again? Dolphins. There's an argument to be made not a single one of them is a top 8 side. Now, maybe towards the end of the year they could be, but at the moment, they're not a top 8 side. The concern for the Cowboys is you got up against a top 8 side. Well, I mean, technically, they're not even a top 8 side right now, but, most people have them in the top 8.
They're a top 8 side.
Yeah. And you got dominated, unfortunately, and you didn't turn up. So, what do you boys reckon? Is that too harsh? Is that not too harsh? What are your thoughts?
No, I don't think so. They had me hoodwinked as the real deal. Cowboys. I'm still not convinced that they're not the real deal. But, yeah, it was a very, very disappointing performance from them. And, you know, I know it doesn't suit the Cowboys when it's raining and whatnot. You just got to simplify your game. But they've got a forward pack that when you're taking on Brisbane without paying halves, you should be able to compete in that game.
And Piacora's gone as well. Reece Walsh has gone.
Yeah. They've got the forward pack to compete. It was one of those games that Tamalolo seemingly played 50 minutes, so he was okay. So there's no excuses.
And it's even, you know, you might go, oh, well, our completion, we made a lot of errors, that's why. But just the fact that in a big game you would turn up like that, like play so poorly, that's the it's not necessarily that you lose, it's the fact that the things that you could control in a big game, unfortunately, you didn't control.
Their outside backs made 15 errors.
It's crazy numbers.
Just your back line. Just your back five.
Their kick defusal was 36%. We know Adam Reynolds' kicking was unbelievable. We know it was wet, this, that, but in no world is that okay in the amount of mistakes. And you sort of alluded to it there, Guru, but just discipline. With the rain coming down the way it was, you can't afford to be expansive and throw the ball around and offload it coming off your own line. Like, there was one, I think it was Laybutt there, and he had about 3 blokes on him, crush him. He tried to pop a ball out the bat to Drinky, turned it over, little things like that. You change your style of footy to the conditions that are in front of you, and it was a wet night, it was tough. They had to simplify things, just as you said, and they didn't.
Well, I mean, you could sit there and go, oh, yeah, we got beaten by a grindy side in the rain. It's like, no. Broncos are just like you guys, but they managed to go, let's pull it in, boys.
Very similar styles of play in terms of expansive, using the footy, throwing it around.
I guess the difference is the reason why Broncos could do that at least last year is, we spoke about it earlier, it's their defence. Their defence gives them the grace to do that. And the Cowboys, you know, we've spoken about it already, but they've leaked quite a few points. What's your second worst defensive team in the comp at the moment? And it's like, you just can't afford to do that in the big games.
Originally, I was very critical, like everyone watching the game, of the back line. The entire back seven, Guru mentioned 15 errors between them, the kick defusals, all that. But you sort of think, oh, maybe the forward pack went half okay, but the 2 hooker tries straight through the middle of them, like one was straight through. Drinky's not the best defender in the world. When he's at A mark there, he becomes such an easy target for them. But I think Tamalolo for the first try of the game, Billy Walters dummied, and Tamalolo on his own line just went the other way. There were some glaring issues.
Another big issue for him is, so Dearden didn't have 1 kick, and Chad Townsend only had 307 kicking metres compared to 650 from Adam Reynolds. And so, like, that's essentially 300 metres. Like, that's an average set is around 45 metres. So you're kicking for, what's that, like essentially 6 sets worth of meterage more with Adam Reynolds there. And I didn't even include, you know, Ezra Mam had 4 kicks for 66 metres.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you don't get through your sets. You just keep handing the ball back to them.
Yeah. And so that's just, I guess, the worrying thing for the Cowboys, it's not obviously panic stations, but the worrying thing is that, as I said, they got to a big game, Queensland Derby. The big question with them is like, they no longer, like, yes, they beating bottom 8 sides. Of course they should beat bottom 8 sides. But you should be rocking up to big games, and at least it should be competitive. It was for periods there, but just what was it, 60% completion rate? 61.
They'll continue this year, the Cows, barring injuries and whatnot, to put some big scorelines on weaker teams in the competition. That means nothing if you get to finals time and you're playing, you know, September footy, and you get towed up 2 weeks in a row because you can't defend. Judge them on how they go against the better sides in the competition.
I'll tell you what, the biggest loser out of this game, you heard Todd Payton after the game speak about how disappointed he was they put up that sort of performance in a Queensland derby. They play the Titans this week coming, Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock on a dry track up there.
God.
That might be the worst matchup of the week possible for the Titans.
Yeah, for the Titans, absolutely.
I think I'd rather play Penrith, to be honest with you.
Because, like, you know that Payton will be ripping the boys this week.
Ripping. They'll probably give the Titans a bath there, but you mentioned they struggling against decent sides, or we want to see it against good sides. After that, they got the Eels, the Sharks, and then the Panthers. So got 3 pretty tough weeks straight after the Titans as well.
In regards to some positives, who stood out for you guys? Obviously, the Tom Dearden tackle. Anyone stood out positively?
Yeah, the Tom Dearden tackle was just incredible. Never really seen something like that before. He's such a special player, Tommy did. He shits me to no end as a New South Welshman. Just worries the hell out of me. And as far as positive performances, I didn't really have too many more in there, if I'm completely honest with you. I thought that the boys coming off the bench have been tremendous this year so far in McIntyre and Griffin Neame. Both probably their worst games of the season, so I'm just keen to see how they respond to that. Outside of that, mate, I didn't really take too many positives from this.
It's hard when you look at 60% completion rate. It's hard to go, okay, for example, Nanai, 7 runs. And so is that Nanai falling back into his old bad habits, or is it the fact that they, weren't completing at a high rate?
Yeah, it's...
You know what I mean? Like,
it's tough. Yeah.
If they completed a high percentage and he had those runs, you'd be like, mate, that's Nanai falling into his old habits. I still think, though, like even in games like this where the completion rate is 60%, just at least 10.
41 metres.
Yeah.
One guy we'll give her out to, mate.
I know he did tackle his ass off. He had 37 tackles, but, 10.
One guy we'll give her out to, he had 2 errors, but, in that back line, that was pretty good. Cole Felt ran for 177 metres. Tough carries too.
Yeah.
We said at the start of the year with Valame sort of lurking that extended squad, I think Felt has really upped his run meters this year.
And then when you look across to Talangi, 16 runs, 163 metres, 70 post contact, 3 tackle breaks. Obviously he had the errors, but the positive is at least he's getting through that work week in, week out.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts on their front row?
Yeah, there just isn't much punch there, is there? Like McLean's very up and down. He's a solid, experienced footballer, but you want to pair him with another explosive guy. And, Taumalo on his day can be that guy, but I don't know. I just don't think we're getting the Taumalo that we have of previous years. And, you can still be a damn good footballer without having to be Mr. Explosiveness. But I don't know. I said in the preseason I'd be looking for a player swap for Taumalo.
Yeah.
I think they are by the sound.
Yeah, it sounds like they are. I mean, it's just...
And this is the risk you take with these 10-year deals, that, especially with forwards that are all about volume.
I think regardless of how because he's still got, 2 years left? 3 years left?
It's 3, yeah.
Jeez. Surely, yeah. He hasn't been as explosive as you would have hoped this year. Even with the lesser minutes, if you just said, mate, just go out there and rip and tear for 20.
You know what? If you had another explosive guy with him, it's probably sweet.
Yeah.
But because you got him and Jordan McLean, that just neither of them are really.
And you got 2 absolute veterans of the game at the very much the twilight of their careers, doing a job, but Taumalo's got this degenerative knee condition, whatever it might be, where when they're out in front early, he's basically playing 20 minutes. It's happened twice this season. Again, it's not panic stations because they were leading the comp a week ago.
Yeah, and also, this is a Broncos side that...
Yeah, could have been, a whisker from a title last year. So not panic stations wouldn't change anything too dramatically. I do look at it and go, someone like Griffin Neame, who's been really good in recent years. He's a Kiwi international now, fit, healthy, bigger minutes in him. He played 31 off the bench. Do you start trying to get a few more minutes into someone like Neame? Does he start the game? And do you bring one of Taumalo or McLean off the bench? I don't know, but...
I would consider starting Neame and basically bringing Taumalo on for similar to what Junior Polo did at the start of this year. Go, mate, we just need you on there for the 20-minute mark around then, and just go as hard as you can till half time, and then we can reassess where the game is maybe.
Have 2 15-minute stints, go as hard as you can, and then, as they're doing now, if they do get out to a lead, which will happen countless times this season, I dare say, you're just playing for the first stint and you let him play his 15-20.
Because if you bring him off the bench, you're basically saying, look, let's not give you any of the shit work. Let's just give you all the good work, which is what you do best, is just bending the line. Yeah. Whereas if you're playing in the first 20, he's taking the brunt of the game, and it's is that the best use of a Taumalo that clearly is hindered? I mean, they've come out and said he's hindered by injury. What do you got there?
It's 3 years after this year, so it's end of 2027.
God.
Yeah, wow. Hopefully we're just seeing a hangover from the injuries he had last year. Maybe didn't he break his?
And look, just in terms of the Cowboys, being very hard to be positive about them this week, but it is the NRL. Penrith are the only team that can get up week in, week out. Every team has a down performance, so hopefully it's just a one-off for the Cows.
Yeah. I guess the major red flashing light is the fact that they've played essentially bottom 8 sides. They get first game against a big side. And again, it's not that they lost, it's just the fact that they just didn't look like anywhere near the team they were looking a couple of weeks ago. But it's so early in the season. Like we might be 10 rounds down going, like, they open the year, they're 3 from 4.
Yeah.
So it's like...
The wrist was a few years ago. It was the knee cartilage last year, which put him out for probably a third of the season.
Yeah. So not panic stations at all, but definitely still questions of how are they ranked against those top-tier sides. That has yet to be answered. We know they can dominate the bottom 8 sides. How they're going to go against the top-ranked sides. And we'll soon find out. We've got, as you said, the Eels. They've got Titans.
Yep.
They should win.
Eels,
Sharks,
Panthers.
Penrith. So you're probably going to know where they're at by around like 9 or 10, I think, where they're really at. But 3 from 4, like, fuck, can't ask for much more than that. I know some haven't been pretty, but it's still 3 from 4. Now, our LDV T60 power play of the week is Tom Dearden for his ridiculous chase on Selwyn Cobbo. We've already spoken about it. Incredible play from Dearden, and I think by the end of his career, he's probably going to have 5 or 6 of them. The LDV T60 has 160 kilowatts of grunt, which makes it the most powerful ute in its class. The LDV is a sharply priced option from $369.90 drive away for ABN holders during the LDV 2023 plate clearance, making it ideal for those considering buying a new ute or even those considering buying a second-hand competitor at that price. Why go second-hand when you can have a brand new LDV? Now, Dragons defeat Manly 20-12. 20-12. Look, really happy for the Dragons, like good win, but the standard of this game was ouch. Ouchie.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disaster, this one.
Holy heck, it's...
Especially when you're forced to wait an extra 3 or 4 hours for footy on a Saturday and you get dealt this. Very tough to watch. Mate, I couldn't believe how this afternoon played out for Tommy Turbo. That first offload was potentially the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then the last 60, with all due respect to Tommy, like it might have been the worst 60 minutes of his entire career. He was just a shell of himself, wasn't he? Oh, I've never seen him like that.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah, everything.
It was just not his day, was it?
No.
Like just clean dropping balls thrown at him, no one in front of him. I've never seen anything like it from Tommy Turbo.
There was even one like he sort of had a half tackle break and there was guys there and normally you just see him body up. He almost just sort of went, fuck, just tackle me.
Yeah.
Let's just hold the fucking football. It was bizarre. I've never seen him like that.
Yeah. It's with Manly, it's way too soon to tell, but it's like you get a bit concerned, is this like, are we getting early season wobbles now? They start the year really fast, and then these last 2 weeks, again, it's not. If you're just looking at this season alone, you go, look, all good, just one of those days. A couple of weeks haven't gone their way, but then when you like compare it to some of the last couple of years where they've started really fast, or at least last year they started relatively fast. You go, are we starting to see a similar pattern? I don't know.
It's a funny comparison or an interesting comparison, I should say, towards what we just said about the Cowboys, because Manly, I have seen enough this season to still be optimistic and be like, this game was such a horror show for them. Just put a line through it and move on, because they have beaten the Roosters. They beat the Bunnies in round 1, pretty convincingly over in Vegas, which... Now it looks like the Bunnies are pretty ordinary, but before that game, we had a lot of people had the Bunnies as premiership contenders. Parramatta, who have shown some good signs this season, they just lost to them.
They did lose an 18-0 lead though.
Yeah, but they've shown signs against good footy teams this year, whereas the Cowboys, who had the bad loss, they kind of hadn't.
Yeah. I get concerned that like it's one of those things where if they go out and lose again, all of a sudden it's like, you just get those kind of scars from last year where things have fallen off a cliff. And then obviously the year before, midway through the year, everything happens. I'm not saying they're there yet, but I'm sure there are probably people in the club going, in their heart of hearts going, I hope when the wheels aren't falling off at the moment. But I agree with you. They've definitely, their defence needs a lot of work, in my opinion, especially their goal line defence. But their attack, for me, has shown enough to be like, this is a top 8 side if they're all fit.
And you look at a game like this, and it's going to be very easy to critique them, but it's too bad to be true. Like Tommy Turbo had 5 errors, 5 handling errors. DC had 2, a couple of absolute shockers. These guys are going to bounce back, and this is a one-off for them.
Yeah, I think they will. What do you reckon, Guru?
Yeah, it's very similar to Manly and Cowboys games. Like the fullbacks just had possibly their worst games we've ever seen from both of them. If you even take out 2 or 3 errors from those guys, are they different games of football? Potentially more so the Manly game than the Cowboys game, obviously. I don't know. Manly's just hard to work out, isn't it? Because it does tend to be a little bit of a Seabold thing. Start fast, fade.
And kind of come back-ish towards the end.
Well, Manly, to finding out where a team's at, Manly the next 2 weeks have Penrith and the Warriors.
Yeah, see, this Penrith game, it's without Cleary and Fish still. It'd still be a good yardstick, I think, to see where they're at. Especially that
good yardstick.
Yeah.
It might be a better yardstick, realistically.
Yeah.
I mean, if they come out and get trounced by that side missing those players.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
One hell of a yardstick.
That's a fair point. What do you reckon about Manly?
Yeah, well, I was very hot on them to be top 4. Well, not top 4, but knocking on the door of the top 4 if they could all stay fit. Maybe that's one positive. Everyone's fit. Like, they just had a bit of a stinker on the weekend. You know, and you mentioned it, Timmy, a lot of guys that don't normally make a lot of mistakes have been making them. So that you'd back him to bounce back. Are we looking for some positives yet?
Let's look at some positives.
Yeah, some positives. Well, look, missed a couple of tackles if we're being nitpicky, which we said we're going to be. But Ola Kawatu had an unreal game. Team of the week for starters, but 205 metres, 103 post-contact. Outrageous behaviour. He'd have to be... I mean, look, we've spoken about him for a little while, but little Origin Smokey there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gone past Smokey chat into...
Probably there.
In the conversation, be very surprised if he's not in the squad.
Yep.
Very surprised. Look, he's still got, 6 games to go, and he did lull a bit in the middle of the year last year, but at the moment, he'd be my front runner for that edge spot.
Origin 1, Ola Kawatu and Dave Fafita going toe-to-toe.
And then Liam Martin on the other edge. But yeah, at the moment, if I was to select the back row, it'd be Martin, Ola Kawatu, and I'd have Murray at 13.
Murray's at 13, I think.
Yeah, even though Isaiah's been incredible, I don't know, I just think they've gone better with Murray at 13.
Yo on the pine?
Yeah, for sure. Yo's in the side for me, 100%. And then I'd be going Cleary, Moses in the halves at the moment.
Tell you what, just speaking of Origin, man, I hope we've got all the injuries out of the way.
Yeah.
Because if Origin was played last week, it would have been absolute carnage.
Yes, it would. Yeah, absolutely. But Ola Kawatu, he started off the year absolutely ripping and a tearing. Who else stood out for you guys for the Manly Sea Eagles?
Once again, mate, probably not a stack of people.
Ben Travojevic, was he taken off injured? Or was he?
No, mate, I sort of said this last week. He's only playing 50 minutes now. He started the game really well. What I spoke about last week is that he was having 5 hit-ups in a game and he was really quiet. He had 5 hit-ups in the first 25 minutes. I thought, okay, Burbo's back here. He's on. And with 30 minutes left in the game when it was in the balance, they took him off and put Corey Waddell on, which, I don't know, it's not the move I would have made, but...
Surely you back Ben Travojevic in, he had a really good round 1, relatively good round 2, not quite got round 3. Like, surely gets longer than that to be an 80-minute back rower.
Hopefully he's carrying an injury or there's something there, but yeah, it's not what I expected from him when we kicked off the season.
Boys, I got a lot of time for Carl Lawton, who's unfortunately had... just can and will find an injury a lot throughout his career. So struggles to string games together, but we talk so often on the potty the value in the current game of a player who can come on as a sort of genuine number 9, but also spend quality minutes in the middle as a 13. Lawton does that for Manly. He had 2 unreal try savers on the weekend. It was like in the space of 1 set or 2 sets. One was on Bird, one was on Leilua. I just think he adds a lot of spark to them. He's tough as nails, bit of dog about him. Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's that player that you just want. If you get an opportunity to play decent minutes for a whole season, I feel like you'd start to go, this kid, he is super, he's a bit quite nuggety.
Really hard to stop close to the line.
Really hard to stop. Really good in contact. Almost a bit cheesy sometimes, can play a bit like the cheese.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, mate. I think he's just unfortunate with injuries and that.
The other one I would give a rap to, and I think he's having a very, very good season so far, is Paseka.
Yeah, Paseka and Brown. I think Brown's been
a good little signing.
He's been great for him. Just the speed of the ruck through the middle when he comes on the field. Like, he come on, he played 49 minutes. He had 14 runs, 138 metres, 50 post contact, and offload 17 tackles, 2 misses in an error.
And, you know, Paseka, if I'm honest, frustrated me for years because I just stood there and watched him and go, mate, you are the biggest guy on the field.
Yeah.
Please, just take him on. And over the last 2 years he has. I thought he was probably their best front row forward last year. Then he got injured and I thought, okay, is he going to be able to come back and find that form? You have a look at the weekend, 19 runs, 186 run metres, but 86 post contact.
I would say probably his best start to a season so far.
I think, yeah. Yep.
You know, like he had that great game against the Roosters a couple of weeks ago against, you know, this Lindsay Collins, Origin front rower, Terrell May. Like, to be able to do that against those teams is pretty fucking fair.
Yeah, and this is where I'm really keen to see how he goes this week up against Penrith without Fish. Second needs to have a big game to give his Seagulls any chance.
Who else stood out for the Manly Seagulls, or is it just kind of just one of those games where it just didn't work out?
Yeah, I think it's
put a line through it.
Put a line through it, move forward.
Yep.
Put a line through Manly, period. Or
Done. Nah.
Not yet.
I mean, you'd be hypercritical of them for a bunch of different reasons, but like Garrick's been okay at centre, but defensively on that edge, they've been struggling a little bit. I still really like Ruben Garrick as a winger, but they've also had some good signs there as well. So it's reassessed me in a week or two, and they've had some really difficult opposition. As I said, too bad to be true on the weekend.
And also, it's just like the whole game was a bludger. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't anyone's day. Okay, now on to the Dragons. Look, a win's a win. You get them where you can get them. Good on them. As I said, I know it was an ugly game, but good on the Dragons. Like, they're fighting. Yeah, they're up and down, and you know, it's a roller coaster at the moment for Dragons fans. But what are they? 2 from 4 now?
Yep.
Like, isn't that the same as Bronx? Yeah.
Yep.
Like, if I'm a Dragons fan, I'm taking that every day of the week.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, you looked at this Dragons pack at the start of the year and you just sort of thought, geez, I don't know where they're going to get punched from. But, like, I think their forward pack looks great at the moment. I've obviously added Luciano Leilua, Jaden Sewers, found good form. But I reckon Tommy Eisenhuth is flying at the moment.
Yeah, and when they signed him, I was like, this is the last kind of player they need. Like, Dragons signing a battler, like their whole forward pack is battlers. But I agree with you, mate. I think he's been a fantastic signing for the Dragons.
He's been great. Like, that was Harm Saleh's first hit out as well. He'll be better for the run. I thought Jack DeBellin coming off the bench, I think he played about 65 minutes. He went enormous. And, mate, the halves are just doing their job. Ben Hunt and Kyle Flanagan, they're just dictating terms. They're doing what they need to do. They've got strikeout wide. Jack Bird's looking the best he's looked in years.
Bird's the word.
Bird's the word.
It is the word. I think it's almost it's settled now. Like, he's a centre.
Yep.
I think he's shown this year that he's an out-and-out centre and he probably should stay there. Yeah.
And I mean, like, you go back and you have a look to the glory days of the Sharks when they won that premiership. Like, they were still just a tough and gritty side. They had more star power in their side, no doubt about it. But they just find a way to win tight games like this. This Zach Lomax situation is so fucking intriguing. I have no idea.
Yes, because basically Flano's confirmed, like, Lomax is gone. Because he said he's been quoted saying, you know, if the Eels want him, I want one of their best players because that's... Ironically, so he's like, I want one of their best players because Lomax is one of our best players. And it's like... Oh, that's really strange because it's like, if he's one of your best players, then why are you getting rid of him? But look, it looks like it's definitely happening. Very bizarre situation.
Very
to be
strange.
so public as well.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, like, there's a number of clubs out there that, geez, you can make a big move by bringing Lomax into your side. Like, if Parramatta were to add
Paraland him,
like
that's a big
not
win.
that you guys desperately need him, but geez, he'd be nice at your side too.
If he lobbed at the Eels, gee, that changes a lot for them.
Roosters New South Wales Cup could do with another one.
Yeah, very, very, like, I mean, you know what's funny? It's like a very Flanagan-esque situation where he's so open about it.
Yeah.
But he just seems to work. Like Lomax is playing arguably the best footy he's played, and yet all the noise around Lomax has never been louder. You know what I'm saying? But Flano just makes it work. He just makes it work somehow.
Yeah, and, you know, with all this noise going on, credit to Lomax because he's not slowing down. But maybe part of it is he's playing for a contract somewhere else. But 22 hit-ups. He's just doing this week in, week out.
Yeah, like he's never been more motivated than he is right now.
Which, as a Dragons fan, I cannot imagine anything more fucking frustrating.
Yeah. Another look. I think that I didn't think Flanagan. I thought Flanagan and Hunt would struggle to click because I just don't know whether Flanagan's a 6, but it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty bloody good pairing so far, especially when you consider he was signed at the club as just a depth signing, if if that's what was reported. I think they go pretty well together, to be honest. And so far, they've gone much better than I assumed they would go.
Yeah, gone heaps better than I thought they would. Little shout out to Kyle. 30 tackles on the weekend, only missed 2. Pretty good knock for a guy his size.
And he just looks quite comfortable in the role that he's playing in the side. I think that you go back and watch him play in the Bulldogs and seemed a bit quite unsure as to what he was. Was he the guy to lead the team around, or was he the second fiddle, or did they just need him to kick and tackle? Whereas he's actually showing a bit more in his game that I didn't realise that he had. I think he's been a pretty good combination with Hunt, and Benny Hunt with 3 try assists. So clearly they're connecting okay.
Yeah, I think he looks great, Flano, and I think he is bringing out the best in Benny Hunt.
What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, look, you can sit here and say Manly were terrible and point fingers and say, they won't dish up tripe like that again this season, but got to give credit to the Dragons' defence. I watched this whole game and all the stats, or a lot of the stats, go in favour of Manly. Like they had 53% of possession, 200 more running metres.
Nearly 4 more minutes with the ball.
Yeah. They didn't really look like penetrating or breaking through the Dragons' line. They had 2 line breaks in the entire game. There was the Kohler try to start the game, which is a bit of freakish brilliance from Tommy Turbo. Even then, they had 3 blokes on him. Looked like job done. Pops the ball out. Olaquatu, with a couple of minutes left on the clock, scored a late try. I think they got him one-on-one maybe with Flano or whoever it was. No one in the game was really stopping him that close to the line. Their defence was just unreal the entire game. So, you sort of spoke about Shane Flanagan before, but it's amazing how quickly his imprint has landed on this Dragons, and as a club, just gritty, just like we saw at the Sharks, and nothing pretty about the win as such. It wasn't a great game to watch as a spectator, but defensively, you've got to take your hat off to the Dragons because it was really, really impressive. Yeah,
they also, the Seagulls had 3 dropouts. That's good defence to defend 3 dropouts. Now, they may have got 1 or 2 back from a knockback, but just the fact that they're down your end, rolling the ball in, means you're defending your line. Yeah,
and it's not like Manly on their day are one of the best attacking teams in the competition. Didn't look like breaking them.
Yeah. It's such a polar kind of comparison to the Titans. If you had said Desi, Hasler or Flano, who's going to imprint on their side quicker, you would have said Desi every day of the week. And even with the roster Desi has to work with. Whereas Flanagan, as I said, there is this kind of mad chaos that he works in. Get pumped 30-0 or whatever by the Dolphins, come out next week, show a bit of fight against the Cowboys and start really well, and then go and play Manly, and it's obviously Manly came to them, but playing Manly, who's a relatively red-hot side, and just find a way to turn it into a dogfight and get the job done. As I said, I think as a Dragons fan, look, is it everything you ever dreamed of? No, not yet. But I would be pretty happy with the start of the season from Dragons. Outside of that one game that was a disaster, I'd be pretty happy.
It is wild just how comfortable he is in chaos.
It just works.
It doesn't worry him in the slightest.
Yep, it just works. Whereas a lot of other clubs with all this noise around them, it would just crumble. It would just crumble into a heap. Who stood out for you for the Dragons?
Well, you've covered off on a couple of them, but shout out to Tyrell Sloan as well. In the trials earlier in the year, everyone was going, or we were all sitting here saying, just got to get the errors out of his game. Just had 1 on the weekend. Obviously still not perfect, but seems like he's got those down a little bit. Obviously got 2 tries as well, so he looks like he's fitting in pretty well at fullback.
Top try scorer this year.
Yeah.
And also, when you've got Lomax and Bird and even Sully at times, but all the boys, the outside backs, running for over 100 metres. So Lomax 177, Sully 108, Bird 179, Ravalawa 117. That does take the weight off Sloan's shoulders a bit to do all those tough carries that he's probably not built to do. Look, has he set the world alight? I don't think so, but at the same time, has he rounded out his game and just removed some of the really, really poor stuff? I think he has so far this year. Obviously, we'll wait, when you get towards the back end of the year where the body's hurting, you're fatigued, see how he goes. But so far, I'd say it's a pass mark.
Oh, for sure. And I think, all Sloan has to do is round out his game. And the explosive moments will come.
Yeah.
The blow them away moments will come, but in the meantime, he can't allow these games that he's had last year where he has 3 and 4 errors and he falls asleep for 15 minutes at a time happen. And this year he's been great, and you have to give full credit to him.
I'm just trying to check here how many, because I think he had 8 tackles on the weekend. Can you check for us? 8 tackles, no misses, if I'm reading that correctly.
Sloan?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it says here too.
That's fantastic. 8 tackles, 0 misses. If you would have never guessed that last year with Sloan. No. That's the stat I will care about with Sloan. That's the stat I care about. It's like the one area where we know he needs to improve comes out 8 tackles, 0 misses. That's bloody good. So yeah, Dragons fans, I think you should be pretty happy with where you're at. You've got an identity now. You've got a culture. It looks like. Then now that's the building blocks for moving forward. Hopefully go into the market maybe and recruit some players. Yeah.
Come on, Dragons fans, fire up, would you say?
Fire up, Dragons fans, fire up. Also, quick shout out, we've spoken about it quite a few times, but hasn't Jaden Sewer just reminded us of the standard of player? I feel like he was kind of like the forgotten man last year because of the injury, but he's just reminded us, like he's an Origin, he has played Origin. He's a bloody good back rower.
Yeah, and you're starting to sort of see the Jaden Sewer that we saw at the Broncos in the early days where you just thought, fuck, he could be the best second row in rugby league.
Yep.
Just in a few years' time.
Yeah, he's really been good this year. Really, really been good. All right, don't forget, KO Sports is the place to watch all 8 NRL games. There's also plenty of other great content you can watch across so many different sports. So make sure to jump on KO to watch your team play every week. Dolphins defeat the Titans 30-14. Okay, we'll talk about Dolphins first. Obviously, the start of the game was like, like the Titans are going to explode into the game and almost blow them off the park. Did really, really good, the Dolphins, of like taking that pressure and just holding on, and then obviously returning serve. Look, I'm not overly convinced with the Dolphins yet, but they're racking up a couple wins, getting the wins obviously where they can, and it's at least a good foundation. You get if you get the wins early in the year, especially with a new club, it's a good foundation for maybe later in the year when people continue to improve that you can squeeze into the 8. You know, I think Katoa's been really good since he's been brought back into the side. Obviously extending his contract as well during the year. I thought Flegler was outstanding, especially his second stint. What did you boys think of the Dolphins?
I find them so hard to read, the Dolphins. Outside of Penrith, they could beat or lose to anyone on any given week. I don't quite know what to expect each week. You mentioned Flegler there, mate. I thought he was amazing in this game. He's been such a good little signing for them. You got to remember, in this game, they found themselves down 12-0 pretty quickly. They then had the sin bin to Max Plath. So off the back of that, you should be no hope in the NRL when you're down and then you have a sin bin. To have managed to get themselves back into this game, very impressive. Jack Bostock, 2 tries. He had a heap of errors as well. But I feel like he's just improved so much from the guy that we saw last year.
Oh, absolutely. Remember when he made his debut and it was like they were just flying out of the line to jam him, and then Wayne Bennett almost said I don't think you're ready yet, and dropped him. But it wasn't a dropping of you played terribly. It was more. It seemed like more of okay, physically, I'm just not sure if you're there. He's definitely ready now. Yeah,
he's well and truly ready. And, as I said, had a few errors on the weekend, but, some of the finishes he had, and just, his body has just changed so much in the last year.
Just the contact he can take.
Yeah.
It's night and day. It's really night and day. What do you think of the Dolphins, Timmy?
Yeah, what I like about the Dolphins is, like you mentioned, Guru, they can be a bit hit or miss week to week, but I see development in the team and improvement in the team and in the players. I look at Tabuai Fido, I can see his ball playing improving with every game as a fullback. I can see Isaiah Katoa getting deeper into the line and just looking more and more confident each week. The interchange of passing between the forwards is really impressive. Scoring a lot of tries off tip-ons. Tommy Flegler's been great. It's a side on the up. Of course, we need to see it more consistently from them, but I think the signs are pretty good. To come back from, 12-0 down or something on the weekend and put in what ended up being a pretty dominant win away from home. I like what they're doing.
Well, they're currently on top of the table.
Yeah.
It's I know it's so round 4, but it's still all right.
Yeah. It's round 4. They've had a bye. We get it, but they've still been impressive. Yeah.
I tell you, there's other teams that would kill to have that, be sitting on top.
I genuinely had to double take. Then I'm like, what? They're on top. I'm like, 2 wins, a loss, a bye.
I Geez, when you think about heading into the future and whatnot, obviously Wayne won't be there next year. It'll be a huge loss, but also the experience they're going to miss in Jesse Bromwich. Well, that try that he set up on the weekend, very stock standard, but a real experienced play. Just to be able to just sum it all up in a split second. Jesse Bromwich isn't known for his ball playing, but he's just seen enough rugby league that it's all just slowed down for him now.
Yeah, I think that the almost the yin and the yang of Bromwich and Flegler is if they can land that perfect kind of balance between the young explosive front rower and then the old veteran, it might be exactly the good partnership that you need.
It's exactly what we're talking about with Taumalolo. Yeah, you have him with the young, like if you have him with a Flegler, good as gold. You're flying.
Yeah,
mate. You mentioned Isaiah Katoa before. That's the most matured and confident I've seen him look. He's had better games where he's come up with more stats and whatnot, but just as a halfback, he looked so confident in himself the other day.
Yeah. I love nothing more in the NRL, say it time and time again, just the halfback that digs deep into the line. You've got to be tough to do it. There are a lot out there that can't do it, and it really limits their ability to create space and what they can do at NRL level. Katoa, for a young bloke, he's pretty small. He plays so deep into the line, just opens himself up to get whacked, but he's tough as nails.
Yeah, and I just think that, like, if he can just continue year on year or even month on month, just building his game, imagine what he's going to be when he's 25.
Do you think him not getting picked round one was just a bit of a rocket from the Masters? Because I'm like...
Surely.
And they've just re-signed him as well. Yeah. So clearly he was in the future plans. Yeah. Just Wayne going, mate, like this spot isn't locked in. You've got to earn it. Yeah. And since he's come back, it's been great.
I definitely think that they didn't start with him. It was almost... If they are to make a charge and do something incredible this year, he has to be at his best. Because I just don't think, like, Sean O'Sullivan is a good, solid player, but does he have the upside that a guy like Katoa has? No, I don't think he does.
He looks so good. And when he is going deep in line, when he is creating space for his fullback, when they're sweeping, that fullback's Tabuai-Fidow.
Yeah.
Quickest fullback in the competition. He only needs an inch, and what Katoa's doing for him, we saw it come to fruition on the weekend. Gave him the space there, and Hammer had a field day out the back.
And let's talk about Hammer.
Yeah.
Far out. Like another player that if he can just keep rounding his game out, there is truly no ceiling as to what he can do, because like we've seen what he can do in Origin at centre. We can see how good he is when he's ball running, his tackle breaks, also his defence. But when you look at the weekend, he had a try, 2 try assists, 164 metres, 26 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 2 line break assists, and an offload, 0 errors. You know, if they are to do anything big this year, it's basically him and Katoa, but probably mainly him, that can just carry him on his back. Like, it is scary to think where his potential could be.
Absolutely. Well, he was a guy, also had a pretty poor first game of the season, but then his last 2 games have been as good as you could have asked for, which is exactly what you want to see. Yeah, those stats there are just unreal there, right across the board. He was awesome, and probably recapturing a little bit of form that saw him get picked last year.
I reckon that round 1 Barry was a bit of a blessing in disguise for Hammer, for the Dolphins, because Wayne definitely would have given him a rocket after round 1, and he came off a successful Origin series, time for the Kangaroos, like confidence would have been sky high.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, mate, we know it comes easy to you, but you still got to work hard.
Yeah.
Another guy I want to give out to, mate, and it's come at the expense of Kenny Bromwich, who I was about to say a club legend, but he pretty much fucking is, let's be honest here. Ewan Aitken, sitting here 6 weeks ago looking at their best 17 going, Aitken might be their 3rd best centre and their 3rd best second rower, but he can't get into this team. It's unbelievable. Since he's come in, he has been tremendous. Played the full 80 minutes on the weekend, 150 run metres, 35 tackles, 0 missed. Mate, he's eyeballing Wayne going, take this jersey off me, I dare you.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about, they had a bit of an older pack. Guys like Ewan, they really just add that explosive young edge. I know he's about, 26, 27?
Yeah.
So relatively young compared to some of the other forwards that are at the club. Mate, I just think that he's the kind of guy that if he couldn't play centre as well as he did, he probably would have gotten his edge back row position locked in sooner. But sometimes when you see that player, you go, okay, we've got these other guys who can only play edge back row. Maybe I keep Ewan on the bench because he can cover, so many different positions. But the way he's been playing recently, like that 12 jersey is his.
Well, I assume Lemuela will be available again.
Could be soon as this week, probably next week.
Okay.
I think Aiken keeps that jersey for sure, and you bring Elo on for impact.
It really has been a bit of like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not in the right circles, but Wayne Bennett just not picking Kenny Bromwich, I feel like it hasn't been spoken about enough.
Yeah, that was very, very out of the blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, like he was like, when we went up for our KO show, I'm pretty sure he was named and then he was just pulled out of the side and I assumed, must be an injury. So I'm like, no, been 18th man ever since.
So yeah, really, really good run. Flegler, we already spoken about him, but like, my God. How old is Flegler? 24, 25? Like the next 5-6 years of this guy's career, as he gets even more confident with his ability to dominate games.
It's going to be
It's
going to be a signing that's just going to age so well.
Oh, man. Like, talk about the ability to build a pack around someone. Like, he is their main guy for at least the next 6 years or so. Like, at least 6 years. And what a guy to build a pack around. Like, what I like about Flegler, he is a very unique... Like, to be honest, he probably plays similar to Tarpanair more than any other forward. Like, this really good footwork at the line, can break tackles, and a really good offload. And it's just a unique point of difference. It's very hard to find in a front rower. That's usually, if they've got that footwork, they're not as good in contact. Whereas like he is very good in contact, and just the energy he brings as well. He's got that mongrel in him. Yep. And I think that if you're looking at the Broncos, if you said there was like one tiny bit missing at the moment, it's just that one forward that if the game's about to go to that mongrel kind of edge, who in the forward pack's going to dive into it. Whereas like Flegler, he is that guy. Like he really is that guy that can go wherever the game needs to go. He can go there.
Bad day out for Maxi Plath. Looks like he's going to miss. I think it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, as soon as he did it, you could tell he was like, "Oh shit!" Yeah,
that's going to happen, especially when you play with the aggression that he does. But I still think he's got a massive future in that 13 jersey.
Herbie Farnworth once again, just like delivering 8 or 9 out of 10. So bloody good. So yeah, Dolphins look. Great start to the year, and they're almost like, I know they haven't played the top tier sides yet.
They'll get that test this weekend. Tigers at Suncorp.
But like they've jagged 3 wins if you include the bye. Like if you just get those early wins, geez, to get to that 10, 11, 12 mark towards the end of the year, geez, it's such an easier slog than if you start the year like 2 from 8 or something like that,
Last guy to give a rap to, and we sort of just brush over it because now we're used to it. But imagine if 2 years ago, Jamanasaka would have ran for 200 metres and 52 post contact.
And like no one talks about it.
No, yeah, it's just that's what Jamanasaka does now.
Okay, on to the Titans. They are in some Barney rubble.
Barnabas rubble.
It is. I cannot for the life of me understand what has gone wrong there. Like, there's nothing that I can look at and go, this specifically, like they don't even look close to the team they were last year, let alone a Desi Hasler side. I'm genuinely shocked and taken aback by how they've started the year.
Yeah, and Titans' DNA for the last few years has been they can score points from anywhere, but they refuse to defend them. And you sort of thought, okay, Desi Hasler coming to the club, the defense will improve. I would say the defense got worse and they've forgotten how to score points. It's
bizarre.
Insane.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, not to defend how they've started the year because it's been terrible, but like they lost their starting number 1, they lost their 13, they didn't have their starting number 6 for the first 2 weeks, they didn't have their star player in Dave Fafita for the first 3 weeks. A lot of like their 4 best players close to.
This is a side with Maui Fotuaika, Tino obviously before he got injured, Bo Firma, Palacia, like. Oh, man, I still think that it's been really poor. I still think it's been really poor.
I think all those reasons, excuses, whatever you want to call them, are warranted, but they're not showing a jersey at the moment. They're not like...
Like, I agree with... Obviously, they're going to be better with their key players in the side, but in saying that, like, Vaughan was back this week, and they didn't look... He was back last week too, wasn't he?
Yes.
Boss came back last week as well.
Yes.
Last week, or was it the week before?
They played Canterbury the week last week.
For me, yes, they've had some key players out, but that doesn't, like, a lot of those key players, it's the defence that, like, has just looked nothing like we expected it to be. I just cannot believe how they've started the year with the roster they've got, because they've still got, yes, Brimo's playing centre, but he is still really good.
Have we seen enough of that?
Oh yeah, look, you want to give Campbell. Campbell got their man of the match, Jaden Campbell.
Yep.
So, but you've got to find a way to get Brimo in the action.
He had
Gotta be
like
at 6,
two
sure.
real classy touches for both Phil Sammy's tries. Really nice from him.
Yeah,
It was
Look, I would initially, like a year or so ago, was you put Foran at 7, you put Brimo at 6, just to get him in the game. The concern is that Tanner Boyd has just had a really poor start to the season. Weaver, is he ready for first grade? I don't know.
Could they do what you're saying and go 4 and 7, Brimo 6?
It should be
this weekend?
considered, surely.
And I get long term why they didn't do it at the start. I didn't agree with it, but I get it. This season's getting away from you rapidly here.
And also, like, long term, are these guys so young and so talented in these positions that it's all like you're going to guarantee yourself long term there's going to be success?
And
Like,
that's
not
the other
really.
thing as well. Like,
As in, I'm talking about in the halves there. Like, is he so good? Like, for example, you look at Katoa, and you go, he is like so good and he's so young that we can take a bit of pain early on because the payoff will be huge. Is the payoff going to be that huge for the Titans?
you might be doing Tanner a disservice at the moment.
Just to keep him in the side.
I don't know. Just because, at the end of the day, it's going to have to fall on someone's head eventually. It's going to be Tanner. No one's going to blame Foran.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to come to a
But also, like,
head soon.
and Foran, how many years he's got left in? 1 or 2 years? Like,
Yeah.
who's the next 6 that's going to... Like, they are in dire straits right now.
I would imagine, I don't have any numbers on it, but I would imagine it would be very rare that after 4 rounds, one of the teams that was lucky enough to have a bye in those 4 weeks is last by that margin.
Well, we were speaking about it in the green room before the show. They were $11 2 weeks ago for the spoon. $1.83 outright favourites now.
Just absolutely. I think Brian Kelly defensively, some of the decisions he makes is just clocks off. I think they probably need to consider bringing in Harley Smith-Shields, or at least whoever their next centre is up, and just give Brian Kelly some time to work on his defence in Q Cup.
Jojo Fafita injured.
And I've always been a massive fan of
Jojo
Jojo.
goes so good.
I reckon he goes so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's like he's just fallen off the side of the earth. I haven't
Can't
heard
get
his name in ages.
Jojo to centre, Brimson to 5'8", falls to 7. Let's go.
Yeah, love that. I reckon they need to do something. They need to shake it up. Brimo cannot sit down in the centres for that long,
No.
for any longer. Surely not.
Waste.
It's just one of the better players in the competition, just sitting in the centres when you could. It's not like your 6 and 7 are playing that well.
Yeah.
Is the concern if you move 4 into 7, the kicking game is not the best? Surely he can kick well enough.
I think he'll be all right. He's got a big enough boot on him for the
Surely.
outfield. I think they'd be fine.
Another thing that is just their forwards. I'm just genuinely shocked at the lack of response. Like, I thought this forward pack was going to come out and almost be similar-ish to the Broncos forward pack last year, where there's this young, aggressive, explosive forward pack, but I just haven't seen it yet.
Especially when they go, all right, they've lost their leader in the pack, and the team in general, Tino for Malawi. Dave Fafita hadn't been around. What an opportunity for the rest of the pack to step up and go, no, we're right without these guys. We don't rely on these guys. And it's been anything but.
Yeah, like I when I watch them, it doesn't look to me like a young, hungry forward pack that's going out there going, we're one of the better young forward packs in the comp. I know Tina's now gone, but even when Tino was there, the energy just didn't seem to be there. It just didn't seem to be there.
And that's the real worrying thing, that if they can't get up the week after Tino, what are we doing in 15 weeks' time?
Yeah. Look, some positives. Philip Sammy ran for a 229 metres, 70 post contact, 3 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 2 tries.
He was lucky to stay in the game. That was incredible by him. He is tough as nails.
Tough as anything. So that's some positive. Again, positives. Jaden Campbell, he got man of the match for the Titans. So first game back. That's first game back, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think a genuine positive for them, and it's one that the Titans can be excited about, is like Dave Fafita's first game back for the season.
Yeah.
I think he played, was it about 55, how many minutes off the
55
bench?
minutes.
55 off the bench.
Yeah.
129
Came on,
metres.
That little out-in ball he threw for Campbell when he went through.
Yeah.
That edge now with Foran and Fafita back together, Jaden Campbell getting an extended stint at fullback, can turn into something special. Like, you think about all the great back row and fullback combinations. I think like Kafusi and Slater, what they did for many years at Melbourne and Origin. you got two really talented footballers there, and I think those two, with Foz feeding them, can turn into something really, really beautiful. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that trio combination, in particular for Feeder and Campbell, can sort of blossom across the course of the year.
I think going into this weekend, I mean, I know it's only one matchup, but you're taking on the Cowboys at home on a Sunday afternoon. You know they're going to score points. I think they have to play Brimo at 5'8". They have to.
Yeah.
Surely. Unless Desi's just going to be just hang in there and hopefully pay dividends
What he
long term.
might do is go, look at the weekend and go, all right, Brimson did have 2 try assists at centre with some really classy ball playing. We've got Fafita back now. We've got Campbell back. Fafita, we assume, will probably be starting this week. This is minus Tino what I had my mindset on from round 1. Injuries haven't allowed it. Let's give it a week or 2 to see how that plan goes. If it doesn't go to plan, we change it up in a week or 2.
Yeah.
Not what I do, but this is what he wanted from round 1.
The worrying thing is that it doesn't actually get easy for the Titans. They actually had a really good start to the year where they probably should have put it this way, if they probably should have started the year 4 from 4. Oh, sorry, 3 from 3. I know they had a bye.
Well, that's the thing. Like we spoke about before, the Cowboys, have they played any top 8 sides? The Titans definitely haven't, in my opinion.
And so that next week, obviously, they go Cowboys, then they go is it Manly? Or is it... No, then they go Raiders, and then they go Manly. So it's like Cowboys, Raiders, Manly, probably harder than what they've already played.
Yeah, Jojo Fafita didn't play reserve grade on the weekend, I don't think
that
so.
makes sense.
I assume he must be injured.
Yeah, he played round 2, but not last week.
Okay.
Cowboys, Raiders, Manly, Warriors, Storm as well. I think Cowboys again.
Yeah, it's looking disastrous.
So Cowboys, Warriors.
Cowboys, Raiders. Sorry.
Cowboys, Raiders, Manly, Warriors, Storm. Cowboys again.
So it's not an easy run. I mean, it's not the hardest run, but those teams are definitely better than what they've already played.
Yeah.
Look, if there's any mad scientists that can get him out of it, it is the Desi Hasler. But, wow.
Wouldn't that just be so typical of us to be sitting here in 2 weeks' time going, well,
He's done it.
we don't know shit.
Yeah, we don't know shit about rugby league. Hopefully they can turn it around because I got a soft spot for the Titans because obviously I'm from there, but also their young forward pack. It's such an exciting prospect. It is such an exciting prospect. Alrighty, now it's time for fan questions with the great Dwayne Bennett. How you going, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you? It's been a great weekend. Easter.
All right, what question you got for us this week, mate?
Mate, we have an unbelievable question here from Daniel. He's a Sharky supporter. Right, this is a question in order. Who are the best 3 fullbacks of the NRL era?
Mate, I think Slater has to come in at number 1 for me. Number 2, I think he slept on as a fullback. I'd go Darren Lockyer. And then 3, I think you have to go Teddy.
Boys, Timmy?
Oh, I feel crook saying this, but I've got the exact same order as the Roo.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3, Teddy, 2, Slater, and then there's a bit of distance, and then 1 would be Brett Hodgson for me. What he was able to do with the 05 Tigers is incredible and deserves all the plaudits he gets.
I actually have Darren Lockyer at number 1, Billy Slater at number 2. Now, I'm going to go Teddy at number 3 for sure, but huge what if could have been Anthony Minicello if he didn't get those injuries. I think may have gotten number 3 if he didn't get missed so much rugby league due to the injuries. Because we always look at Slater was another version of Darren Lockyer. Darren Lockyer kind of semi-introduced the ball playing, and then Slater took it to a next level later in his career. I think with Teddy's another version of Mini. Mini was Teddy before. Obviously, Teddy came into the grade. So that's my top 3.
Look, the campaign with Finland is ramping up. It's gaining some real momentum. You go to finland.com.au, sign up and get your digital Finland passport and register. If you register, you might get one of those dolphin, budget direct dolphin fins. Ooh. Those fins that you put on your hands and you're like, fins up, come with it, sign up, finland.com.au. And hey, you know what? This week we've seen a lot of the Bunnies fans have come on board. They've come on board. Probably, possibly because, old Wayne boy, he used to coach the boys down there and they've got a soft spot in their heart for him. So, mate, that's probably why. That's probably why. He was their leader once.
Well, there you have it. Join Finland. It'll be in the show notes, the link. Join it. You might get one of those budget direct fins. And thanks for joining us again, Dwayne. And we'll see you next week with the fan questions. If you want a fan question, leave it in the comments section and Dwayne will read it out for you on air next week. Make sure to grab a case of bloke beer from your local. Here's some stores you can grab it from. Royal Hotel Lagoon Street, Goondiwindi, X-Golf Enogra, Falvey's Hotel Ipswich, Belvedere Woody Point Bottle Shop, Eaton Hill Harry Brown's, Blaxland Cellars, Tarrant Point Hotel, Porter's Maroubra, and Harrigan's in Cameron Park with their footy in a fade during Thursday night game. $30 will get you a schooner, a bloke, and a haircut. So you get into Harrigan's in Cameron Park.
How good's all these little places where you can do something else and have a bloke? You got the X-Golf and, and a bloke. You got a haircut and a bloke. List goes on.
The list goes on. We offer multiple things with bloke. We try to pair things up so you can go in, have a beer, get a haircut. What other beer's giving a beer and a haircut? I mean, we're not actually doing it. It's Cameron Park, but we got around it. We're getting around it. Okay, Warriors defeat the Knights 20-12. The Warriors' momentum pushes on. Obviously, RTS was absolutely phenomenal. Boys, what did you think of this game?
Yeah, Roger. I know we already spoke about him, but he was just everywhere. I'd have him at centre again, as I spoke about earlier, but he was electric in this game. Just a good reminder of how much of a superstar he is and how good it is to have him back. Mate, I thought this Warriors performance wasn't lights out sort of stuff, but it was just a tough performance by the New Zealand Warriors, and it wasn't, AFB scoring a try out of nowhere or any of that sort of shit. It was just a consistent, strong performance. They lost Metcalf early, which it sounds like he won't return to the back end of the season, which is absolutely devastating for Metcalf, a guy that has spent the last few years just looking for an opportunity, finally gets one, he takes it with both hands, and then he gets it taken away from him.
An original CBA, would you say?
A proper original CBA, yeah, who I've defended for years. And, mate, when you look at this squad with guys like Chanel Harris-Tavita, Tomato Martin, it's
going to be
probably the worst team to fall out of if you're a 5'8".
Because Harris-Tavita come on and was pretty solid.
He's a great player, Chanel Harris-Tavita. He's an unreal player. And Tomato Martin, on his day, could be the best of all of them.
In regards to playing well, Jackson Ford, that line that he's running, it's getting better each week. He's becoming a specialist line runner on that edge there. And what I love about the game, obviously that try was outstanding. 139 metres, 14 runs, 46 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, a line break, 34 tackles, but no errors.
Zero errors. That's
Zero errors. And so what I love is we're watching the development of Jackson Ford go from a guy where we were kind of not surprised, but we're going, oh, geez, he had a good year last year, to each week you watch, even if he has an error or two, he's still making plays that are impacting the game. And how rare can you, younger guys coming in, and he's in his second or third year, but that's usually something that happens in maybe year 3 or 4 where they get mature enough to realise I can't afford just to get through my work and do my job. I need to impact the game. And I think we're seeing that with Jackson Ford. I thought he was outstanding on the weekend.
And he had a really good year last year, but towards the back end, as it tends to be with guys in their first full season of first grade as edge-back rowers, he faded off late, and you could tell that they weren't really trusting him towards the back end of the season. And he came in this year, and I spoke about the last few weeks, he just made a lot of errors in the first few weeks. Errors that's when he is putting himself in spots to impact the game, to be fair, just real contact errors. But, mate, his game on the weekend was tremendous. And if he can just, honestly, if Jackson Ford, considering how hard the line is that he runs, if he can get it to 1 error a game, good as gold.
Yeah, for sure. Because as a defender, if you have to worry about that 2 or 3 times a game, maybe even 4 times a game, that's it just takes your mind away from the game, because all you're thinking about is, please don't run that line, please don't run that, or please don't hit him. Timmy, what do you think of Ford?
Yeah, I like how you wish Ford was playing on the right edge running off Sean Johnson, because that could be something special. But obviously he found a home on the left edge, and that's absolutely fine. He's doing a great job there. On the Warriors, would you say, Roo, line in the sand moment? It was after the 2 losses early on in the season, we sort of backed them, said that they're looking as good as you can for a team that was 0-2. Obviously, a win last week, this week. 20-12, we're looking to go, all right, pretty tight scoreline against the Knights side that have been up and down this year. But Knights had 51% possession, 86% completion rate, a superstar in Kalen Ponga calling the shots. conceded 2 tries off kicks.
Yeah.
That's pretty bloody good going.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the exciting thing for the Warriors is that we've seen the flash. We know your attack is some of the best in the competition, but that gritty underbelly that some of the best teams have, you're getting it.
The grit's there, the defensive structures are there, the attacking structures are there. Charles Nickel-Crookstad will come back and he'll with the polish on top of it that'll see this 20 become 30 and become 36.
Said it last week and we spoke about, just looking forward to the week that just went, and we had the Dolphins that were sitting at $1.70. The Warriors are $1.80 to beat the Rabbitohs this week. I reckon that is tremendous value.
I think that, like, what I love about the Warriors at the moment is that they're playing such consistent footy. They're not rolling into a game and rocking up in the first 20 minutes. They're off their game. And I agree with you, mate. Did you say $1.80? $1.80 for the Warriors against the Rabbitohs. I think that's pretty good value.
13 plus 375.
13 plus 375.
I mean, it's over here to be fair, but I mean, the Warriors to me aren't a team anymore that they can't leave New Zealand and play good footy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they've started the year so consistently, even though they've lost those games. Have you really watched a Warriors game and said, they played really poor today?
We go round 1, Sharkies, a little bit rusty, but lost by 4 points against a good Sharkies outfit, whatever. Round 2, came within a whisker, took a miracle for the Storm to beat them at the Graveyard at Amy Park in Melbourne. Beat the Raiders last week, beat the Knights this week. How are they not going into that as like stronger favourites than that?
Yeah.
And we spoke about it the other day that, when they start to win, they could win a few. Draw over the next few weeks is Souths, Manly, Dragons, Titans, Newcastle.
Very winnable games.
Very winnable games.
And really important for the Warriors season, because if they can jag 4 from 5, was that 5 games you read out or 4?
Yeah, 5 games. So, yeah, I think.
If they can jag 4 from 5, they're halfway to, at least the top 8. They're halfway to the top 8, pretty much.
Really impacted through Origin period, as we know. A lot of Kiwis in there, so they generally have a pretty good run through there. Boys, who do we think... Harris Tavita, Tamari Martin, you mentioned with Metcalf out. Tomorrow on the weekend, 3 line assists in New South Wales Cup, 2 try assists. Who do we think comes in? Because Harris Tavita is obviously such good utility off the bench as well.
Yeah, it is a tough one, isn't it? Because do you want to waste that really good utility on the bench, or do you say, well, Harris Tavita was good when he came on and he's solid, really good defender?
I guess Dylan Walker's due back. Obviously, by the time people listen to this, teams will have come out, but Dylan Walker's due back this week as well, so I suppose he can just be the utility on the bench.
Yeah, but they do still tend to run with 2 hookers even when he's there, don't they?
Yeah.
So
they've been running with Walker and Harris Tavita at the same time this year?
Or Walker and Lussick, yeah. And once again, he managed to play the full 80 in this, but Wade Egan, another scary moment there where you thought, it's happening again.
I know, but bloody hell, he played well, though.
Oh, yeah, he plays well. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about that whatsoever. But, man, it just feels like it's seconds before disaster with Egan constantly.
I thought he was outstanding, though. Obviously, that line break, 41 tackles, 0 misses.
Looks so good.
Bloody, he's just getting slicker and slicker.
Last year in the regular season, Warriors won 8 of 12 games away from home, and one of those losses was in the final round where they rested everyone.
Wow.
Far out. So away from home, they're sweet.
And the first 3 losses were right at the start of the year. So they won I think it was 6 or 7 in a row away from home.
You must be sweating NutriBullets for this weekend then.
Damn right I am.
Oh, the good old NutriBullet. Not an ad.
Unless you want to be.
Yeah, unless you want to reach out, NutriBullet.
Tell what, I'm devastated, boys. Just
Who's sweating NutriBullets this week?
Matty.
Des Hasler.
What a segment that would be. Anyway.
Okay, there you go. That's what we can come up here with, bloke. That's what we can come up. Just on the fly, too. That was on the fly.
Eyes up. Integration there. Sorry, Roo. What was that?
I completely forgot whatever I was saying.
Something about
Probably wasn't that important.
Hey, we've got to keep the lights on. So we've got to keep the lights on, mate. We've got to keep the lights on, get some ad sponsors.
No, I genuinely have no idea what that is. So.
Hey, speaking of not missing any tackles, Dallin. He had 8 tackles, none missed. Again, like we were talking the other week about To'o being the best winger of the modern era. This guy couldn't be too far behind, in particular his last couple of years for the Warriors. 198 metres he ran for, 76 of those post-contact. Didn't miss a tackle, had obviously an intercept, an offload, just killed it. Very impressive. Obviously no try, but doing all those other little effort areas that you want to see.
Yeah, for sure. The last 2 years, like as in last year and this year, he's a top 5 winger in the game. And I think he often gets forgotten about, obviously, over in New Zealand. They don't get as much airtime. Mate, he has been just like relentlessly good over the last year and a bit.
Two came in and had a really good game, I thought. Adam Pompey, 154 run meters. At centre, he made 18 tackles, missed 0.
And his defence is something that, you know, he's needed to really work on.
Yeah.
And he's another one of those guys that, you know, he has these moments of brilliance and you go, wow, like one of those big Kiwi centres. And then other times, you know, defensively he might misread here or there. But I just feel that eventually under Webster, it's going to click for him. I guess the hard thing will be fighting his way into the side.
Yeah. How's the depth? Like, you look at fullback and they've got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, basically is their third choice fullback. Torpiki, Nickel Klukstad. 5'8", you lose Metcalf and you can go Chanel Harris-Tavita or Tamari Martin. At centres, you know, a centre goes down. You've got Adam Pompey. You've got Ali Leotau. Their depth in this squad is unreal.
And you've got another fella.
Lost the handful of kids we haven't even met yet.
Yeah.
There's another...
Jacob Laban.
Laban on the edge there. But there's another...
Going?
Sorry?
Kalani going?
No, he's played in a row before. He's played on the centres. In the centres.
Edward Cossie.
Ed Cossie.
Cossie. You got him there as well.
They've got so many good options.
There's an argument to be made they got the most well-balanced squad in the comp.
And, I mean, if you were desperate for a centre as well, we've seen Martin Corey do it at a high click too.
Curdy Capewell.
Kurt Capewell.
Yeah. It's a really well-balanced squad, especially for how like quickly it's been put together. But yeah, Egan was outstanding. He's just getting more confident every time he plays, and he's getting to the point where he's almost getting... I understand, you know, yes, every now and then, like not every now and then, but very often, you know, a head knock here, or I get that. But if you take that out of it, his form is getting too good to ignore. Like, even though he's over at the Warriors and, you know, it's hard for them to get much media time in Australian media, he's playing so well that you can't ignore him anymore as one of the form hookers in the comp. You just cannot ignore him anymore.
Is he any chance to be in the Blues conversation?
I think that in Origin, just because he gets so many head knocks in that, it's just too risky.
Yep.
You just can't afford to risk, you know, 10 minutes off or little injury here. Like, durability, and he is he's, you know, plays 20 games a year, but I think it might be just I want to see a stretch of games where he isn't going down injured or whatever. And look, he's too tough for his own good. But it's just one of those things.
Considering how often he does go down, you'd almost argue he's one of the more durable.
Yeah.
He puts his body through more and still manages to suit up 20 times
because
a year.
you would, you know, when you watch him play, you would expect, I'm going to go look at his games played and it's probably going to be like 14 a year. He actually plays 20 plus games a year most years. But I just think with the options that you've got at the moment, like if you want to go for durability, you've obviously got Kenny, you've got Robson. Obviously, Api Coruscant right now is probably the form 9 of the comp. But he should be in the conversation, absolutely. There's no doubting he should be in the conversation, which a couple of years ago you would have said, that's crazy. Yeah. So it's a credit to him. Who else? Freddie Lussick. So did he get taken out of the side?
Yeah, didn't end up playing.
Didn't end up playing, yep. And Harris, okay.
Well, they had Chanel Harris-Tavita and then Metcalf went down.
What a smart move to Harris-Tavita to be on the bench rather than Lussick.
So good.
Oh, jeez, what a play. Going to be interesting to see how Niokore develops because he was signed, he is a friggin' like unbelievably good player when he's on the field. I wonder how they're going to do him minutes-wise because you'd think that with the level of ability he is, you'd think he'd hopefully eventually get more than 25 minutes. But I understand it's a hard team to bloody get into.
Yeah, it's a hard team to crack into. Would you, if you were the Warriors, would you be playing Kurt Capewell for the full 80?
Yeah, it's a tough one because like what Capewell offers is effort on effort. But do you want to save that for later in the year maybe? So you begin the year with a 70-minute for the first 10 rounds and then build into it?
I just think, as Timmy said before, you got SJ as one of the best players in the game at positioning his back rower. Just I'd love to just insert Niokore on that edge in certain moments of the game.
Yeah.
If I'm defending them, that's the last thing I want to deal with.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what they do there because Niokore is too good of a player to be only playing 25 minutes, I reckon. Yep. But the team is so stacked, it's hard to get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good win from the Warriors. And just another little shout out to Sean Johnson, 624 kicking metres. His kicking game doesn't get the credit it deserves, I don't reckon. I just think it's come on leaps. And like, put it this way, 3 or 4 years ago, was SJ known for his kicking game?
Nah.
He's known for his running game.
Yeah.
And his ability he's one of the better kicking halves in the competition now.
Short kicking game in particular is so elite.
Oh, so good. So good. But yeah, 624. He had 21 kicks, 624 metres. Just exactly what you want from your 7. Really, really good win. Really, really good win from the Warriors.
Just on Origin eligibility, Chad, who's Mitch Barnett eligible for?
Newcastle boy.
Yeah.
178
metres, 18 runs, 72 post-contact. Only missed 1 tackle. He's been very impressive. Like, he was great last year, but since he's gone over to the Warriors, he has been really good.
We were talking about it earlier with the front row combinations.
Yeah.
They complement each other so well, Adam Fanua-Blake and him, because he is that almost like, he doesn't play like Flegler, but he's got that dog in him like Flegler.
Yep.
That you just up and down. He's going to go through, do all the tough stuff. Not that Adam Fanua-Blake isn't going to do the tough stuff, but I want Adam Fanua-Blake breaking the line. I want him offloading. I want him ball playing. And they just complement each other so well. So well.
Madge would have his eye on him, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised, if he isn't at least in the squad at some stage throughout the series.
Yep.
I don't know if he'll start, but I think he'll be in the squad. I think he'll be in the squad somewhat.
Versatility between playing middle and edge, which he can transition seamlessly, big plus as well.
Yeah. Now on to the Newey Knights. It's just one of those things where it's still very early, and they got their win obviously last week, but it's just like you can feel the year almost slipping away from you a little bit. Especially if you consider yourself a top 4 challenger, as I'm sure they would have gone into this year thinking. It's just one of those things that they need to get the train back on the tracks very, very soon if they want to be what a lot of us thought they were going to be at the start of this year, which was probably I actually had them slipping a little bit, but internally, I'm sure they would have said we're a top 4 to 6 side. At the moment, if they just keep dropping these games, it's going to be. I know they went on that crazy run last year of 10 games. I'm just not sure if they've got that in them again this year. So it's not panic stations yet, but it is one of those situations where you start looking beside you going, oh shit, it's slipping away from us here this season.
It's a really interesting game, this one, when you look at the Newcastle Knights performance. KP's performance was incredible. It's one of the better just solo efforts in a loss I've seen. He was everywhere, KP, but I look at them and, the Saifidis played 90 minutes combined the other day. They combined for 160 metres. Like, for 2 State of Origin front row forwards, that just simply isn't good enough for me.
Just some of their defensive lapses where they just switch off.
Jacob, at their best, as you know, they can be the best front rowers in the game. Like, Jacob's one on Wade Egan, and he just sort of dummied and
he just switched off.
Threw a hand on him. It's just like, well, and isn't this the Knights middles and has been for some time now? Like, prior to that 9 straight, it was last year, mid last year, when they were battling, and we were saying their middles, they're hard to get a grasp on because individually there's so many good players, but look, what's their underbelly look like in their middles? Because there are games where they just look, I don't want to say second tier because it's not that, but in terms of, we know this team can be an elite side in the competition. We saw it at stages last year, but so they just switch off out of nowhere.
Like, there's games where they look like a bottom 8 forward pack.
Yeah.
And then there's games where they look like Newcastle DNA, steely, gritty as anything. Very hard to pinpoint, which team's going to turn up.
Once again, I come out of this and go, I thought the Saifidis were underwhelming. I thought Jack Cogger's kicking game was very average in this one. I thought Adam Elliott was underwhelming. Neither of the hookers really stood out for me. They went to New Zealand and lost by 8.
Yeah.
Just go like if you get, I thought one positive to come out of this one. I thought Nari Tawala, work he did out of his own end, once they get him and Marsu back, that could be very destructive. And I think they're really missing Marsu starting their sets.
Absolutely.
Big time.
I will say I've always been a fan of Tawala. Like, there's a lot of Newey Knights fans, for some reason, well, not for some reason, they've clearly got reasons, just don't rate him. But I think he's a good, solid winger that gets through a bunch of work and quite good defensively.
I'm with you, Campy. There was a stage where I thought he had the potential to be a well beater and certainly reined in those expectations, but really strong defensively. Not a heap of size about him, or doesn't look like it TV certainly, but he looks really strong, can play centre very effectively, wing effectively, good footballer.
You got Dane Gagai to come back into this side as well. He's obviously scratched this week, so there's plenty of stride to come back into that side. But I just feel like it was KP that just kept their head above water in this game. The cohesion that we saw last year, it just isn't there. I feel like they just couldn't put a foot wrong last season.
Well, now they're in this really weird spot of it's like almost the Spider-Man meme of Cogger, Gamble, and Hastings.
Yeah.
Because like,
Did you watch Spider-Man on the plane?
no, I didn't.
And Will Price is dangling on a web in the top corner.
Yeah, he's in the top corner. It's like none of them are playing shockingly, but also none of them are playing great either. And so because that change was made so quickly with Hastings being dropped, it just puts you in this weird position now because you're like, should have I given Hastings? Like clearly, well, I mean, I personally think it's evidence that Hastings should have been given at least another week or two. I personally believe that that's the case with, I haven't seen, they don't look different to me with Cogger at 7 because now it's like, did we drop Hastings too early? You know, or is it the fact that, you know, there's other reasons for why we're playing like this? Because as I said, you can't really pinpoint Gamble or Cogger and go shockers. But at the same time, they definitely haven't improved from what they were start of the year.
And you know what? Just every week, Tyson Gamble just seems to come up with one of their very few attacking stats that you go, okay, you probably can't drop him.
Yeah, and he's just rips and tears, and you
But
want to be
there's
that.
nothing that Cogger's done in the last 2 or 3 weeks that Jackson couldn't have done for you at the end of the day.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
And if you throw in, looks like Will Price has been going pretty well at New South Wales Cup level. I know last week when Hastings had his 6,000
He's
try
good with the ball
assist
in hand.
defensively.
He's not ready defensively.
Really? Okay.
I don't think I think he's a while away from first grade.
Right. 'Cause
Personally.
looks like he's killing it in attack. Look, I haven't sat there and watched the New South Wales Cup games. But
I don't know if the stats reflected in defence, but he's
yeah,
not ready
well, it's
yet.
got last week 14 tackles, 3 miss. Week before 11 and 3 miss. Week before 17 and 1 miss. So, as I said,
Yeah. His edges finding themselves in trouble quite often.
okay, just needs to sort out defensively.
Which makes sense. He's new to the game.
He's new
a
to the
young
game.
guy. Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. in the
Exactly
transition.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what makes Kai Pearce-Paul so impressive, is the fact that he looks like an NRL player off the bat, really.
Also, continuing with Price, talk about not happening overnight. Spent a lot of time at fullback over in the Super League. I think maybe centre wing at times as well.
Yeah.
Coming in the halves into rugby league in Australia, where everything is just about getting your back row, going at your half. Like you're going to find out how good you're going pretty soon.
For sure.
Tyson Frizzell was outstanding. He is like a fine wine, just aging beautifully.
Yeah.
Aging. He's his strength essentially is like his fast twitch explosiveness, which is so surprising that like he still has it. Like he's still just as fast twitch, still just as explosive, and he's this far. It honestly feels like Tyson Frizzell has been playing forever, and yet he just continues to turn up week in, week out and deliver top tier performances.
Another sponsorship opportunity. This week's Wild Oats Fine Wine Player of the Week.
There you go.
Tyson Frizzell.
He's got his thinking brain on now.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, okay.
Got me thinking business, mate. Just trying to help out bloke.
But yeah, Tyson Frizzell, he's, maybe KP, but he's probably been their best player this year.
I reckon he's another one that Madge would be keeping a very close eye on.
Because he got dropped, didn't he?
He's been in and out the last few years.
Yeah.
I can't keep track of it, but based on his form so far this year, you'd have to seriously consider him.
Yeah. So the Knights, it's just one of those things, it's similar to a couple of other sides, and a lot of it will be similar because it's so early in the season, so it's hard to just do this hard judgment. But it's getting to the point where maybe as analysing them, I need to readjust my expectations of them. And at this moment, I'm getting close to going, look, a top 8 finish would just be good enough, rather than at the moment, I don't see them going near the top 4.
It's hard with your ambitions of them coming off that incredible run last year to not be like, you want them to be a title contender, but as you said, realistically, maybe we just settle for top 8 for now. If they can go on another run mid-season, we can change our attitude, but maybe it's a top 8 team for now.
Yeah, at the moment, before the season started, I would have said, mate, at their best, top 4. But I think now that I've seen 4 games in, I'm going, okay, maybe if they do finish top 8, that's a successful year for them with where they're at right now.
Big 2 weeks coming up for Newcastle. Take on the Dragons this week. Roosters the week after. Both in Newcastle, though. Friday, Thursday games.
Such an opportunity. Because
Close to must-win games.
This is this can swing. This can swing their season, really.
Yeah, then they go Canterbury Dolphins. So it could be a huge. They could go 4-0 over the next 4 weeks. If they
and
get
then
it right.
all of a sudden, it's like, okay, we can reevaluate. We could make the top 4.
Yeah.
Big momentum team, as we know. Get their tails up, get a bit of form. We know they can go on a run. They've just done it. there's an opportunity there, isn't there?
Oh, massive opportunity. I mean, if you're Adam O'Brien, you're penciling in these next 4 games going 4 from 4.
Yep.
We won 4 from 4. All right, on to the next game. Sharkies defeat the Raiders 36-22. Wow. I mean, Raiders came out and looked incredible. And Sharkies looked like just shot. And then all of a sudden, turned things around, got a couple of quick tries. And then, it just, from there on out, it just was essentially Sharkies' way. Timmy, what do you think of this game, mate?
Yeah, seriously disappointing. The start the Raiders had, 3 early tries, we're 18-0, just going, all right, with our forward pack, our depth there, our grit that we've shown this season, even last season, you're going, we shouldn't be letting this lead slip. Not only did they let it slip, but what was it? Almost 36 uncontested points. We had a Schiller try in the 71st minute, but for that to turn so emphatically after the start that we had, it was a tough one to swallow.
What do you think, Rude?
I thought after 10, 15 minutes, I thought the Raiders were going to absolutely give it to them, and I thought we'd be sitting here talking about dire straits for Cronulla. Found a way to get themselves back into it. I enjoyed the Ricky Stewart press conference.
He was up and
Vintage
about.
stick.
Vintage Ricky Stewart. Loved that from him.
Absolutely loved it.
They try to compliment Timoko. And he was like,
How dare you?
Nah, no one played well.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, that's vintage stick.
Yep.
I'll tell you, it'll be I'm very keen to see how he bounces back next week, but Xavier Savage, it was the exact sort of game that you saw last year.
Yeah.
Does something amazing off the scrum, then 3 really poor errors throughout the game. I'm assuming Ricky will still pick him this week.
Surely.
I hope so.
Surely.
I mean, surely, but would it shock you if Ricky threw
It's how
the toys out of the
Xavier...
Because that'll smash his confidence.
It's
Sure.
how Xavier handles the downs. Because we know the first 20-odd, he looked untouchable.
Well, the
Busting
first
tackles, getting
3
involved.
weeks and 20 minutes, he looks sensational.
Yeah. Ricky, loves giving people a wake-up call by dropping... He'll drop anyone to New South Wales Cup on his day. We know that. But Xavier said, don't kill his confidence.
Yeah.
Leave him there. He's been good to start the year. Give him the opportunity to bounce back in the top grade.
Yeah, I hope he gives him a chance to respond because I think he will.
Yeah, and look, if he doesn't respond, then maybe you get ruthless.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think it'd be way too quickly to...
Breaking news, not entirely surprising, but Lomax has been given permission to leave the Dragons. So he can talk with rival clubs as of now for 2025.
Okay.
Where wasn't that already...
I mean, Flanagan talked about it, but it's been made official.
I thought that was already done there. Oh, well. Sweet. He's gone. Thanks for coming.
I'm also open to talking to NRL clubs for 2025.
Look, you don't want to... I do think that, especially with Xavier Savvy, he does seem like a confidence player, like a guy that... I don't know whether he would respond well to playing, essentially 60 minutes of bad footy and then boom, dropped. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if that's the best for his development. Now, if he comes back out and he doesn't rip and tear, then you can go, mate, I gave you the chance to come in and rip and tear. You didn't need to set the world alight, but did you have 15 carries where you going into the line, looking for contact, all that stuff?
But it will be interesting this week. Is Albert Hobawade, is he due to come back into the side or is he going to be out for a few weeks?
It was a wait and see, wasn't it? Is that what they said in the press conference?
Yeah.
Earned himself cooking dinner.
Far out.
Get a menu log sponsor down there.
We'll let that
Hungriest man.
Hungriest man. He's on fire. What? He burned himself.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Jeez. Playing some good footy. Now, let's get to the Sharkies. Actually, no, we'll stick to Raiders. The really disappointing thing for the Raiders from my perspective, they'd started the season so well, so gritty. Even their loss against the Warriors I thought it was a really good performance. Every game you could come out of the Raiders game going, what a Raiders performance, what a gritty performance. The really disappointing thing is this game doesn't delete all of that. It doesn't erase it all, but it's so against what they've built for the first month of the year that it's like, we'd set ourselves this standard of, yes, okay, we're not the flashiest. Yes, okay, our spine is new, all that. But at the very least, we're going to make you bleed for whatever you take from us. And I just didn't see that in the Raiders. And the concern is that you don't want to go, 2 or 3 really strong games, 1 bad game. 2 or 3 really strong games, because eventually it'll turn into 1 really good game, 2 poor games. That number of good games will most likely drop and the bad games will increase. So it's just one of those like wake up calls, and I think that's why Ricky Stewart was so like passionate about putting the message out that no one was good, because the one thing the Raiders can bring that every other team, put it this way, the one thing that they can have at a premiership level is grit. And if you don't rock up with that, you're basically coming to a game without your biggest weapon.
I think there's every chance in a few weeks we look back at this second half of the Raiders and go, that was the difference. Like, that was the game that really gave them a wake-up call.
Yeah.
I reckon they come out with a real iron edge to them over the next.
Because they've been my probably biggest, I wouldn't say surprises, but like overachievers in the first in regards to standard of footy. I knew that they had a gritty forward pack. I knew all of that, but I really liked the standard of footy that they've played the first 3 weeks.
It is weird to call them a surprise, but they have surprised me. But at the same time, they've done exactly what they told you they were going to do for the last 2 years. We're going to be gritty as fuck, and we're going to hang in.
Yeah. First and foremost, I think Ethan Strange is absolutely the best option for the Raiders at 5'8" right now. He's been so impressive this year and just has settled into the NRL so effortlessly. I do think, though, that long-term he's probably a centre. Like, not saying he can't make it as a 5'8" long-term because he's held his own more than enough, but I just look at him in this side and, you know, he's 4 games into his NRL career. He doesn't have a try assist. He doesn't have a line break assist. He didn't have a kicking meter, didn't have a kick on the weekend. It was Fogarty doing all of it. Really strong running game, really good defender. He looks like, we know coming into the season there was talk of, all right, halves, centre, where do they want to play him? And early on there was going to be, because Sebi Christmas round 1, people were thinking before pre-season started probably a centre round 1. Ended up at 5'8", has done a good job there, but I do think he's looking more like just a hard ball running centre to me. What do you boys reckon?
I would persist with him at 6.
In what the Raiders need right now, we've got Chris at centre, Timoko, a bunch of centre options. We're a bit weak around the halves. He's 100% the 5'8" for the Raiders right now.
I think I mean more of a like. I would love to see him with another full preseason training at 6, because like much less talented players have built out their game over a long period of time than Strange, and I think that with a couple of pre-seasons of working on his kicking game, working on his passing game, if he could just bring that up to just a solid level, I think he could be a 6. As long as he has a 7, that is a 100% organising 7. I think he's more of a 6 at the moment, but I'm not like fully locked into that answer. But right now, if I said what he's going to be for the next 10 years, I would probably say 6.
Yeah, no, I think he's a 5'8" as well. Even when he was starring at centre, I was saying I think he's a 5'8". And I think, mate, like it's a valid point. He hasn't had those stats and whatnot, but mate, you're a pretty unorthodox footy side the way that you play. That's why I don't hold it.
He's a Ricky Stewart 5'8".
I mean,
Jack White was the same hold, wasn't he?
Exactly right. And I think as well, you know, you said there he's not getting many kicks to the footy. I think that is just Ricky Stewart grabbing Fogarty and saying, hey, this is your team. You've got a young kid next to you trying to find his way. You need to be doing the kicking. Because they don't even look like they're trying to set up for him to kick at any point. No.
I think as well with Strange, like you alluded to it being unorthodox, but your attack does look more dangerous. Now, does it look more dangerous in the orthodox way of try assists, hitting short holes? No, it doesn't. But when I'm watching the Raiders attack, I am sitting there going, oh shit, they might break the line here. And so I get what you're saying. When it comes to like, is he of the Dylan Brown mould where he's hitting really short lines? And like, probably not. But at the same time, I do think you look more dangerous with him at 6. And you do too as well, because you want him to be 6 still.
Yeah.
I think he can work on the other stuff in his game and get good enough. I think he can.
I also think the other guys around him, like, it makes it hard to build stats when you've got a guy like Hudson Young. He's just give me early ball, I'll do something with it. Jordan Ruppin is very rogue in the way that he does things.
That's another thing. He doesn't have a proper fullback there as well.
It's tough going. Yeah.
Like, I wonder if you had him on the other edge with like a Zach Hosking. I reckon then you would start to get some more stats out of him and whatnot. But yeah, I'm more than happy, as you said, more than happy with him at 5'8" right now. But I think he'll grow into the role and it'll be his.
But I do see your point of like, there are certain guys that come into grade and you can immediately go, this is their position, lock him in. I do get what you're saying. Like, I'm about 80% convinced that he's going to be a 6 long term, but there is a small part of me that says maybe he's just a really strong, almost Timoko style centre.
Just get out there, mate. All you do is run hard, tackle hard, do all that, no pressures. And as I keep saying, this isn't a negative. I'm just like, I think he's been great for us at 5'8". I'm just seeing more of a centre at the moment.
Well, I'm almost just seeing that he's more of a footballer.
Yeah, he is that.
He's got a bit of that wide, Adam Dewey, that sort of,
Okay, now onto the Sharkies. I thought this was Trindle's best game of the year by far. I thought he did exactly what you would hope he would do, and that's inject himself, attacking ball. And this is the Trindle that I personally know and rate, that I'd seen glimpses of over the last few years. I thought he chose his moments, easily the best of the year, Braden Trindle, because it was still Nicho Hines' team. Like he still, picked him up by the scruff of the neck and got him back into that game. But there was Trindle magic that did help him do that as well. So it was like Hines was almost getting them to the, obviously getting him into good ball. And then there was just a couple of times where Trindle said, you know what, give me the ball, I'm going to do something. And obviously he absolutely nailed it. I thought it was Trindle's probably his best game. What do you boys reckon?
Definitely his best game.
Yeah.
I thought he was much better this week. Been a bit hit and miss to start the season. I thought this was his best game. I also thought, the attacking stats didn't come flowing for Nicho. Fuck, he went after the game.
Like just fully, I need to do something.
Yeah.
Give me the ball. Whatever works. I'm just gonna make something happen.
And that's what we talk about. We spoke about Latrell Mitchell earlier, that it might not be his normal way he plays the game. You just want him to go at the game, and Nicho did that on the weekend.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard. Like when a game gets away from you as a half, it's very easy to go, okay, the game's away, and you don't have a confidence in yourself to just try things. Whereas what I really liked about Nicho's performance is identifying, the game's gotten away from me here. I just need to get my hands on the ball to get myself back into the game. And he did it incredibly well. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, just on Trindle, same as you, Kempy. I came into this season with such high hopes for him and have such a big opinion of him, and it just hadn't quite fallen into place. And it might have been the game against the Doggies a couple of weeks ago, and he made some really poor errors and didn't look the best. But just sitting there going, there is a good footballer in Trindle, and to see him come out and kill it on the weekend, albeit against the Raiders, I was so happy for him because he is an NRL quality number, like a halves player, and great confidence booster for him. And if he can sort of make this more of a week in, week out, so then get a little bit more consistency, no errors on the weekends, had a few in him this season, the pressure that'll take off Nicho Hines to do all the creating in this side, big thing for the Sharks.
How many more points are they going to have in them if he can be the tip of the spear? What do you reckon of the Sharkies?
Well, you were talking about Nicho there and taking the game by the scruff of the neck, and there was almost a bit of a turning point when Savage stepped back inside him and scored that try. It was almost that Michael Jordan with the iPad, I took that personally moment. And from that point on, the next 60 minutes, he just took the game by the scruff of the neck. And there's, probably other halves this weekend across the board who didn't do that, but that's a pretty good sign when, the game was essentially, from a lot of teams, it probably would have been gone, but he completely flipped it on its head. So good to see him kind of, from that moment, he'd missed 2 or 3 tackles prior to that, but from that moment on, he just blitzed it. So
yeah. No, he was outstanding. Look, and I won't steal your thunder, Guru. Iro, your man Iro.
I'll allow you to steal it if you want as a square.
No, you haven't, mate. I'm not like that. I wouldn't do that to you.
Felt like a backhanded compliment. Just so good to see him finally get an opportunity. It's taken a long time. But you can see what he's made of there. 130 metres, 55 post contact, line break assist, try assist. Was probably almost definitely a knock on when he scored his try. He told me last night he had downwind pressure. I'm not buying it for a second. 4 tackle breaks. I've said it a lot over the last years, but he just reminds me so much of Val Holmes. Just the way that he moves, and he's a proper freak. I don't know what they've got to buy this week. Britt Nikora will be available again the week after. Do you move Talakai back to centre? Because, as much as Ito is the new shiny toy and everyone impressed him, if I had to pick who was the best centre in rugby league for the first 3 weeks, I probably would have gone with Talakai.
He was a top tier centre for sure.
His form was incredible.
He even looks like Val Holmes.
He looks like Val Holmes, yes. Very unlucky for him. Poor bastards out there. It'll be interesting to see what decision they make there. What do you both reckon?
Sifa.
At centre?
You mentioned it. Like, Sifa's arguably the best centre in the competition the first 3 weeks.
Hasn't centres just been like a red hot? You got Tungle, you got May, you've got RTS, you've got Talakai. Like it's been a red hot position.
And they've also got, when they get Nicola back on deck this week, they got the bye this week. The week after, they've just got so many forwards. So I think Sifa.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a tough one because on the other edge you've got Teague Wilton, correct?
Yeah, and like they did move Talakai to the right hand side, so that would probably suggest.
Imagine if they go to Sifa, like we said last year, was playing centre and got caught out a little bit. Like give him a full preseason, like completely ready to go and play at centre, get his body in that shape. 3 rounds into the year, no, we actually want you back in the back row.
And look, the start. So they've beaten the Warriors now. They've beaten the Raiders. I mean, pretty. I know they lost to the Tigers, but decent start for the Sharkies.
Yeah.
So yeah, good win. Really, really good win. And especially what was the most impressive for me with the Sharkies is going up against that forward pack. They had multiple players out. Like we're talking. Just get me to get the team up.
Rudolph.
So Rudolph out.
Wele.
Finucane out. Sorry, just get the thing up. Yeah, so you had Hazelton and Kofusi starting when they aren't normally their starting front rowers. Kofusi has been kinda, but yeah. So you got Toby Rudolph out, Hamlin Uele out, Hunt is out as well.
Yep, Hunt's out.
Hunt's out. Dal Finucane's out. So you're looking at nearly 4.
Nicola.
Going up against the Raiders pack.
That's what I mean. Like that's a huge win for Sharkies to go up against the Raiders pack of. So you've got Papali'i, Tarpane, Young, Smithies, who's been outstanding, Atta Moriarty, who's been great off the bench, Hosking, Big Red. Like it's a fair effort by a Sharkies pack missing 4 of their usual starting forwards.
Yeah,
huge effort for them.
Yeah, massive. So
Tommy Hazelton does his cult hero status.
Mate,
no disservice week on week. How good is he?
He is a nut trucker of note.
Yeah,
an absolute nut trucker of note.
Well, it's Jersey 18 again this week for what feels like the 300th game in a row. Fuck, I would just love to see Jaden Beryl get a game of first grade.
Get a chance, the poor fella.
Just give Blake Brayley a spell 1 week. Play him on the bench. Do something.
How durable is Blake Brayley?
It's unbelievable. If you're Jaden Beryl, you win Queensland Cup Player of the Year. You sign with Cronulla, you go, okay, I'm just going to wait for this guy to miss 1 game occasionally.
Yeah, the Michael Neser of the Cronulla Sharks.
Marathon man.
I generally don't think he's missed a game.
Mate, he hasn't.
Brayley since 20...
And like he never looks injured either. No. Like I'd never see him like my shoulder's done or whatever. Like he is so durable.
And he's right on the verge of. He never misses footy. He's right on the verge of. He's in an Origin squad last year, but he's not going to play. Beryl must just be sitting there going, "What do I have to do?"
Yeah.
So great win from the Sharkies. Just keep building. Now, before we get into Tigers v the Eels, don't forget. Give us a follow on Sportsbet's new feature feed. Go to more, you press feed, type in Denon or Bloke in the Bar, hit follow, and you can copy my bets. You can see what I'm punting on each week. Plus, I put in an exclusive little description as to why I'm punting on it. So give us a follow on Sportsbet's brand new feature feed.
Good opportunity to follow you now before you really start to hit your straps through cricket season. We know that's
Absolutely.
where you do this work, but you get in now, get the footy stuff.
Get in early. And, when we've got huge numbers, you can say, I was there at ground level. Yep. Tigers defeat the Eels 17-16 in an absolute thriller. I tell you what, obviously incredible win from the Tigers, but this is a Lockie Galvin show to me.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe how good this kid is in such a short period of time to do it in such a big game. You get sent to 10 in the bin for a hip drop, to come back on and have the match-winning, or arguably the match-winning play, at least to get them back into it. The kid has ice in his veins, absolute ice in his veins.
Oh, it was the match-winning play. It was the one. Benji spoke so much about him during the preseason, and just every single thing I've ever learned about rugby league tells me the kid cannot possibly be ready to handle first grade straight away. Not only is he ready, honestly, was he the keenest ball player over the weekend? He's
one of the form sixes of the comp. Like literally.
Yeah.
You take out age and you just go, who's been one of the best sixes in the comp? He's been there.
Yeah, if you just had a blank resume for all of them, he is sky high at the moment, and God, I hope they keep this one.
How reflective is it of the way Benji Marshall played his footy throughout his career, where he'd throw a flick pass when it wasn't on and 7-man cutouts 30 metres across field and just shit that no one would ever dream of doing because they get their head ripped off by their coach. He's just backing himself. And he comes in and he has someone like Bud Sullivan, a big name recruit in there, and he goes, "Nah, I'm going with this 18-year-old."
But no one, none of us had heard of him.
Nah, and you heard whispers during the pre-season of it, just going, Benji's just trying to throw a rocket up. A few other players asked us and say, you haven't got this spot locked in. No, he does it. Benji throws a wild card out there, goes with the 18-year-old, and he's repaid that faith 1,000%.
And the really positive thing in this situation is that he'll forever be Benji's man now because he backed him in before a ball was kicked. Like Benji didn't, oh damn, a few blokes are injured, I'm going to chuck Galvin in. And then he plays well, and then all of a sudden Benji jumps on the train like, he's a gun. Like, no. Before anyone even gave this kid a chance, Benji was publicly going into bat for him.
And it's also you got to it feels like so long ago now, but he obviously had he's now over Bud Sullivan, but Benji also picked him over Aiden Caesar to start the season.
Yeah. Fainu as well.
Yeah, who sounds like he's going to make his debut this weekend, which is super exciting. You guys will have team lists by the time you're listening, but fuck. Some talent there.
And can you, the risk Benji's taken here, if he does it over a big name signing like Bard or Caesar coming in, Benji, who already and will continue to have for some time skeptics out there saying, he hasn't really done the coaching internship behind anyone properly for enough time, and then he comes in and he throws it to the 18-year-old. If it goes wrong, he'll be crucified. He's going, nah, I'm doing it anyway. I'm that confident in this kid.
Ballsy play.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's just incredible what this kid can do so soon and how calm he looks. He doesn't look rattled by the game. I mean, he opened the game with a try assist and he essentially ended the game with a try assist.
And I mean, when you think about it in hindsight, it was, 20 years ago that Tim Sheens had a kid from Keebra Park that he backed in to play 5'8". Exact same situation. Had a lot of height, but, won a comp 2 years later.
Just incredible stuff. What do you reckon, Hammy?
I was very excited. Made the trip out there yesterday. Took my partner out there, and this was a real watershed moment for Mon and the West Tigers because I'd taken her to 2 or 3 games, and every time live they'd lost by 40 points. So for this win to happen yesterday, this was it. I reckon this was the line in the sand. So she's on board. She was jumping around, getting very excited. It was an amazing win. And I mean, Galvin, it was the Galvin show to an extent. But the exciting thing was when he got sin-binned, in the past, Tigers teams from last year before, probably would have thrown the toys out of the cot and that would have been it for the day. They found a way to hang in there. They parked themselves down on Parramatta's line. They had 3 or 4 scrums in a row. I feel like I was watching a rugby union game, except it was exciting and the stadium was full. But they were down there and they hung in there. Galvin came back out and got the try. And then, thank God we held on. It would have been the biggest kick in the guts if we had have lost with a penalty after the siren. But thankfully, it went our way. We hung on.
Another little tidbit, like a wrap for Benji. I think he didn't use 2 of his substitutes.
Sullivan didn't.
So Sullivan didn't get on?
Kapoa didn't get out there.
And Kapoa didn't get out there.
What?
That's outrageously ballsy stuff. You've got to know rugby league to go, you know what, right now, the guys I've got out there, that's who needs to be out there, rather than going, you know what.
That's madness.
I've said it before, I'll say it again about Benji. This is the kind of outside-the-box thinking that saw Team Collaborate come home with the chocolates in Celebrity Apprentice. So I'm not surprised to see that. But how good is he looking as a coach, just quietly, by the way, as well? Just the way that he's kind of handling press conferences. And they were asking a lot about, how do you reckon the Tigers last year? He goes, I don't care about last year. Stop talking about last year. Just so direct and... I don't know. I'm feeling very excited as a Tigers fan at the moment.
As a Tigers fan, enjoy it. You're going to have your naysayers and people carrying on or whatever. Bloody enjoy it. You just beat the Eels. It's not no one. And it's also the way you did it too.
Yeah.
It's not like they just happened to turn up and play shocking. I know they're missing Mitch Moses, but they've still got Dylan Brown at 7. He's a bloody good player.
Lucky Galvin, 3 games, 69 tackles, 1 miss.
Craziness.
18.
Absolute wildness.
What?
So good. And what Benji is almost proving is that, we speak about it so much on this podcast, but a good environment is freaking so important. What has really changed in that playing roster? I know Lockie Galvin's come in, but do you reckon Lockie Galvin's going to get that opportunity last year? Do you reckon the environment's going to be good enough for him to be the best he can be? Absolutely not. Whereas now, like look at even Api Coruscant, like the way Api Coruscant is leading that side. Like he's a leader now. He's a full-on leader. It's just amazing. What do you got there, Matty?
He only used 6 interchanges as well. So not only did 2 players not get used, he could have used 2 more actual interchanges.
Madness. And yet it was the right call.
Can't question a winning team.
Yeah, like they won. So it's like, how can you question
if they got done by 16, we'd be ripping into shreds, but they won.
But also, so like they, were on the attack for the whole game. The last 30 minutes of the first half, they were tackling on their own line.
Yeah.
It was madness.
And that's just like, it's mental toughness and grit and a will to play for each other. We just haven't seen it, the Tigers, for a few years. We just have not seen that.
Little bit off topic. Apologies, boys, and people will know by the time teamless, but it sounds like Gamble's been dropped and Hastings is in for Newcastle.
What? Holy heckers.
Musical chairs.
I mean, after the trials, I did feel like that might be the best options going forward, but it's just like now it's almost do or die. Like if this doesn't work.
What do you do if this doesn't work?
Yeah, what do you do? Fuck. Yeah, wow.
Interesting.
Okay. Back to the Tigers. I thought the Tigers' back row was really good. Papali'i, Bateman, and Bole all ran for 125 metres Papali'i, 120 metres Bateman, and 128 metres Bole. And I think that, they tried Alex Seyfarth to start the year at 13, but I think Bole's your man. I think give him time there, give him minutes to develop. I think he could turn into a pretty good 13.
Yeah, he's your man. We spoke about it a few weeks ago when he was coming off the bench, that we thought he should play 13, and I really like it moving forward. And I like Seyfarth coming off the bench. He's got a bit of lunatic about it.
He's a loose cat.
He's a loose cannon. Yeah.
He something about him on the weekend, like just coming in, just unorthodox, goes hard, heap of dog in him, bit of ball playing as a lock. Wasn't he impressed?
Alex Seyfarth looks to me to be one of those guys that like he would be as impressive in first grade as he would be probably playing park footy.
Yeah.
But he's just tough and he's going to do the same job every week.
Yeah.
50th game for him on the weekend as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think Fainu's been outstanding too for you guys.
Very good.
Samuela Fainu. He's just almost like popped up out of nowhere for me personally.
Yep.
Like, obviously I knew he was at the club, but he came from Manly about 2 years ago, I think.
It was last year.
He
was I believe he might have played a game early, but he essentially debuted for Manly mid to late last year and got a few games and looked quite good and played decent minutes, and then he signed with the Tigers and it all sort of just faded off into the ether.
Yeah.
But when he debuted, it was like all this hype around how good he'd been in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, he also captained that New South Wales 19 side
really?
year as well. I'm not sure if you remember, but he started a few stinks, and that's what I think Benji's done really well to keep him in check.
Yeah,
because you saw that moment. I can't remember who he tackled when he came on the field, but he absolutely gave it to them on the field.
Old teammate Morgan Harper.
It was, yeah. So if Benji can just control that and use it positively.
Because you need guys like, look, if you've got Seyfarth and Fainu coming off the bench with that much mongrel in them, like that's going to turn a game for you.
Yeah. He's looking great at the moment. I didn't realise that Asuka Poa wasn't used. That's wild.
It's actually wild.
Clement and Stefano were good as well.
Yep, Stefano, Clement outstanding. But how good's Olam been?
Oh,
yeah. Fuck.
Might be one of the buys of the year at the moment.
At the moment,
feels
seriously.
like we've definitely won that little trade. We were a little bit worried there when we lost that player at the start of the year. But Olam's just come in and he was unbelievable yesterday. 2 tries, ran the ball hard. Every time he got the crowd involved and like the rest of the boys as well. Every time he got the ball, things just started happening. He was exceptional, and he came out and who was it that he nearly tackled into the stadium? He just missed him. Just brushed his shoulder. That would have.
Was it Russell?
Yeah.
Russell was, yeah.
Oh. But like when there was whispers of him signing with the Tigers, a few people were questioning, is it the right thing? I don't think you can put a value on how much a tough carry in your set can give you. Because like when he's coming like flying from the car park and he runs it hard for that first or second run, it just gets the boys up and about, and it sets a standard too. It says if our centre is going to be running like that, we all need to be running like that.
Yeah.
I think he's been outstanding.
Yeah, no, he's been very good.
But yeah, great win from the. We've already spoken about Api Coruscant, outstanding. Great win from the Tigers, mate. So what is that? 2 from 3?
Well, if we include the bye, which I think we are, 3 from 4. Looking good, and we
Three
go.
from, like If you had said at the start of the year you're going to be 3 from 4, you'd be frothing at the mouth for that.
Yeah, I'm actually still frothing at the mouth now, to be honest with you. But very exciting. It is going to be a bit of a test for us this next couple of weeks with no Galvin. Obviously, he's out for the next 2 games. So we've got the Dolphins and the Dragons.
How many games did you win last year, though?
5, I reckon.
So you've gone 3 from 4.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else saw and or thought this, but when Gutho was lining up that kick at the end and David Clemmers bang in the middle of the post, when I say in the middle of him, like in line with him because he's 40 metres forward, he's about 10 to 15 metres from Gutho and he feigned to jump and then he jumped up as he kicked it. I could easily have seen that have been called back.
Could you imagine?
You can't do it.
You can't do it, yeah.
And I'm not... I don't know to the letter of the law about what impact is, but he was directly in front of him, feigned to jump, then jump. I was sitting there going, this could get called back.
That was fine. That was fine.
No, that's fine.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Well, Raiders have just lodged a complaint against the Sharkies trainer.
Yeah.
They're trying to put off Fogarty.
Points overturned.
Oh, Jesus.
Tigers won 4 games last year, so they've already halved it by round 4.
Mate, it's so good. So bloody good. I'm so stoked for Tigers fan. Now, on to the Eels. What do you think of this, the Eels, boys?
Yeah, we sort of spoke about it very briefly pre-show, but when you look at what the Eels have done well this year, it sort of started with bringing Junior off the pine, completely flipped it on its head in this game. Junior started, Hopgood came off the bench. It was a bit of a puzzling afternoon for me.
I don't understand that. I understand that you need to go into each game tactical and thinking about the opposition, but Junior Polo has been the best impact player in the comp for the start of the year off the bench.
And you never want to blame a loss directly on anyone, but Regan Campbell-Gillard shaving his moustache must have had something to do with it.
It's a lot of power to lose. It's a lot of power to
human
lose.
Being.
Very surprising. And Jermaine Hopgood not starting. I don't understand. It's been looking really good for the Panthers. For the Eels, and I just don't understand why change up.
Yeah, I couldn't really make sense of it.
Anyway, in regards to playing, look, Dylan Brown, he still played solidly. I just want him to. We talk about Hines, and I get it. Hines is a 7 week in, week out, and Brown is an out and out 6. He really is. But I just wish that he realised how good he was. He has the ability to go, you know what, just give me the ball whenever I want it. Almost needs a bit of arrogance about him. Just get some ego in there to just go, no, give me the ball as much as possible. Because I do feel like at times it seems like he's not confident enough to just go, this is my team and I'm going to take us where we need to go.
Well, I think if Dill Brown plays the second half like Galvin did, they win this game of football.
And it's interesting because Brown... He was a whisker of going through 3 times and having line breaks and cutting them to pieces. I think that's potentially where they lost it for me because I'm a bit like you, Roo. I was neither sort of here nor there with the Eels. I wasn't disappointed, but I thought it was certainly a game they probably should have won. But Talangi on the right edge, first game in the top grade, in the halves, filling in those big boots of Mitchy Moses, he looked okay, but like anything, new combinations all around him. It was very clunky. That's natural. Parramatta do so much of their damage on the left edge. You've got Brown there, Lane. Gutho does his best work, sweeping out the back and hitting Sevo. And they had a great matchup there in Sevo 1-on-1 with Charlie Staines. And I just thought they went right a lot to Talangi. And that's where it ties into Kempy, sort of what you said with Brown probably taking maybe just a bit more confidence and calling more ball. Because I've just been going, look, our left edge is intact. Sevo's back on the wing. Gutho does his work there. Let's just pepper that edge. And they just went right a lot, and they didn't look like doing anything when they did. Gave Pensini a lot of early ball, which was fine, but did it off scrums and whatnot.
It's because Dylan Brown didn't play poorly. It's just I don't know. I wish someone would just get in his ear and go, mate, you are literally one of the most gifted players in the competition. When you want the ball, you don't even think about who else needs the ball. Just call the ball, especially when Moses is in there. And look, it's hard on Brown too because it's such a Moses-dominant team. That team is so dominated by Moses that when Brown gets into a flow of the game and fatigue, he's almost going to automatically step into that role of, okay, where does Mitch need me? Where does Mitch need me? Yeah. And so I hope that, the Eels, if they are to make a run this year, they need Brown to just come into every game going, I want the ball as many times as possible. Yes, he's going to be a bit unorthodox. Yes, he's going to be a little bit different to Mitchell Moses, but the only way they're going to win is if Dylan Brown has his hand on the ball as much as possible, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I sort of felt like Gutho took a lot of that responsibility on. I felt like he had a lot more touch of the football, but it's still Brown that they really need him to step up. And you know what? It's his first game at halfback like that. Like, I'm sure he'll sit back, watch the tape, and they'll assess that. So I'm keen to see how he goes next week, but they just need more from him.
Gutho was great. Like, you could see it in Gutho's mind going, all right, Mitchie's out. Yeah. I need to give Dillbags a bit of a hand here. And like, he had 15 runs to the game. He didn't have a ridiculous amount of touches, but you just saw, particularly in attacking territory, Gutho was doing everything he could to make up for the loss of Mitchie Moses. I thought he was impressive.
And so Brad Arthur, he is really good at this, but if I'm Brad Arthur heading into this week, like, as I said, I thought Dylan Brown still played well, but I'm sitting Dylan Brown down going, mate, this is 100% your team now. Like, obviously Gutho is still the captain, but wherever and whenever you want the ball, it goes to you over everyone. Because guess what? That's what Mitch Moses does. That's how our team rolls. We have a really dominant ball player that whenever Mitch Moses wants it, he gets it. And so I think that hierarchy of getting it into Dylan Brown's head of like, mate, you are the man now. And I wouldn't say this if I didn't think Dylan Brown, like, he's my pick for Dally M 5/8 of the year. Like, I think he is so gifted, so talented. And so, yeah, I hope heading into this week, he just basically demands the ball more. Like, we don't put it this way: you don't want to come out of the game going, "Wow, I really thought the other edge got the ball a lot more." You want to come out going, "Oh, it was a bit quiet on the other edge," or at least he's swinging both sides. Outside of that, defensively, Harper, I think you're probably going to have to make some changes there. It just has not been a good. I think his first game was quite good, but ever since then, it's just. And look, yes, he's been moved from wing to centre, but it's just. I think changes need to be made. I know they're really short on centres and outside backs, but a change needs to be made, I think.
Yeah, me and Tim have always been number one fan of Assy. I'd love to see him come in. I had a few Parramatta people that messaged me last week and said that he hasn't been going that well in reserve grade, and you guys would know better than me watching him week in, week out, but I think you could do much worse. I noticed the other day they've actually signed Isaac Tungo's brother. He's playing reserve grade for him as well. Never seen him play before, but
jeez, if he's
pedigree might be something.
Give me 80% of Tungo and I'm happy.
Arcee got a double at, well, he's listed at number 1, but says 5'8" in New South Wales Cup. Yeah, scored 2 tries in Parramatta. Got done 32-26, all happening. Don't know what he played, but yeah, Arcee, get him in.
Yeah, I reckon you get him in there. Thoughts on Sivo's return game?
I personally thought the Falls Ferrari did a pretty good job on him. In defence. I was impressed.
I was pleasantly surprised. We're just sitting there. I was on that kind of side of the stadium. I thought, oh, here we go. This looks like the mismatch really hit you between the eyes when you could see it up close as well. But he ripped in. He really defended well against him, and I don't think he got enough. He could have used some earlier ball, Sivo, probably through the course today. But Charlie Staines aimed up pretty well.
Do we think that he got 14 runs, 133 metres? Is that enough work for the big fella?
It's getting closer to the areas we want.
Yeah. Good. I mean, I think it's decent for a first game back.
Pass mark for sure.
But I think that, again, they desperately need him to turn into the best version of himself this year. Like, they are desperate.
You're happy with 14, but if Sivo all of a sudden started taking 20, he's pushing into best swinger in the game category.
Yeah. I think that he can't afford this year to just rest on the fact that he's an incredible finisher. I think that he really needs to take his game to the next level. First game back, so obviously match fitness is going to be a thing.
Yeah.
There were times where, I think that you saw the fact that he's just such a big body. He can turn quite slowly in that. But, they need him. They desperately need him to be big this year. They really do.
I thought Sean Lane was really good in this one, boys. Got through. I thought for the start of the season he'd been a little bit quiet. 17 runs, 160 run metres. I think he had 30-odd tackles, 31 tackles, 0 missed. Thought he was solid.
Yep. All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you bloody go.
Tips?
It's time for some tips.
All right.
Brought to you by Sportsbet. Massive thank you to Sportsbet, partnering of Bloke. Let's get into it.
Follow Dennon on the feed. All right, Thursday night game, Melbourne Storm, $1.55, Brisbane Broncos, 2.46. Line is 4.5 points.
It's a tough one. Adam Reynolds is in. I'm going to go Broncos. What's the line?
4.5. You taking Broncos head to head?
Yep. And Broncos to cover. Boom, I did it.
Jerome Hughes back right.
Yep. Hughes
Munster
back, Munster
potentially
back,
back.
Soft Solomona probably back.
Nas back too.
I believe so.
Nah, spoke to him too. Go on.
I'm going to go Melbourne win, Brisbane cover.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go Melbourne win.
Real poor tipping.
I'll go Melbourne cover.
I think Broncos head-to-head.
I go Storm win, Brisbane with the plus for me. Friday night footy, Dogs $3.54, Roosters $1.30. The line is 10.5 points here.
Ooh, I'm going Roosters to win. 10.5. Jesus. Roosters to win. Dogs to cover.
Okay.
Roosters for me.
Roosters.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Roosters for me as well. The other Friday night game, Newcastle $1.43, Dragons $2.83, 6.5 is the line in this one. Might be a bit of value here around the Dragons, dare you say, with the amount of movement going on at the Knights.
No, I'm going Knights to win. Dragons to cover.
Okay.
Give me Knights up there.
Knights.
I might just go Knights 1-12.
I think Dragons win.
Dragons
That
to
one?
win.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. Now, this one is, we spoke about it before, potentially a fill-up. Bunnies, $2.04. The Warriors, $1.81. The line's only 1.5 points.
I'm going Warriors to win, Warriors to cover.
Yep.
When you look at a betting market, sometimes you think, what am I missing?
Yeah.
What aren't
Who's
I
about to
seeing
be ruled
here?
out for the Warriors with team lists?
Warriors for me.
Yep.
Warriors.
Warriors 13 plus, which get you $3.75. All right, Manly versus Penrith. Manly 234, Panthers $1.61. Line 3.5 points in this one.
Panthers win, Panthers to cover.
Yep.
Yeah, Panthers.
Panthers.
Yep.
Panthers.
For me as well. Dolphins, Tigers. Dolphins $1.66, Tigers $2.23. The line 3.5 points.
I want to throw out, is this the first time a coach has ever coached against his brother playing?
Oh, yeah.
Great question.
That's a great question. One for Rando.
Let us know in the comments.
With Galvin out, I'm going Dolphins to cover.
I'm going to go.
Dog.
What's the start?
3.5 points.
I'm going to go Dolphins, Tigers to cover.
Oh, a nail biter for you, Roo.
It's a tough one. I'll go Dolphins.
Dolphins.
The West Tigers, we're really building a next man up kind of culture. I'm going to go Tigers head to head.
Okay.
Find her to lead the boys around. All right, Cowboys $1.16, Titans $5.30. Line a whopping 15.5.
Jeez.
I'm going to go Cowboys, Titans to cover.
God, 15's a lot of points.
15 is fucking
Big, isn't it?
points.
2.5.
Cowboys.
Yep.
I'll go Cowboys win, Titans cover.
The Cowboys defense. Come on, boys.
Cowboys.
I think I'm going to go Cowboys win, Titans cover in that one. And to bring us home, the milk $1.72, Eels $2.13, line 1.5.
Ooh. Yeah, with Moses out down in the capital. Raiders to cover.
Yep.
Raiders 1-12.
I feel like the Eels have a great record in Canberra. Could be wrong. Rando. Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders 1-12.
Yeah, I'll go Raiders. 1-12 get you 285 for those playing at home, by the way.
Raiders
There you have it.
The Raiders aren't winning at 13 plus.
Oh, Timmy. There you have it.
We won to 12.
You're 13 plus merchants this year.
Yeah, well,
You're smacking
it's
teams.
a new era.
Believe in your team, for God's sake.
I do. I
Jeez
tipped them in
Louise.
colour.
What's wrong with you guys not tipping your own teams?
Alrighty, that is us done and doosted. As usual, we'll go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.